Back.
I'm just going to try to go live and see what happens. No, I can't do that. Because it is, when I tell you, sharing
What
your screen.
what does it look like?
Oh my God, it has it has a whole bunch of, it doesn't have our picture, that's for sure.
Uh,
Is it sharing uh, is it sharing anything that looks familiar to you?
Okay, I stopped sharing my screen. Let me try this again.
or okay, yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't know why this was so easy last week. Let me see.
Uh,
All right, guys.
Hold up.
All right. So what I did is I just X'd out of it.
Oh, that's right. We didn't find a direct option. So, hmm.
I remember it was easy. I didn't really do much of anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we ended up doing it because I do remember looking for that, and there wasn't like a direct option to stream from Discord to Facebook, but there was an option where we just had your screen up on Facebook while you were going live. So I
Yeah.
wonder if you go live while you're in, because your webcam is being used in Discord. So it's not like if you go live, I think you can genuinely
Well,
go
when I go
live.
live, it's just showing me.
It's just
It's
showing
not
you.
showing you guys. It's just
Ah,
me.
that's weird. Hey, Nessa. Hello.
On your screen? Hmm.
They like your outfit, ma.
Amazing.
We're doing some technological differences. It's not me this time. Yay. Do
How can you see the chat
you
in
want to
your
see my chat?
Oh, I can't. That's not something everybody can see.
Mm-mm. You would have to open
Oh.
up my stream to see the chat. Cause my chat will either be up in my streaming software, my OBS, or it'll be on my YouTube. It can be in both, but I typically can't put my chat bubble in the Discord to where we could all see it. I'd like to be able to
Oh,
do that.
so that's on YouTube.
Yes, yes. Because my thing
Oh.
isn't necessarily using, well, it is using the screen capture, but then again, even if I moved the chat bubble over to here, it wouldn't be part of the Discord call. I'd have to make the chat its own little box, like on the Discord call,
Mhm.
and add it like that to have it to where you guys could see it without
Got
opening my stream up.
Okay, so I see me again. Let me click on you guys. So, okay, I think this is what I do.
Think you done did it?
Yeah, I think so.
Dialpad's AI sales has completely transformed how we sell. AI.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about AI. AI is taking over, I guess. We will stay away. We're all right. Like I splashed water on my face. It woke me up for about 20 minutes, and that's all I got. That's all I got out of it.
Did you find it, Tasha?
I think so.
Um, What you just been
Okay, so
working on?
I am right now. It says that I'm live, so I'm going to go to my phone and go to Facebook
Oh,
and see if I'm live because I can't really see my Facebook page,
let
which
me
is weird.
see.
Yeah, let's see.
Really never went. Oh, okay. She love me. Nice, 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 nice. Nope.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
You got it.
I'm live.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Okay, I can hear myself, so I'm live.
I can see
Cool.
it and I can hear you.
All right. So, yeah, I'm going to. I know people are like, you said three, it's four, but
It is okay. Well, that gave them
now,
time to prepare for us
yeah,
to
yeah.
go
So it's
live.
y'all's fault.
It's really their
It ain't my
fault.
fault. It's
It's
y'all's
their
fault.
fault for believing when we said, because we was tricking you. We was tricking you by telling you that, and you failed the test because we was like, yo, if we say three, you should know four, and y'all failed
it
our
was,
test.
it was a
That was
test.
a test for
So,
real.
I'm going to, I'm going to remember what I did this time.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
that would
so,
be good.
please.
That would be
so
good.
basically, I had to share my screen. But then once I shared my screen, I had to come back to Discord
Oh,
in
okay.
order to get it to go live. So I can't see
You
my
see it?
Facebook
Okay, good,
page.
good,
I'm
good.
just seeing you guys. I don't see what's going on Facebook, which is
Yeah.
weird because I did last time because remember I was able to read
Yeah.
questions.
Uh huh.
So
Yeah.
maybe sometime this week we can play with it. One
Well,
of you
I
guys
mean, if you
can.
want to, well, sharing your screen, so I guess it would be a little tough for you to read your own chat, unless you were able to take out the chat bubble or your comments or something like that. I'm not really sure how you'd
Well,
be able to do it.
I have my Facebook Live up on my
Oh,
phone.
okay, okay, there you go. Yeah.
Um, So maybe if people comment, I can read them there,
Yeah, you probably
which is
could.
going to suck because last week I was able to actually read the comments.
Yeah.
Um,
On the computer.
and
Yeah.
that was pretty cool that I was able to do that. So hopefully I'm able to do that again. But without further ado, because I don't want people to sit around and listen to my and inability to be tech savvy for 10 minutes. So my name is Tasha Neal Harris.
Hi. I'm
We don't even
Geezdayday.
have a show. We don't even have a name for a show because each and every one of us have our own shows. And then collaboratively, we get together and discuss these topics that we all are kind of passionate about. So my show is called The Tasha Neal Show.
And I have the Geezdayday podcast.
I'm Candace, and I have a show called The Inner Circle.
So collaboratively, we're the
This
ish.
is this is Star Talk. This is
The ish.
We
with
are
with Neil
family.
with Neil deGrasse
We are
Tyson.
family. So this week we're going to dissect something that is very controversial, and this will not be my last week personally speaking about this topic.
I don't think we
Which
could
is
do this in 1 week. I agree.
no, no, no. Well, it's about religion,
Right.
and the reason I say that this is not going to be the last time I speak on this is because there's so many things to unpack when it comes to religion, that we can touch on one thing every week if we wanted to, which I actually desire to. And people often wonder why. Why is it that you want to, I've been told that am I'm harsh to religious people. Like um and it's not that I'm harsh. That's why the topic today is about, is religion a thing of control, or is religion, Christianity, really a thing that can get you to heaven? And so we're going to kind of unpack that in our own walks, in our own journeys, in our own beliefs, and what we feel about if Christianity, religion is something that can, because am I wrong? Isn't religion and Christianity supposed to be, is it the reason that it exists is
Yeah.
because it's supposed to be a guide to get you to heaven?
Hold on, I think there's a difference, like because heaven does more align more with Christianity, but not all religions believe in heaven. So Are we talking specifically about heaven? Because I know that's what you said, Tasha, but then Daquan, you were more so like religion
True.
versus
So I think that that's something that I wanted to get a grasp on because I think that when you're talking about religion, are we trying to focus on uh like overall religion, on what we think religion in and of itself means? Because when you do say things like heaven, it's like, well, not every religion does believe in a heaven or a hell as far as the Christianity sense does. So it's really hard to know, like,
That's
are we
that's
are we,
that's
is our target audience for us to not necessarily criticize but to ask questions and have a dialogue about Christianity, or is it
so
about religion?
so I think for this particular week, um, I personally would say yes, let's do Christianity
Okay.
as the first religion, because that's what I was raised with, and that's what I had to unpack from. Right. So I would say that when I think of religion, since two of the largest religions are it's Muslim and Christianity, those are the two largest religious groups. We can kind of put those two and say, what are those there for? What is religion there for? Let's start there. What do we Let's say just all religions, well, not all, because some of them are not the same. Like, you got some religions that are pretty chill, you know what I mean? And they're just like, just be cool, just be a good person, and
Mhm.
then you have some that are horrific, with these horrific stories and so what do we think is the basis? What is the purpose of religion? What's your opinion on that, Candace? What do you think religion is for?
um okay, so since we're okay, so religion, I think overall is probably more so for the same thing that we probably need anything for. And I know that's kind of vague, so I'll explain. So I just read a comment in that
Oh,
I
you can
I
see the
agree with
comments.
somewhat. Yeah, I have Facebook open.
Oh, hey
um,
Ron.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're just having a
Brian.
discussion
Hey,
about
Doug.
religion, specifically
Thanks, guys, for
Christianity
joining
today.
me. I'm
So
going to be trying to
the
get to your
title, I had to
comments.
change it. Do we all need to be Christian?
Candace
What is the
has she's
purpose of
live.
religion
All of us are
overall?
live on our own
That's
platforms,
that's
so
what we're
we'll all
talking
be
about today.
responding to our
So it's just a
people
discussion
on our pages.
stream today, and it's going to
mhm.
be sort of
um,
Thanks,
short.
guys, for joining.
Um,
yes, thank you.
so yeah.
Um, I think it is a guide. Like it's guidance, it's direction towards something. And I'll say something because all religions have like what your goal is or what
Hmm.
you're going for.
Yeah.
Here's your end goal.
What you want to obtain may be different. Um, and as far as Christianity, I still think Christianity is meant to guide people towards something, and this specific instance is heaven, which could be a specific place or some type of um more so like a conceptual thing to where you don't have
No
any more
problem, Neil.
pain, you're kind of free and everything. I'm sorry.
Talking to chat.
Oh, okay. And everything like that. So yes, I would say the purpose is for like guidance. I mean, I guess to answer the question, I wouldn't necessarily think that the purpose is for control. I think it is more so for guidance to to being the person that you want to be.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is it that you want to be, or is it the religion says that you need to be? Right.
Yeah,
Um.
I think it's like a chicken and egg thing. So I think you could be taught to believe that you want that, but I think you could also just desire those things. Like specifically when it comes to Christianity, like the things that you want to obtain are reasonable things: happiness, peace, joy, love, kindness. Like those are things that they're guiding you towards. Now, whether it's right or wrong, we can debate that, but that I think that is the purpose, is to guide you towards these things, which
Mhm.
is the goal. And
Okay.
so I think it's yes, you want to be happy, you want to have peace, you want to live an abundant life. That is your goal. Where Christianity comes into play is like, hey, if you want that, this is how you do it. And then further in Christianity says, not only is this how you do it, this is the only way for you to do it.
Or
So
you
Right.
go to hell
Yeah.
exactly,
and
or
burn.
the consequences. So that's where it gets like, okay.
Interesting.
But I think like the purpose, I still think
So
is
Vanessa,
to
Candace isn't
guide towards
actually
a
like
good life.
super religious. She
Okay.
grew up in a very religious
Daquan, what do
household
you
though.
believe? Religion, like,
Um, so like, what do I believe? Let me make sure I have the question right. What do I
what do you
believe
believe the
is the
purpose of
purpose
religion
of
is?
religion? Okay. Um, it's such a hard question, but my best answer is that I think religion started like the idea of religion started with good intentions. But I think we suck. So, you know, we can't have good things. We can't have nice things. Um, so I think the original purpose, I believe, of religion was to give people purpose and guidance. Because from my experience in life, I think a lot of people just feel lost. They just feel like they're here. They just feel like they're just aimlessly living. They're just like, I'm alive and I'm doing stuff. And they're like, I
Yep.
don't know why. I don't know why I should care. I don't know what I'm doing this
Right.
for. And they don't necessarily have like a sense of purpose is that they're doing something for the sake that's bigger than them. Like, I'm doing this
Mhm.
because this is about bigger than me. I'm doing it because this thing
Mm.
is beyond me. I can't understand it. I don't have to understand it. Matter
Mm.
of fact, I don't even want to understand it, because it's bigger than me. And it's
Mhm.
greater, it's beyond me. So
Mm.
it's the scale, the grandiose scale that
Mhm.
religion is
Mhm.
able to give people, this sense of righteousness that you can't get anywhere else. Like,
Mm.
you get that the sense
Exclusive.
of morality, yeah. So you get it with religion. I think the purpose of religion is contextual, based off of who you might ask and who what it means to some people. But I think the basis of it is, originally it was a tool for guidance. It was a tool to give people a reason to persevere, move forward, have a sense of righteousness and a good sense of what they consider to be morality. I think that we turned it into a tool for control. I think that that's what we turned it into.
Mm.
Do you
That's
think that there's comfort in knowing that something or someone bigger than you understands things that you couldn't possibly understand?
Absolutely.
so.
Me and
So
mom, me and
yeah,
mom, we just talked about this, didn't we? We just
yeah.
talked about this. We were
Me
on
and Dalen literally had like a 3 hour discussion about this morning. Like we talk, me and
Wow.
Daquan literally dissect and unpack religion almost
all the time.
all the time. It's something that he and I, that and racism and discrimination and inequality,
Yeah.
inequity, we talk about those things constantly. So, one of my things that I want to be very clear about, I will be discussing religion a lot, and I'm going to tell you why. And because when I was young, I was brought up in a Christian household. I was made to speak in tongues. I was made to learn all of the Bible. You had to learn
No, she was talking about my little brother
Genesis,
Dalen.
Exodus,
She,
Leviticus,
she so
Deuteronomy.
she has
You had to
conversations
learn
like
them.
she does
It
with
was
me,
it
but she
was
has them with my little brother Dalen as
so
well.
forced upon me
So
that
like, cause I didn't just talk to her for 3 hours at the house. I wasn't even at the house, so
I had
she
so
was
many
having a conversation with
questions,
Dalen.
right?
But we did
And
just talk about this when we went to
I
pick up the
was
dog.
afraid to ask those questions because I felt like I would go to hell. I was actually told, you're actually told that you're supposed to just believe. You're supposed to just have faith. You're supposed to just, and I
My day's
couldn't
fine, Em. Thanks
because
for
I
asking.
had questions.
Having a good
Why
time.
can't you
Just
answer
pretty
my
tired.
questions? Why is
I'm
it
gonna go to
so
the store
hard
and
and so
probably
bad
just lay
for me
down
to have
and try to
questions?
rest up. It's a
I had
Sunday,
a
so I'm trying to take
problem
it
with
easy.
not being able to
Hope you're having a
ask
good day.
questions and feel a certain way without feeling like I'm going to burn in hell for eternity because I have a question, but yet and still someone who is a pedophile can ask for forgiveness and he will go to heaven before me who has all I got is a goddamn question.
Okay,
I
Ma,
can't ask a question or I'm going to burn forever. Okay,
Ma.
but I'm
I was
telling.
gonna say I think that we're jumping a little bit. Let's work our
Okay,
way
hold
to
on.
that.
But this is what I believe that Christian. This is what I believe what religion is. I believe that religion is something that is often forced upon us, that we don't have any option of accepting or not accepting. And we're not given, religion is not, we're not told about the different religions. You really are taught about one, and this is what you got to accept, and that's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I had no idea about other religions until I went to college and took philosophy and
Mhm.
religious studies.
Right.
And so I think that religion, I believe, both of you guys, I agree with both of you guys. I don't want to take religion from anyone, because I believe, like Candace said, that it is something that is really important for people to feel like this is my guide. And then to flip over to what Daquan said, this is my guide to something greater than me. This is so it's like an existential type of crisis where it's, who are we? What do we exist for? Why are we even here? And I think that we are so afraid to believe that there's nothing. This is what Dalen said. Dalen is just now turned 18. And someone got on me because they're like, what you teaching your kids? I'm teaching them to believe in what they feel. So Dalen said
Get
people
off
are
my
so
nail.
afraid that there's nothing after death. You know what I mean? That they need something to believe in. They need, like Daquan said, you need a purpose. You need something bigger than you to believe in, to make anything, especially the people who go through depression and things
They're
like that.
talking about
They
y'all.
need
They just said his
something
name so fast.
bigger to
Nah,
believe,
that does happen a
man,
lot
this
though.
life
That does
might
actually happen a
suck, but
lot.
there's something greater after
Oh, for
this.
sure. Yeah. Nah,
It's
my day's fine.
more, it's like the
It's fine.
Matrix. To me,
Go
religion
relax.
is the Matrix, to where in the Matrix there was a part where he was like, I know the steak didn't taste like anything, but at least when I was in the Matrix, it tasted good. And I want to go back to that. Honestly, if I could believe and it makes sense, it's easier to believe than to not believe. So I think that religion is both of what both of you guys said, and I think that it's necessary for people to feel alive, um, and to feel something. But I was able to escape that and feel it on my own through just knowing more about um, energy in the universe and space, things that could make more sense to me. Um, so I
You
think
know,
that I don't. Go
okay.
ahead, Candace.
None of us said freedom.
Ooh, wait a minute. What do you mean freedom?
We did. That
I
was
mean,
part of
and
what we
that
were talking about. Yeah. Or
yeah. So
or it was
I'm
supposed to be part of what we were talking about.
right. So I'm just pointing out, like, even in when I was thinking about, my response, and when you were describing yours, I'm like, okay, okay. And so just kind of rethinking like my response, and I was like, no, I never said anything about freedom. And I know the question is like, is it meant to,
Control.
is it more freedom or control? Right. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. So when I think about like guiding towards a good life, or being nice to others, or having a purpose, and feeling alive, and feeling like you're contributing to something
I'm very
bigger
much
than
atheist. I went to
yourself,
church a couple times.
Hmm.
I heard that
um
for her, not for myself.
does that
Oh yeah.
provide a sense of
Well, good for
freedom?
her for not forcing it on
Like,
you
because
guys.
even,
That's
and
good for
and I
her
hope this
for
isn't
giving
off
you guys the
topic, and tell me
opportunity
if
to
it is,
choose.
but even when we think about
Oh,
like
thanks,
how
Muslima.
people are speaking today,
Make sure I'm
or
pronouncing that
how
right.
we,
Is it Muslima?
yeah, how we talk about how we
I
want our
get to like
lives
while
to
you're here.
be, and
Thank
our
you, thank
mental
you.
health. It's like, I just want to be free. I want to be
You
free to
did.
be
You went to church a
me. I
lot,
want to
Em.
be
How
free to
did you feel about
say
that?
this. I want to be free to do this. I just want to have a
Yeah.
choice, like, and things
Yes.
like that.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the religion, and then specifically Christianity, like, there's
Okay, gotcha. I just wanted
freedom,
to make sure I was
which you
pronouncing it
can do
right.
whatever you want, and
Welcome,
then
welcome.
there's
Thank you for stopping by.
religion, which
Appreciate
is
that.
kind of the opposite,
I think
where
that's
it's
the
telling you like, no, you kind of can't do whatever you want. Well, I know there's differences, but Christianity specifically is like, you kind of can't do whatever you want. But in a way, if you follow these rules, this will create a life to where you will have the freedom to.
yeah, in the afterlife.
Well, no, I do see what you're saying. That's interesting though, Candy, is because the idea of religion, it kind of negates freedom. Like they don't really mix. And what I mean by
Mm,
that is like
What do we mean by freedom,
freedom
right? Because
freedom of autonomy, freedom of choice to choose
mm,
whether you even want to be part of that religion. Most of the time, historically, people didn't really get the choice to be like, I don't want to be Christian, because they was like, oh well, stabby stabby, like that's so
exactly.
that was that was
Bernie,
that
Bernie.
right. So it's interesting, but not even if you look outside of that, right? Of the whole idea of people for so long historically, there was wars waged. You know what I mean? You had kings taking over and then queens taking over, and whichever queen was in power or king was in power, if he was a Catholic or Protestant, they was hunting Catholics or Protestants down, and this was going on for all through the Dark Ages. You know what I mean? So
Why?
but
And
this, listen,
why?
listen, this all goes to the point of, so the idea of freedom outside of that, you don't even get for real when it comes to us and how we interpret religion and what we decide to do with it.
Mm.
Um, and so, but then you go into religion. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I,
You
it,
snapping next.
I didn't. I thought it was. My mic is here. I didn't think it would be like a pop and then y'all hear it.
Was a
No.
crunch.
So, well, look, I'll do the other side real quick. Just get that out of the way, because I was gonna have to do it anyway. I gotta pop it real quick, pop, lock, and drop it. Like it was 2008. Um, so you don't really get the idea of freedom on the outside of religion. But then, even when you are a part of that religion is giving up certain freedoms. To be a part of that religion. So, like when it comes to Christianity, it's seen as sinful to have premarital sex. But that goes against our natural biology and what our hormones tell us to do at younger
Ooh, damn,
ages.
that's a good point. I'm sorry, viewers. Did y'all hear that? Angela, hey Ron, hey Don,
Yeah,
hey
hello.
Patricia. Did y'all hear what he just said? I want you to
I
rewind
will.
that
I'll back it up then. Let's
and
go
say that
back.
again.
There was a lot of neck cracking again. All in that in between. I was cracking my neck a lot in there. So I literally broke up the what I was saying. Um. So my point is that when the idea of freedom, as you were saying, Candace, when it comes to religion, when we think about it, what I feel like your perspective is like almost optimistic, because it gives you, when you're part of that religion, you start to feel like a freedom, like I'm free to live my life in this way and for a greater glory and things like that. Absolutely. But from my perspective, it is quite the opposite, because historically how religion is portrayed and how it's played out for people who may not be a part of that religion, who even are of that religion but maybe violate, commandments of that religion, there's no freedom in it. So when people are going to war over religions, and you got wars waging in the Middle East and here in Europe and then in America, like you got people who are going to war for religion. Then you go into the religion itself, and there's religious doctrine and religious dogma that you have to obey. So isn't religion itself, the idea is sacrificing freedoms that you would normally have if you weren't part of that religion to be a part of that religion. And so my thing is that it's you can argue that it is, you have a freedom of it, but I feel like there's an just as valid argument of saying if you're part of that religion, you have less freedom on this side as well. Like, and my point that I was giving was that for people who have natural urges, if a person is homosexual and that is natural, that they can't control it, it's just how they feel. Or if a young person is having their hormones and they are attracted to their
Racing.
boyfriend or girlfriend, and they're shamed for those feelings or those urges or those feelings that they have, but they're like, this is just, that's, and it's, we've seen that it's part of our natural
Natural
biology
biology.
to be this way, to and then, so my whole thing is like, I feel like religion is more of it suffocates freedom rather than embraces it.
Okay, so let me say this really quickly because I know you got something to say, Candace. I see it right there on you. So let me say this real quick. I'm going to be 100 with all my viewers, with all your viewers, Candace, with all Daquan, with all of y'all's viewers. Even though I haven't felt more free in my life since I
You
walked
bought
away
off your
from
damn
religion.
self. I
When
can't
we talk
believe.
about
I
freedom,
can't believe
I
that.
feel like I can
I did
live
not
my
think people could
life
really hear
as
that.
I choose to, as
Oh,
a
thank you, Nessa.
human
Yeah,
being in an energy space,
yeah.
as
Yep.
an
That's my
energy
cousin on the
person,
top
as a
left, and
part of
top
this
right is my mother.
universe.
They are really
I
pretty.
feel now
I actually
that
had to get
I'm
my
not
clothes
going to
on
try to live by
because
man-made
they were looking so
rules,
pretty. I was like, hold on, I actually got to
because,
get myself
like
together because I
Daquan
was
said
not, I wasn't
earlier,
dressed up at all.
man has been effing up for a long time. Why in the F am I going to listen to what y'all said that I need to follow in order to make it to a place that nobody's been to? So y'all, men has failed miserably as far as I'm concerned. Humankind has failed miserably. And for me to listen to your guide to get to a heavenly place, to me, when I walked away from religion, I felt free. Those are the words that I can use, is I felt free. I didn't feel, I was afraid. I was scared I was going to go to
And I was
hell
saying that I wasn't dressed
for, oh
up
my God, I
when
don't. Oh my
I
God,
wasn't.
I
I did. I
asked a
had my
question.
onesie on,
You
my
know,
hood
just
up.
and
I
I
didn't have
got
my hair
tired
pulled
of
back. I didn't
feeling
have
like
anything
that. You know
on.
what I mean?
I
I
didn't
got
have the
tired of
shirt
feeling
on.
like,
I was just.
am I a
I was
bad person
tired.
because
I
I
changed my
didn't say
clothes and
my
everything
grace?
and
Am I
did
a
my hair
bad
and
person because I
everything
didn't
to
do this? I couldn't
because
do
they
that.
were looking
I
so
was
pretty. I was like,
tired
all
of
right, I gotta
feeling
join
like
the
that. I
pretty
just
club.
wanted to live. I just wanted to exist and be happy within my space and be appreciative of the earth and the air and the water, and you know what I mean? I just want it, wherever it is that I go, if it's back to nature, it's back to nature. If I don't go to heaven because I didn't follow this book, then that's what it is. Because maybe I don't want to be in heaven with a whole bunch of baby molesters and pedophiles and slave owners. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't want to be in that heaven where all they have to do is ask for forgiveness. I wanted to walk my own journey and my own path. Now, I will say this, when we talk about control, I think that is a necessity, right? I think that religion is a necessity to control human beings because, excuse my French, we're shitty. We are shitty to each other. So if we didn't have religion and people were allowed to just be as shitty as they wanted to, I think that it would be even worse than it already is. Because think about it. We have a lot of religions out there, but yet and still, as Daquan said, we got wars, we got rapists, we got pedophiles. Every time you turn on the news, it's something horrific. We got kids in Uvalde getting shot down. We got high schools getting shot down. We got babies dying of cancer. We got all this horrible stuff, this inhumane things that we do to each other as humans. Can you imagine if you watch
Never
any
heard her
movie
cussing all these
that's
years. Yeah.
apocalyptic and it shows
That's why if she
people,
ever does cuss, she's
oh,
always like, "Listen, pardon me, excuse me," because
they're
you know
going
whenever
crazy.
she's
What
saying
do
that,
they
she's
do?
like gonna say a
They
cuss
loot,
word
they
because
rape,
she's like me.
they
She has
shoot each
to
other
she
for
has
oil
to
and water,
emphasize whatever
and
it is that
they
she's saying.
show
So that just shows you
their
just how awful she thinks that
the
people are to each other.
ugliest of who they are as humans.
Oh,
So I feel that it
and
is
thank you,
a
Nessa. Thank you, Em.
necessity
I
to
just saw your
have
messages.
religion muzzle the F out of human beings
By the way,
who
I've been
to
watching the
me
heck out of that
have no
choreography
clue.
video.
We so effed up as human beings. And if this to and this is going
I never heard her cuss.
further, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop on my rant. But
But
if
his mom is
this is
feeling bored and
God's
stops her off and
creation,
clashes with one's intellectual perspectives and questions. Valid questions are often suppressed due to how
um,
uncomfortable it makes.
it's time to get your
Absolutely.
badass kids.
But think about it though, you know, Muslima,
Because they bad as
it's very
hell. You know
interesting
what I mean?
that
So
the idea of freedom,
I
you
just
know,
there's a lot of reasons that I walked away from
is where
religion,
we're
but
having this
I do
dialogue
believe
to
religion, even though it's
does
not for
religion
me,
promote freedom or
the
does it
energy's not for
strip it
me,
from
none
you?
of that
You
is for
know,
me.
and it's
I
very
do believe it's
interesting that
necessary for
people who
ugly
belong to
ass
certain religions will be like, oh,
evil ass
absolutely,
humans.
religions, you know,
Think that it
religion
helps
brought me
rein them
freedom. I
in.
feel
I
freer now that
help that
I'm
it makes
belonging to this
them
religion.
not
It's
be as
like
vicious
for
and
non-religious
nasty,
people,
even
we
though
feel
a
the
lot of the
opposite.
Republicans and a lot of the, yes, I said it, a lot of the Republicans, a lot of the races held Bibles up while they hung black people and broke them and, you know, enslaved them and raped black women and sold their babies while they had Bibles. Not to say that that was what the Bible was, because those people abused what the Bible was supposed to be. So you can't really say that that dictates what the Bible is supposed to be. But I do believe that the Bible, not the Bible, but religion itself is necessary.
Is this going
Control
to be
is
the live today?
necessary over
Most likely. I don't think
uncontrolled,
I have much planned
unethical
outside of
humans,
this.
if that makes any
Like I said,
sense.
I'm pretty
So even though
tired.
it's
I didn't
not
really
for
get a lot of
me,
sleep last night,
I would
so
not want to take religion
I'm going
and
to run
pull
to the
it from
store after
people
this
and
and
be like,
probably just
all of y'all need
rest
to be
up
woke.
on
You know
today.
what
But
I
I'll
mean?
definitely be back
Oh, none of y'all
Tuesday.
should
I
believe in
start school
religion
on
because it's stupid and it don't make no sense.
I actually
Nah,
start school on Tuesday, so I
y'all
just kind
stay
of want to be
bonded by
prepped.
that
I'm
religion
prepping for
because
school and
y'all
everything like
mother
that, so
effers will
it's gonna
tear
be
this
some stuff.
planet
But
up. worse than
Today would
y'all
probably
already
be a
have.
shorter
Y'all
stream,
need to
not a
stay locked
huge
up,
long stream or anything like
incarcerated
that.
by religion. So I believe
Hold
that
on,
it's
wait a minute.
necessary.
So hold on. I think I'm confused. So you said religion is, and I'm not trying to like pick apart what you said. I'm just trying to make sense. So religion is needed. You said, okay, religion is
Yes,
not for you. Let me say
not
Christianity
for
is
me
not
at
for
all.
you. You're spiritual. But religion, maybe specifically Christianity, is needed to control the
Yes,
bad people,
to control humans.
to
I
control
think yes, to
humans,
control humans.
to help
Yes.
them not be as bad. But we have
Yes.
religion, and there's still like
And
the world.
that's what I said.
You getting him a
So
bottle?
if you
So
can only imagine if we did not
so,
have
so
religion.
you so you think the Bible has helped though?
Absolutely. I think that it's helped and I think that it's hindered. I think
Okay.
that it's helped, like you both said, it gives people a greater sense of, because I know when I went to church, there was people, I know drug addicts
Are you
and
going live Monday?
people
Yeah, I'm going. Thank
who
you, Nessa.
have
I'm going live
found
Tuesday.
some
My
relief
my
in
schedule is
religion. You know what I
Tuesday,
mean?
Thursday, and
I'm
Sunday.
not gonna knock that at all. If that's somebody's
I
journey
definitely
and
need to
that's
put
what they
myself
find
on
that's
a
good in
schedule,
their
especially
heart,
with
then
school
keep
starting
that.
this
You
upcoming
know what I
week.
mean?
Put
But I
myself on a
do
schedule is just
believe
going to
that
make it
it's
so much
been
easier to stream.
helpful and beneficial because
There's one
people
so I
would
can't get
rather
behind all the
believe
hate
in
people pick and
something
choosing this
than
P.S. 4.
nothing.
Absolutely,
Does that
Nessa.
make sense?
You're absolutely
So
right.
Yeah.
people would rather believe in something greater than the possibility of there being nothing after this. I'm okay with there being nothing after this. I'm fine with that. And I think that that's where some people are okay with not being religious because we don't need the promise of heaven, and I don't fear a hell. You know what I mean? So I actually hope that there's a hell more than I hope that there's a heaven, because there was some nasty people who deserve a hell more than I would want to go to a heaven. I believe that there's some
Okay.
people who really need to be punished for their misdeeds more than I want to go float around with some people that I'm not going to know. I don't want to be around people no more. I'd rather be a tree.
I'm gonna read some comments. I'm gonna catch up on some comments. Okay.
We'll get
Um.
to my comments in a minute, y'all.
So no, they're your comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Brian was saying earlier, and this is a while ago, but I'm just catching up. So Brian was saying it's control. Ron said it's the
Brian is my
mindset
dude.
we were talking about. Yeah, like what it is. Um. Ron said that fake freedom is a hive mentality. Um.
What's
Patricia
that
said,
mean? Um,
oh
what
yeah.
does what does fake freedom mean? Go ahead,
Oh,
Candace.
that's when we were talking about like, is it really free? Like, are you really free? But you have all these rules.
Yeah.
And so I think what he's saying, and Ron, you can chime in if you want to, is like people are kind of catching on. It's similar to like the motivational speaking, right? So it's like if you if you have this product and you say that it solves these problems, and that
Snake oil.
one of those problems is not being free, then people just start to catch on. Ron says it's not the religion they fight for, it's a different understanding of the same exact writings as when we were talking about the wars, how they still have wars over
Hmm.
religion.
Yeah.
Kelly agreed with you about leaving the church, I believe, or leaving religion, I should say.
Yeah. I felt more free living. That's just my journey.
I've been on both sides. Very much a cognitive dissonance that comes with
Um,
convincing myself how to define and
Dennis
redefine the
said, if you
definition of
teach them
freedom.
to
Neither
believe what they
religion
feel,
nor
this is back to your comment about
absolutely.
what you
That
teach your
was my
kids.
whole
If
point
you
about
if you
the
teach them to
religion is
believe what they
that
feel,
it's easier to just say
if they believe
I
that
don't
they are
know,
a
and
cat, can they walk around your house and use meow to
this is
communicate with
beyond me,
you?
and
Well,
Your
first of
feelings
then
all,
can teach
let
you
me
how to
they're
respond to
think.
definitely
that.
some that deserve to be
You need
held
to
Saying
learn how to
accountable.
do
if
that.
I okay, first of all, I'm not ignorant.
Should have
So
read that first.
what did he say?
I said I should have read that comment first.
So what do you mean if I let them have the choice to believe? Because I'm not dogmatic, and I'm not going to force the same thing down my kid's throat that was forced down mine without knowledge of any other. There's Buddhism, there's Hinduism, there's so many other. There's just plain out spirituality, which is where we're from. May I make mention, we're not from Christianity. Let me just throw that out there. We were spiritual people. We were connected to earth. So if we go, that's a whole nother thing for me. Don't get me started, because if you really want to be Christian, you really want to be religious, get out there and clean this damn earth up. If this is a gift from God, then every church on the planet should be out here cleaning her up, because she is what sustains us. Yes, I said she. So please don't come to me talking about what if my kids want to be a cat. Do I look like a damn moron? You know what I mean? Don't come for me. As a
That's
matter
a
of fact,
weird
this is
question.
my son. This is my son down here,
It's
I,
who's one of the most philosophical people that I've ever met in my life.
so may
You know
I
what I mean?
may I hear the criticism or comment? I was away for a quick second, stepped away. I heard something about something a cat. What about a cat?
Basically, I've
It's
had people. Basically, I've
it's a
had
long
people.
comment, so I'm not going to read the whole thing.
It's a long comment or
It's a long comment, so I'm not going to read the whole thing.
okay.
But it's on Tasha's live. But
Oh,
the
I
part
don't
that
have her
I
live up.
read, the part that I read was, if you teach them to believe what they feel, if they believe they're a cat, can they walk around your house and use meow to communicate with you?
Oh, well,
That was the part.
that's just that's nonsensical.
Exactly.
Because what? Like
Like what? What does that have to do with religion? If
and then but
yes, my kids actually acted like dinosaurs when they were
I
little.
really did, but I knew I wasn't a dinosaur. But I had the freedom to act like I was a dinosaur if I wanted to, because I had an imagination. I wanted to be a velociraptor sometimes, like, but I knew I was still a person. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't. It's just interesting because that's such a weird direction to go.
Targeted.
It's a weird direction because it's like as if not teaching them Christianity means that they're now going to think that they're a cat person.
No, okay.
You know what I
So
mean? Like, it's such a
the
weird.
cat was like a
I get
Metaphorical.
it
it,
was like a
yes,
metaphor, but
it was an
it was
analogy to further to set up. Like I said, I'm not going to read the whole comment, but to basically try to say, like, you can't lead with your feelings. That's what I'm
Yes, you
why
saying.
not?
absolutely can.
Lead
Yes, you
with,
absolutely,
but you lead
because
not in every situation. I'm not agreeing with him at
no, I
all.
hear no.
But what I'm
Religion
saying is,
itself,
like,
religion
your feelings
itself
change all the
tells you.
time.
Right. But
Religion
that's
itself
isn't that
tells
good?
you. No, but religion itself tells you
It's
to
not.
blindly have faith. It tells you to have faith. What is faith?
Well,
Faith
we
is a
blindly
feeling.
have faith every day. You go outside believing that you're not going to die.
No, we don't.
Like,
No, I don't.
We
No,
actually
I
do
don't.
quite the opposite.
okay,
We say it all the
well,
time to
y'all
where it's like,
don't
hey,
say.
tomorrow's not promised, so live today like, like it matters, right?
Okay, but there are people out there
Mhm.
who are not religious and
Right.
who do not, like, who just have faith in things. Like, that's kind of not thinking about death and
But
not
what you
being
just
morbid.
said is
Mhm.
my whole point. We are feeling based humans. We're humans, so we
Yes.
have feelings. So
But
for
if you
it,
follow, but what I'm saying is, you can't trust your feelings all the time. Sometimes your feelings will tell you that you don't feel like doing something and you know you should. So what I'm
I agree.
saying
I
is,
agree.
at the very root of it, broadly,
Mhm.
no, you can't just say, "Oh, I feel like I'm going to do this.
But I
I'm
don't
go
think
that
that's what
way."
we're
Like, there's
advocating
that's
other
for,
what
things that you
Candy.
have to
that is what
consider.
religion is. Religion
And
is a feeling, because religion isn't proven. So religion
what?
is a feeling. They feel a specific way about God and about heaven and about hell, and that's why they believe in the religion, because it is how they feel. So
Religion is not purely based on feelings, though.
But it's
That's
not
not
purely
in
based
its
on fact
entirety.
either, though.
No,
it,
that's not what I said.
No,
But what
I'm just trying to
it's not
understand
purely
what.
based on feelings. Like, it wasn't generated based off of how somebody felt. That's what I'm saying.
No,
kind of
I don't
was.
think that we're saying that per se. I don't know if mom's saying. From my interpretation, I'm saying that people who follow it, they follow it because they have these feelings about that religion, and
It's
they
the
have
right
that
thing to do.
feeling about Jesus and about God and about their interpretation of that religion. Is that not the same thing as following spirituality or anything like that? Because at the end of the day, it all comes back to how that person feels about that
Yes,
religion.
feelings.
You
Yes,
know,
feelings are involved.
right.
I was just saying that that's not the basis, and so maybe that's still where we disagree.
So what do you
Now
think is the
now
basis, cousin?
because we can, huh?
What do you think is the basis of of that? If you don't believe
Of
that it
like
is like feelings, if it's not based in feelings, what do you feel like it is not based
like
in? Because I, you
why
know,
people are drawn to religion.
hmm
It could be a variety of things. Like, I mean, we just talked about one. You're taught it. Whether you feel it or not, that's what you learn
true,
as that's
true.
how you're supposed to do things.
hmm
And then along with that, feelings may come or you may learn it and then you start to react away to it. So that's where I'm coming from. So I don't know if we're
Okay, yeah.
if we're saying the same
I
thing,
say
but when
Trick.
I think about religion, I'm
Just
like,
because I don't control our lives.
you don't always feel it. Like at eight,
Oh, you
9, I
texted it to
didn't
me?
feel nothing, but I was a Christian. Like I didn't feel it until later. So
But
so
you
that's where
felt like it was
that's
the
where I'm
right
coming
thing to
from.
do because you were told, right? So even at a young age, I was afraid, which is a feeling. I was afraid that if I didn't function in a certain way, that I was going to go to hell. I felt that way at a
Yes,
young
that's
age
that's how
because I
you're
was told that
taught.
at a
Yes,
young age. So that was a feeling. I was religious. I was Christian because I was made to fear going to hell. I feared going to hell more than I
yes,
felt like
wanting to go to
going to
heaven.
heaven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was always fear based for me, and that was a feeling. And you're often told, "Oh, you better do this. Or you're gonna go to hell. You're gonna go to hell." You know what I mean? So fear within itself is one of the things that is heavily beat into your head when you're young, which
Yeah.
to me as a young person, that's terrifying. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to feel like that. I did not want to walk around and feel afraid to go to hell all the time. It was exhausting to me. It was exhausting to me trying to go live up to the standards of all of these things that the Bible said that I should be and do, when to me I'm just going to be a good person or a
Hey,
kind
Mug
person
Chick.
because my feelings,
Hello.
I know how it feels to hurt. I know how it feels to be depressed. I know how it feels to be emotional. I know how it feels to be broken. I know how it feels to be broke. I know how those things feel. And I, as a human, don't need a book nor a Bible to tell me to not make another person
But
feel that way.
you as you human,
Yes,
because
correct.
yes.
But I did say that I feel like religion is necessary for people who don't
Yeah.
have empathy like me. You know what I mean? Everybody's not built like that. But for
So
him to say, because don't believe that it's not just him who I've come up against opposition because I did not raise my kids in church and I didn't raise my kids to be Christian and religious. And Daquan was coming to me with some powerhouse questions at 5 years old that was knocking my socks off, and I'm like, "You're going to hell," you know what I mean? Because that's how I was taught. You know what I mean? So then, when I went to college and learned that wasn't even our original walk. You know what I mean? When I started studying um, Native Americans and when I started studying African spirituality, it just made more sense to me that we would be more connected with the universe and with earth than the Bible and religion did for me. Spirituality made more sense and felt better to me. So where I don't want to pull religion from people, I do want people to who are afraid like I was to know that you there's options. there's Don't be afraid. You know what I mean? Like what are we afraid of? And that is where the question comes from. Is it control, or is it to get to heaven? Right? So if it is to control, what are we controlling? With the slave owners, it was to control, black people. So, well, the people that they were enslaving. So we know that part. Why else do we feel like people are? I think that what Daquan said, I think that it started out good. It started out with good meaning. But then even when you go back where people were sacrificing people because they wanted their soil to grow, and they go and they tell these other tribes, "Hey, let us sacrifice you because it's the right thing to do, because if you give yourself freely, then you're saving, the Zulu god will save the whole entire, tribe if you give yourself. So I believe that I I don't know. I believe that it's it's good and it's bad, and I just really don't have an answer for why we have religion, except for I think that it's necessary because, like you asked me, Candace, yes, I believe that we have really some people who would be even more out of control if they didn't have religious control. They have something to fear, which is hell. They have something to look forward to, which is 100 virgins when they go to heaven. You know what I mean? So I believe that it's good, but then I believe that it's bad for people like me who were
And that's always
afraid
crazy.
to
You're
walk
supposed to do
away
good
from
because
it
it's good, not because
because
you are
I
afraid of
thought
being
that
punished.
I was
Motivation
going
for
to
the
heaven.
good matter too. Absolutely.
But that
And
is,
they always feel
you
like they
have
have
an
to be the ones to
issue
teach you what
with
is good and what is bad. I feel like we do have an
the
innate sense of what is right
experience
and what is wrong. Hurting people,
you
No, I have
have
an issue.
with
got
I
to
have
get a
an
sense.
issue with
Unless you're
religion
religion.
within
sociopathic,
itself
which is a
because it
mental
has an
You
condition,
issue.
have
you'll typically know what is
an
good and bad.
issue with,
Do you
okay.
think about special needs
Um,
people who don't have a single thought about
I
religion? They're going
think
to hell
like
with since
because
does that make
when
when
you
they are
talk,
often
like
the
you
most
go a
innocent
lot of
among us?
different places, and it seems like
It's crazy because like
it's more
they think
than
about
kind
the
of
I
like
think about
what
that because I
we're
think about
talking
like
about,
animals,
and
right?
so I'm
Like
trying to like
dogs, right? Dogs are some
To
of
follow.
the
bring it back,
purest
to bring you back to
beings,
me.
Yeah. So
purest
like
beings
because
among us.
I
They protect
think,
us,
and
they
I'm
look
not trying to
after us,
like
they
tell you
guard
how to
us,
feel, but I'm
they
telling you
love
what
us
I'm
unconditionally,
hearing.
and
So
apparently
like,
they don't get to go to heaven.
sorry, I was taking notes.
It's so weird because it's like,
um
if
Go
a
ahead,
you were
person
like
dies and they
you were
want to go to
overwhelmed with
heaven,
the
is their
burden of
dog not
having
going to
to
go to heaven
follow a
with
whole
them
bunch of
because they
rules that
love
you
their
didn't
dog
understand.
unconditionally? It's a
And
lot of
just like you
questions I
Not
said, it
that
have.
I
wasn't
didn't. It's not that
proven,
I didn't
and it was
understand them. It
no,
was
no, you had questions, and I'm not saying that you didn't have the capacity to understand, but you had questions. You feared having questions. The answers that you did have questions to led you to going to hell, and you have the stress and anxiety of having to perform a certain way in order to meet this goal that you don't even know exists, and nobody is telling you and reaffirming you that yes, it exists, and here's the proof in
Hmm.
order to make you feel comfortable, in order to keep going down that path.
Right.
And then along the way, you're encountering all of these negative experiences that as a human shouldn't be happening to you. And that
not
has kind
that
of
shouldn't
brought
be
you,
happening. It's that it shouldn't be happening to me. I
I mean,
think
it shouldn't be happening
humanity.
in general. Like
Yes,
it's
and
Yeah.
negative.
humanity to me, I think just humanity, in my opinion, just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good out there, but humanity to me, they're getting it wrong. You know what I mean? So I don't have an answer for why there's religion, but I do believe that it's necessary. You know what I mean? So I'm just telling my personal
Yeah.
and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe this show should have just basically been about, is it for control or is it, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, did people make religion for control? Because you've had Zeus and you had the God of war and you had the God of love. What was it all for? What were all of these gods for?
Well, you
To
just said it.
control what and why?
Oh, I thought you meant like who were they for? It's like you said the God of War. That's what he was for. He's the war. When you went to war, that was your guy. Uh,
But
So I
as you
had
go along further,
Hold
you
on, let me
you
read this
you
message.
find different
Dennis
explanations though, right?
Dennis Connor said, "Faith is not a feeling; it is a gift." See, you are mistaking a way of life or religion. They are not one and the same. See, you jump all over because of what I said. What every listener did you the same way. And you should read my full comment and understanding what I'm saying. The Bible doesn't teach that men do. Once again, read the Bible for yourself. I've read the Bible. There's really honestly, the man wrote a Bible. I'm going to be as plain and clear as I possibly could be because I don't need the Bible. Man can't tell me, man cannot tell me what's after because no one's been there. Only person who said that this exists is man. And man is pretty crappy, so I'm not going to believe what a man said. The man also said that a woman is only a part of a man. We came from a man's rib. I'm not going to, and only men wrote the Bible. Women didn't even write the Bible. So there, if you want to get into why I don't believe into it, there's a host of different reasons. I'm fine. My soul's going to be just fine. If a rapist can get into heaven and a child pedophile could get into heaven, my soul's okay. I don't, when he says faith is not a feeling, it is a gift. I have a gift, which is freedom, which is religious
but that's
freedom.
interesting though, Mom. Don't you think that's interesting that he says faith is a gift when in and of itself faith is a
It's a
feeling.
feeling.
It's literally a feeling, you know. And but the thing is, his interpretation of faith is that it's a gift. You feel that faith is a gift. And it is because you have faith in people. You know, you might have faith in your father to do well at his job, or, you know, your daughter to do well at her swim meet. You have faith in her. You believe in her. And that is a gift. It's precious. It's wonderful to have. But it's interesting that it's, you know, it's saying that faith is not a feeling when faith in and of itself is a direct feeling, and it's a great feeling. It's like saying love isn't a feeling, it's a way of life. No, it's a feeling. It's definitely
Yeah,
a feeling.
I was gonna respond to you, Daquan, when we were talking about like was it based in feeling? And I was like, I see how you can all trace it back to a
A
feeling
feeling.
because ultimately you go with what you feel.
We-
I was thinking more along the lines of like, I don't know. Like I know like I'm thinking because sometimes you feel like you don't want to go to work, but although you feel like you don't want to go there,
Mhm.
like you're still going to go, but that doesn't really negate the feeling that you're having. And so when it
Yeah.
comes to religion, um there's definitely you feel when you pray.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter like what God you're praying to, you have to put your mind in a space where you are believing. And even when you're like, okay, because I'm really into like goal setting and stuff, even when you are doing like self help and things like that, like you do exercises that are very similar to what you would do in religion. So you're
Mhm.
closing your eyes, you're visualizing, you're making sure your environment is reflective of the things that you want in
Right.
your life, and you are feeling that things are going to happen in your favor, and you're
Yes,
feeling, you're
yes,
believing, you're
right.
saying to yourself, I am strong, I am talented, I am doing all these things. It's the same thing as you waking up and saying to yourself that dang, I just lost all of my
No, I
scripture.
love it. I
Yea,
love
though
it.
I
Keep
walk through the
going.
valley of the shadow of death, I shall feel no
Mhm.
evil. Like that's
Yes,
it's really no different than waking up. Like the process is the same. You're waking up, you're believing in whatever you want to believe in, and then you
yes,
just insert religion or insert thing there.
Yeah.
And
correct,
it's you're being led by your feelings. And even
correct.
if it is a feeling that you may not agree with, you have another feeling coming to counteract that feeling to
Yeah.
like get you
Yeah.
to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So I see where you're coming
Well,
from.
I think that's like why I feel like, and I agree with what Mom says, is that we humans, we are all feelings. That's all we are. That's how we know like we're social
Feelings and
creatures.
moments.
Like we're social creatures because we go crazy without social interaction of some kind. And that's all
Right.
based in feeling. So it's like your example of the prayer. You know, you can have multiple sides of, oh, I'm praying because I feel this way towards my deity or who I believe in, and I'm Muslim, so I must pray 6 times a day to
Yes,
satisfy my, my God.
yes,
And
And if
or
you don't feel at
or and
peace,
and then
right?
even that, right? Sometimes you might sit down and pray and be like, I really don't feel like praying, but I gotta pray because if I don't pray, something bad might happen. So
yes,
there's so
yes.
many.
That
There's
part.
no matter where you are in your religion or where you are on the religious spectrum, whether it's hyper religious, or whether you're just kind of like, I'm religious, I claim Christianity, but I don't really go to church. And no matter where you are, it is all based in your feelings. It's all based in how you feel. Your actions that you take towards everything are based in reasons, in emotions and feelings. So
Yeah.
but I do agree to a certain extent about when you say we don't all just do things based in feeling. I do agree with that because I might feel angry in a moment and be like, I want to
But you
throw
don't
something,
act on it.
but I rationalize and say, that's not the smart thing to do. Let me count to 10 and walk outside, take a deep breath, right?
Yes,
That's what I knew I should do, even though it's not what I wanted to do because emotionally I was
yes,
angry and I wasn't thinking. So I
Mm.
yes.
do agree with you on that context because I know that we are emotional and we can, do things without needing to be based in feeling. But my counter to that is through my anger, I felt like lashing out was wrong. So I
Mhm.
chose not to do it. I had two feelings that were conflicting in that moment. I had
Mhm.
anger and I had potential regret. And I was like,
Yes.
do I want to deal with that feeling that I'm
Yeah.
having now, and I
Mm,
know I'm going to
that's
regret.
powerful.
So let me choose one path of emotions to go down. So no matter where you're at and where you're going and what you're going based in feelings. You do things because you want to feel good about them. You want that dopamine,
Yes.
you want that serotonin, or you don't want the negativity that you might get if you do a
Yeah.
bad thing. You know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that we're all feelings.
Right. Now let me answer. So, hey Netta, thank you guys, so many of you for joining. This is such a powerful topic. Um, so Dennis said,
You're
if
getting on
the
my
earth
nerves.
is what takes care
Listen,
of you, which it is,
he's
that's
not out of the
without
ordinary
question,
in this conversation. You get a
then
lot of
why do
this.
we have to take care of it? What? What
Wait,
do
say
you
that
mean?
one more
Why do
time,
we
Ma.
have to take care of
Say
it?
that one more time
What
for
do
me,
you-
Ma.
If the earth is what takes care of you, then why do we have to take care of it? Can't it do that for itself? The God that the Bible talks about don't need me to do anything for him except tell you that he exists. Yeah, he needs you to worship him all the time.
Right.
Um, Young man, this for you, Daquan. Growing up, did you feel that your father and mother would provide for you, or did you know they would? Did you feel they would, or did you know they would? And you knew they would tell me how you came to that. And knew how tell me how you came to that conclusion that you knew me and your dad would take care of you.
Hmm.
Was it from a feeling, or was it because you saw them do it time and time again? I'm going to let Daquan answer that question, but before he does, I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to say
wanted
this.
you guys to answer and respond to, the first bit
So,
of that because I know that was addressed to you guys.
first of all, when it comes to what I can see and what I can feel the sun beaming down on me. I could drink the water that's from the
I
earth.
said to people
Why do
wrote
we need to
Bibles
take
and then
care of it?
translated
Because it's
and
polluted
did all
right
this.
now.
Yeah.
Because the
And I
ozone
can't
layer
trust that.
is
When pages
is
fall from heaven,
because
pre-written
global warming.
surviving,
I
entering
mean,
the
the
atmosphere,
question
I will take
itself
a
to
look at
me
that.
is like,
That's
are you
actually,
serious that you just asked me
that's
that
so
question?
funny.
Not trying to be
Because they're
mean.
like, God wrote this. And
I
it's like,
love all
did
of
he
you guys,
though? Or
but
did
that
you write
question
that and
itself,
say
why
God
do we
wrote
have to
that?
take
Like,
care of
come
earth?
on. Like,
Because if
let's
it's a
let's just
gift
talk
from
about it.
God, you
It's like,
should
oh,
want to
you
take
can you
care of it.
can't you
And
better
it
not
needs to be
ask me
taken
that
care of
question.
because we're destroying it.
That's
We
gotta be
we
Dennis.
have you
Listen,
looked
I
up
promise you,
videos in
Nessa,
India? Have
Dennis
you
is
seen
not.
the
That's why I
recyclables
don't
go over there?
really
Have you
get
seen the
combative about
ocean?
that. My
Have you seen
mom
all of the
is
trash in the
combative by
ocean?
nature,
Have you seen the animals in
but
the
I
underworld?
don't
Did you
really get
see the
combative
coral
like that
reefs are
because Dennis
dying?
is not
Did
alone
you
in those
I mean,
feelings.
really, did you
There's a big
really
part of the
ask
religious
me
group that
why we
feels
have to
like,
take care of the
oh,
earth? Do you see the trash
don't
on the
criticize
grass? Do
Christianity
you know that
because that's
we're
wrong.
trying
And it's
to
like, well, that's the
avoid
reason why
the
I'm not a
freaking
Christian is
not even
because
being able
I
to
feel
have
like I should
air?
have the
Because
freedom to
I can't
criticize
even
something.
begin to
Doesn't mean
tell
that I'm
you
speaking ill
why
of it
we
or
as
saying
humans need to
negative
take
and
care of
saying I
the
hate
earth,
it,
because we should see that we're destroying it like a cancer. So I don't even know where to start with you on that, except for to scold you like I'm your parent. So furthermore,
Bad
as
human.
far as and yes, I get real because I could never be a politician because I get really upset. So what do you mean you would? Okay, I want to be very clear on this. I'm not religious. I believe very heavily in God, very heavily. Do not anymore. I don't know what I do know is that I don't know. I don't have the answers. And neither does any human that walks this face of the earth. I'm sorry. You can't, there's nothing that you could tell me that any human has told you that you know what
Saying,
happens when we leave here. We have no idea. Humans need to believe in something because they're afraid to believe in nothing. I'm okay if I leave here and there's nothing. It's to think that you'll never see your loved one again. It will drive a person insane to think of nothing after this, to think that you never see your loved one again, to think that we're just matter, that we just go back to ashes, dust to dust, and it's just over. We're so afraid to think like that. I don't know if that's what happens. I don't know. I can't tell you that. But I don't need to fear hell or to feel like, oh, I need to praise this God in order to get to this place that nobody knows. All I know is that I want for you to feel okay because you're my fellow human being. I don't need a God for that. I don't need a Bible for that. You know what I mean? I want for kids in India and Africa and places like that to have fresh drinking water. I don't want them to be hungry. I don't want us as humans to be the way that we are, not because I believe in God, but because that's just the human in me. So when you're talking about God, that's what you were taught. That's who you were told is real. But before God, there was Zeus. Before that, there was the sun god. So there was other gods before God. So were they wrong? I just don't need to believe in that. I just don't need that. So just like I'm not going to tell you to not believe, I've been very clear that if you're religious, keep the religion. That's fine because it makes you feel good. Don't try to. That's one of the reasons that I was just telling Candace that I walked away because it's so dogmatic. You shouldn't have to force that on me because yes, it is a feeling, and I'm not feeling it. So go ahead, Daquan. You can answer his question
Well,
that
I'll
he
let
asked you
Candace.
about me
I
and your
feel like
parents.
Candace, you probably have some words that you'd like to say as well. So I'll let you um go ahead
Wait,
and
in
get a word
response
in.
to him?
Well, I figured you might have want to get a word in about whatever you had going on and probably respond to
No,
that as well.
I was actually looking at the Vanessa's comments on YouTube, and I was kind
Oh,
of
she's
chuckling.
pissed. She's pissed.
She is like
Yeah,
amping you up.
she's
Gotcha.
she's pissed. She
She mad at
but
me?
no,
No, I
she's
want to
with
hear
you.
your
She's
answer, Daquan.
Yeah, she's pissed because she doesn't like the way that she feels Dennis is talking to you. She's like
I get that
she's
all the
well
time.
she's
Um,
like you. She's combative and she owns that. She's very combative by nature. So she knows it. She's like, I don't like that, like he disrespectful.
well,
Like
people
so,
feel like
but I'm like, hey,
people actually think that I'm negligent or bad parenting because I didn't teach my kids that way.
Well, yeah.
They're
right.
just like, it's astonishing to them. You didn't teach your kids that way. And to them, it's like,
But are you
dude,
surprised?
what?
Like when that happens, are you surprised?
I am. I am. Especially if they know my children. You know what I mean? For them to even question that's not how I brought my kids up, and that I gave them freedom to choose their religion or their walk and their journey as a human being on this earth.
Like they
Um
would have the nerve to approach you that way, or that they would think
no,
like,
not that they had the nerve to approach me that way because I try my best to allow people their freedom. There we
mhm,
go, their freedom
mhm.
of religion. But I don't want people to take my freedom away
Yeah,
from me because
Yeah, I
right.
because
told her that
don't
you,
be dogmatic about
that
how
you're
I
raising
feel
yours
when
the
in the
same way
very
that my
beginning
mom
we
raised
were
me.
spiritual people,
He's
we
getting more and
weren't
more
Christians.
disrespectful. Yeah.
So the fact that people
I
even
swear,
come at me
listen,
like that, like my
this is
kids are
not abnormal.
somehow.
You get people like
Candace, I'm gonna
that and
tell
they're
you,
so dogmatic
I used to
and
always
they're
get a
that
lot
way.
of I was into witchcraft and oh my God,
Mhm,
they were burning people at the cross who felt
mhm.
like I did. You know what I mean? They were burning them as witches. So you were unable to believe in what our roots are, which is spirituality, which is herbs, which is, you know what I mean, crystals, which is energy, which is water, which is,
Yeah.
we're looked at as being, oh, if you're not with them, you're the devil.
Well,
You know what
yeah,
I
like
mean?
it's very exclusive. But Daquan, go ahead.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm replying to this specifically. So the question in itself was saying like, because I can't remember exactly what he said. I don't know if you have it on there. Just read that part back to me to make sure, because I want to make sure that I'm not going off on a tangent about something else that he didn't address.
Yeah, it says, young man, growing up, did you feel that your father and mother would provide for you, or did you know they would? And you knew they would and you knew they would tell me how, wait. And if you knew, then tell me how you came to that conclusion. Was it
How did
from a
you know that they would
feeling?
take care of you? He
Right.
didn't because my mom died at
Was it a
16. So
feeling, or was it because you saw them do it time and time again?
Uh, so it was a little bit of both, but I guess that's not a question for me per se, because as a kid, I never operated in absolute certainties, ever. I
no, he
never,
never did.
I
When I
never
tell you he
ever
never
believed
did,
anything was guaranteed.
Never did.
So it was never like, oh, my mom's gonna take care of me. My mom's gonna do. I'm like, hey, like it was always just kind of hoping that things will work out for the best and doing whatever I could to just be the best me, I guess. So like, cause even at a younger age, when Dalen came around, I was 11. And so my initiative that I felt like I had to take was, okay, when they gotta go do something with the cars, let me get the little man and watch him so they can do what they gotta do to make it easier for them to provide for us. So it was never like a guarantee, like, oh, they gonna do it, but it did come to a point. So that's why I say it's a little bit of both, right? Because it wasn't necessarily just a feeling; it was the fact that I had faith in them. I believed in them. I believed in their potential and their work ethic. So it was like it wasn't that I seen them do it time and time again because I seen them struggle. So I also seen their inability to get us everything that we was hoping we could get and that we wanted, and provide everything that we all was hoping we could get. It was the fact that I had faith in my parents more than I had, this guarantee or this idea that I was just like, oh, I've seen they've done it before, they're gonna do it again. It's like, no, but I do believe that y'all have the ability to do it, you know. So I'm having trouble answering that question in a concise manner, but to
So
answer it clearly, it's I think it is a sense of both. It's not that it's like, oh, they did it and they're gonna do it again, and it's I believe and it's guaranteed. But I did believe that they had the ability to do it if things worked out that way. But
But
sometimes
you
they
know
didn't.
what? I think that question took us off of religion because us raising you has nothing to do with God.
Well, it
It
was a
has nothing
question,
to do.
so we just wanted to answer it.
I know, but it
I
really
think
has
it's
nothing
more
to do with
so
religion.
about feeling something versus knowing something, because we talked about how faith isn't a feeling. And
Right.
so I think he's trying to
Patch it.
compare.
Of knowing
No,
that they were going to
I
take
think
care of
he's
me
trying.
rather than feeling like they were going to take care of me.
Exactly.
And
Like
that's
did you feel, and
I.
and based off of what we talked about
Mhm.
earlier, we said that faith was a feeling, right? You
Yes.
feel
Yes, you feel.
you
And that's
feel
why I
things are going
use
to
that
work
word
out.
faith, but I also said I don't work in absolute certainty, so I didn't know. I didn't know nothing. You know what I mean? To
But
say I
you had
know they're going to bring home the bacon and they going I don't know. But I
He doesn't
believed,
know
I have
because we
faith
could have
in it,
got a divorce
but I also have faith
to
in
me.
something that was tangible for me. It was something that
Tangible.
wasn't just like I wasn't just blindly following the whims of my parents. It was that I do have faith in these people who have proven time and time again, along with his statement, they've proven time and time again that they are capable of doing good and capable of providing. So I do have faith in their ability to do that. you
So
know
And
let
you
me
believe
let
they
me
will unless something changes. Like,
Right.
yeah, if
So that's
everything
but and that's
stays
also
the
my thing is
same,
that
like
that's
you
why I
said.
say I don't know, because I
right,
also knew that as much
Netta.
as my faith I had in them, that still isn't going to guarantee getting bread on the table.
No, and I agree, bringing this back to religion,
Mhm.
which is why I was like,
Looping it back
I
around.
think it's still on topic,
Right. Cuz it
because
is
I
it's
think.
adjacent for sure.
Yes, because I have felt that way many a times, like when I've prayed, or even outside of prayer, like applying for a job. Like you
Mhm.
can be like, yeah, I got the skills,
Yep.
I got the resume and stuff
Mhm.
like that, but you don't know if you're going to get it, but you know
Absolutely.
you're capable
Yes.
and you have the ability to get it.
Mhm.
So I can pray and I can ask God to do things for me, and I know he's fully capable of doing it.
Right.
But where textbook would say, like, the strengthening your faith would be to step fully into that, to say, no, I know it's going to happen. That's how much I believe, whether it's a feeling or not. That's how much I believe I'm going to
Right.
get that job,
Right.
because look at me. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
That's how much
Right.
I believe that God is going to come through for me, because
Right.
look at him.
So,
So it's very simple. Like, that's how much I believe that my parents are going to
mhm. Yeah.
provide for me,
Yeah.
because look at them.
So
Look at
so
what they
my question, right? My question actually to you and to Dennis and to anybody else who might be religious is if you turn that back, right? As far as a religious standpoint, if my parents were unable to provide for me through all of my belief and all of my faith, would I be wrong for feeling like I had been neglected by them for their inability to do so. And the reason why I asked that is because
Question.
for you in that situation when you're saying I need this job, I'm capable of getting this job, I
Mhm.
deserve this job,
Mhm.
God gonna look out for me on this one. If you got that job, you would be like,
Mhm.
thank God, God looked out,
Yeah.
He hooked me up.
Yeah.
Won't He do it? He hooked me up. But if you don't get that job, does that mean He won't do it? He
Mm.
wasn't looking out. Does that mean that and would you be wrong for feeling like, dang, I've been doing good. I've been trying to give back. I've been trying to be nice. I've been trying to be
My kid
kind.
died.
And
My
and
kid
and
got
so it's
cancer.
like I really needed this opportunity. I really needed this, and it didn't happen. And now you lose your apartment or you lose your house. So it's like,
Mhm.
would you be wrong for feeling like you were forsaken or you were neglected? And the only reason why I asked that question is because it ties back into that. You have faith in something, and you put that faith into something that just didn't reciprocate what that faith was valued to you.
Mhm.
Would you be wrong for feeling neglected or abandoned like many people
Mhm.
who turned from the church do?
I would say no. You don't. Now back to like the feelings, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
because feelings are a reaction and it's normal to feel rejected, to feel abandoned. That's what
No,
happens.
it means
Now
it
what you
wasn't in your
do
path.
after
That's
those
very I
feelings
was getting to that as
is,
well.
based off of your faith or how much you believe in whatever lets you down.
Mm.
So, like, no, you're not wrong to feel like, dang, like, really? Like, for real? Like, I
Mhm.
thought we
Mhm.
was, we were on the same page. But again, textbook would say that, it's not a no, it's a not right now,
Mhm.
or there's
Mhm.
something better, or there's something
Absolutely.
you can learn from this situation. Like,
Absolutely.
and I think that plays a lot into where you are here and how resilient you are to like, okay, fine. I didn't get this. I thought it was right. It felt right. It
Mhm.
felt right,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. Okay, what else is out there?
Right.
Like, there's got to be something else because
Right.
I still have faith that my God is looking out for me. I still have
Right.
faith that my skills didn't change.
Right.
So what else is there? Because there's something for me.
And
So
that's
I
that's
guess I
actually
would.
what Josh was saying. Josh is in my chat, so hello to Josh. Hello, friend.
Hey,
He was
Josh.
he did make that point that I was actually going to. I was hoping that I would hear from you, which is not necessarily like just because that happened, you didn't get that job, sure, but it's not necessarily. It just wasn't part of your path, right? You were never meant to get that job. So even though you wanted that job real, real bad, you were never meant to
Yeah.
get that job. You were meant to get a better job, or you was meant to
Hmm.
meant to get this other job over here in this better area. So it's like you. But I think that that's one of the most interesting things about faith and religion is the fact that it doesn't work in things that are tangible. It's all about perspective. So it's like you
Mhm.
perceive a thing. There's something that a teacher had told me. I never forgot it. And I say this all the time to my chat. It was when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Hmm.
Mm.
And it was I never forgot it. Never forgot it. My whole like never to this day is one of the it's literally something that I live by, and it's one of the things that helped me change my perspectives, not just in my outlooks on daily, but just my whole life. Because it's like if you look at something with a negative outlook, it's going to be negative. But if you change it to a
Yeah.
more optimistic look, you can kind of see some beauty in a lot of things. Like, well, like when me and
Yes.
mom had talked when I
Yes.
lost that job that was paying real good at ball, I was hurt. I was like, dang, I lost a good paying job. But I had to look on the optimistic side when mom changed my perspective and was like, no, they freed you because you hated that job. And I went and found
Hmm.
a job that I really liked after that.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think that that's one of the interesting things that I will always give credit to religion for doing because it is the catalyst for people changing their perspectives. People need that. People need that catalyst
People
to
need
change them
that.
to an optimistic
People.
and positive perspective. And if you
Yes.
need that and if you want it, I commend you for it and I want that for you.
Right.
Honestly, like the trick is just like you said, like taking every situation and changing your perspective on it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because if you take people, who are troubled and you
Yeah.
just say, hey, just look at it this way, like it's very minimal work, and then kind of taking the negative route, like you put
Yes.
the onus on them.
Yes.
Like this is all you have to do, but this is,
Yeah.
this is all
Yeah.
on you. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Good luck. Make it to heaven. I hope you get it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like with religion, when we
You
say,
get to
because
choose the
I
events that made you feel like God
because
was
when
real.
we
The
say,
events where care was provided for us and was not
when we
provided because
ask
of
the
God is for parents
question,
raising children want
is
to.
it
I
to is
agree.
it to get to
I think that
heaven,
that
or is
goes along
it
with the point of people who say
to
like when
take away
something bad
people's
happens to them,
freedoms?
like,
If
oh,
it's
that's the
is it
devil right there.
and a
And when
lot of
something good
my
happens, they're like, oh,
viewers
that's
were
God right
saying
there.
it's a
I
thing
think that I
to
agree with that
control
perspective.
people. It's a thing to control people.
Make a way for the child.
What is it about
Just
people? This
answer
is
me.
what I
What'd you
would
say,
ask
M?
my group.
Who are you pissed off at?
What is it
Oh,
about
I'm not pissed
religion
off at.
what is it about humans that religion is trying to control, right? So
No, you're
when
not
I
asking a lot of
look at
questions though.
religion, I look at the control as being a good thing.
No, it means it wasn't in your
As I
past.
said
Always
before, I
questions
look
too. I
at
know, right?
religion as being a good
We focus on the
control.
progressing
I think it
conversation.
stops people who could be worse, because
So that
I
gives the feeling of
personally
giving praise
know
for the
several
good, but excuses
people
for the bad.
who
I mean,
would have
yeah.
probably been still doing bad things, say that God, religion, Christianity saved them, right? To
But hey,
me,
that was
it's
bars right there,
deception,
Josh. Come
because
on
to
now.
me, it's more existentialism. It is more, it just kind of, and me and
Yep, that
Candace a
goes
long
along
time ago,
with it,
we
Mug
said
Chick.
this.
Is
It
when
kind of
it's
is what it
good is
is.
God, when it's
So to
bad, that's
me,
the
we
devil.
don't get
You
it
know.
both ways. We don't get to
I
say
guess
it
I'll see
is
y'all
what it
Tuesday.
is,
Okay,
but
M.
then
Have a
there's
good day.
God.
You have a
To
headache?
me,
Try to take maybe
there
some
is no in
ibuprofen, some
between. There
aspirin or
can't be
something.
a God
You probably
and
shouldn't
then,
be on the
well,
phone or the
this person's
computer.
kid
That
died of
bright light will
cancer.
hurt your
It is what
eyes,
it is.
and it'll
It
make your
can't
headache
be
worse. So
that
just try to
someone
take some
got
time
blessed with
off,
a house
listen to
while
some lo-fi
somebody's
or
in the
something like
hospital
that,
holding their
and take
kid's
maybe an
hand.
aspirin or
To
a
me, it does
Tylenol,
not,
something like that.
it doesn't
Tylenol
feel
500.
right to me, right?
Just trying to
It
control
doesn't feel
greed.
right. But I think that that
It's
control
unfortunate,
is
but I
good
do
to
agree
give
that
people
the
hope,
current
to
facet of
give
religion
people
is big on
purpose,
that.
to 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 take people out of um, feeling bad. If there's something that can make people feel good and feel better, stay in it.
No problem, M.
Stay the course.
Take it easy. Get some rest.
If so, I'm trying to say, what would be the bad part of religion being controlling? What is the bad part of religion being controlling? Daquan, I'm gonna go to you
Yeah, I was gonna
first.
say, well, I wanted actually Candace to go because I feel like sometimes I can get a little long-winded, and Candace is very
Okay,
concise. So I actually really
yeah,
like that about
because
her.
I
So
think that
with Candace, I would
because
like her
when
to
we
answer that
say,
first.
and my viewers, please answer that question for me, because a lot of us will be like, it's there to control. Well, what's the negative part of control with religion? You know what I mean? Because I find some good in the control. So what would be the purpose of creating religion to control for a bad reason?
When I think of control, I go back to like some of the key problems of
All right,
us
kids.
as
Naturally, humans
humans
so are groups.
and
Once a
some of
group
the
becomes
things
a
that
group, they become
always
5 times
lead
more
to our
evil than good. It would
downfall,
probably be
and that
crazy
is
world without
greed,
it. Think about the
control, and
trouble. I
power.
mean, that's a
And so I
very
just
valid
think
point, and
those
I
are
think
like
that's right where Mom was asking that
innate
question.
things that
I do
just
agree.
I don't
We're very
know.
tribal,
So
very
when I think of
tribalistic.
religion,
There
it
would
like
always
it
be
fits
something.
right in
If it
there
wasn't
because I
religion, it
think
would
that
be
there is
something.
just a
You know,
need
there would have
for
been always
people
been a
to have
replacement,
power.
whether it had been
And I mean,
hierarchy,
even if you
kingship,
think of yourself on a daily life, you want to
warlords,
have
generals,
control. You want to
anything like
have
that. Somebody in
control over your
control would always have
decisions.
been
You
trying to
it's your
oppress
home, it's
or
your property, it's
control,
your
a
kids. Like
group. So if it
you
wasn't
want
It's
religion,
to
my
it would have been
gun
something
rights.
else.
ownership. Yeah, you want
Money control the
ownership of
crowd, chip into
things.
the
You know what I'm
funds.
saying? And so when you have
Money really
those
does rule the whole
people
world, though.
who think at levels, a global scale, and they're making organizational decisions for Earth, and they're trying to decide. Not saying this like a cabal or anything, but I'm just saying like somebody made a decision to bring Christianity and make and create a Bible and so on and so forth.
Right.
So when those decisions were made, they were thinking about, okay, we have these people and we need them to do something. What is a way to get us there? And I think religion was one of the answers. It's like, okay, it can be people are lost, people need purpose, people are fighting, people there's crime, like people are sleeping with each other's wives, people are doing animals. Like we need a way to stop these people from
From
doing
being
this. And so like let's get it all together. So I think that was the control, like you said, for maybe a good reason, but I think like
to wrangle humanity in,
yes, to
wrangle
humanity. And
wrangle it in.
yes, but then I think where like the bad comes in is when things change and people start to think differently. Like maybe once upon a time it was great that women didn't speak in church, or it was great that if a woman cross-dressed that she was, an abomination. I don't know. I don't see that, but like, and somebody was like, we got to write that down. So but I think like then it becomes a difference of opinion, and like somebody state, I think it was Ron had stated, I think, is that his name? He had stated before, like it's a
Yates and
war
Dennis
of,
Conner.
yeah, like it was like like a misunderstanding of the interpretation of what
Hmm.
somebody says is the right way to do things. And so
Correct.
when it
Yes.
comes to, yeah, the bad part, it's like, okay, I wanted to control because we just needed to get on the same page, but now I need to control because this is the only way, and if you don't do it this way, it's a problem. Like
Yeah.
I think there's a
Yes.
difference. It's like, okay, yeah, you can do it this way, and it's like if you don't do it this way, there's a problem. And
You're
Yeah.
so
bad.
Yeah.
we definitely have to keep you here because you can't go anywhere else.
Right.
Yes.
I agree.
I think that is. Go ahead, Kwani.
Well, I was gonna follow that, just kind of
Mhm.
to follow up with Candace's point. I think that religion becomes problematic for humans. Me and Josh were talking about this, because humans are naturally tribalistic. We're naturally adversarial. We do groupthink. That's our nature. Is to be is to isolate ourselves into pockets of people who have our similarities, and to see the people who have differences as us as our adversaries. Whether that
Hmm.
be, kind of lighthearted, like in sports competitions. Oh, you're the bad team. I want you to lose, but at the same time, after the game, we'll go get a drink. It can be lighthearted like that, but we're naturally, we want to be a part of a tribe. We want to be
Mhm.
part of a belonging group that shares our similarities, our commonalities, whether that's ideology, physical traits, or anything like that. Um, so I think that when you put religion on there, something that can be interpreted as dogmatic, and it can be interpreted as, if they do not participate in this, you can justifiably kill them. That's when
Hmm.
it becomes problematic, because you're now giving these people the tools to guide themselves to a better life, but you're also giving them the tools to commit genocide and feel okay with it, you know.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
I think that's why I prefaced what I said earlier by saying that I think the intentions were good, because when and that's me being optimistic to the point of maybe even being naive, like to say that the origins of
Right, just
religion were good.
assuming positive intent.
Yes,
We're
that's
giving
listen.
them. We're giving
I'm
them the
I'm
benefit of the
trying.
doubt.
I'm trying because, like, people. I want to. That's the thing, is like, my nature is, I want to believe in people, but people just make it really hard to do that, because be like, come on,
They do.
man, come on,
Yeah.
man, why you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Why you do
Yeah.
that?
I
So
think.
I feel like that's how it is. Like, for me personally, I think that that's where it becomes problematic, because you're telling people, hey, be a good person, and this is how you do it. But you're also telling them, hey, if you're not doing these things to be a good person, you are now a bad person. Not
You're
only
going
are
to
you a
have.
bad person, but you're such a bad person that you're going to hell. And before you go to hell, I'm going to send you there, because it's going to make me a better person. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes problematic. It's-
And that's why I gave
yeah.
them freedom of choice, right?
And I feel like
Because
that freedom, will stifle the ability of people
he's
to
gonna send
change.
you there.
Tell them who sent you. No, so and that's why I feel like religion is problematic, because I feel like when you take away people's freedom to choose their own identity, their own autonomy, their own path, their own fate, and their own destiny, you take away a piece of them that they need to grow and evolve as a person. I
Yes.
think that people need that freedom, that mobility, to discover themselves and explore themselves. And I give that example, like the people who are going through their hormones in their teenage years, and they're exploring sexuality. They don't know what's going on. They know, I'm horny and I don't know what to do with this. You know. So why stifle them and tell them you're not allowed to express those feelings or feel anything at
And
all?
if you do, you're
Pin
going
it
to
up,
hell.
pin it,
Everything
put
is
it
you're
up
going
in
to hell.
there. Take those feelings and put them in your stomach, and you're not allowed to even feel it. So, But what happens when you do that? You
If
get
you feel it, you going to hell.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and when you do that, with people, you get sexually repressed people who don't understand their feelings. They don't know how to express themselves, and they don't know how to be intimate with one another because you told them that those feelings were wrong when they were at their highest point in that person's biological lifestyle. So I think that
Yes.
when you take that from people, that's why I feel like, religion can be problematic for people because you're taking so much for them and you're only giving them one thing, and that is perceived purpose for some people. Some
And the
people get purpose out of it, but
and
so many other people lose a lot of the things that they might need. And I think that that's why that giving them the freedom is more important than giving them that religion. Give them the freedom to choose the religion. Don't get rid of the religion, but at least give them the freedom to say, I want to be a part of it, or not for me. Just give
yeah,
them that.
yeah. And
We just
to
now got to
add
that
to
point.
that, yeah, and to add to that, I feel like also a problem that I have with religion is when you
Perfect example, North
in a
Korea, that's not
sneaky
religion, but they
manner
are beyond
take
control.
someone's
They're made to treat
original
one man as a god
religion
pretty
or
much. But that does
spirituality
go back in
from
their
them
culture though,
and make
because
them
even
seem like
even
they were
back into
bad
their
because they
history, the
believed in
emperors of
spirituality, and you
Japan and
say,
the
oh
emperors of
no, that's
China
devilish, oh that's
were
wrong.
seen as
Like I said,
divine.
that was
So
not
that does go
our
back. They got thousands of years of
original
history
belief
on that one. So
system.
on
And
that
when
one,
you
I'll at least give
take
them
that
that credit.
from
Like
us
they've been
and
doing
you
that
do
for a
it
minute.
in such a ugly and bitter
But
and
yes,
hateful
you
and
start
nasty
as me
way to
versus
tell me
everything.
that
As you get
I'm going
older,
to
you
go
get
somewhere for the
commonality, and then
rest
there's
of my
us versus
life
them.
to a place
Yes,
that's
people make it so hard.
burning
Like really,
lava, my
absolutely.
skin, feeling the
Hey,
worst
TT. Hello,
pain
hello.
ever. The way they described hell,
My main
you
question for
took
Dennis: Why
my
is the thought
original,
of others
my
having religious freedom
choice,
so
my
scary to him that he
original
reacted the way he did?
roots from me
Because
and
the
gave me
idea
this
of,
and then
I
told
mean,
me that I was going to
that
burn in
idea in
hell
and
if
of
I didn't
itself,
believe it. I
it's
believe
the
that
us
that is
versus
where we
them.
have a
If you
problem
aren't a part of
too.
this religion,
And
it's
then I also
bad.
have a
You're a bad
problem with
person now.
religion when
You
it
know,
comes to women
it's
and
so
how we're
common, it's
perceived because
crazy,
to
but it's
me,
scary
we're
to think that there are
goddesses.
people who
But
feel
a
and
lot of the
react that way when we're
religion
not even saying anything
dogma
negative. We're
has
just
us beneath a
criticizing
man
how
or
we were
just a
brought
part
up
of a
in
man.
the
So
establishment religions that were taught to us, and the
those are
issues
some
and the
of
flaws we see
it's
with them
almost
from
like
our perspective. But we're not
a
saying
book of
Christianity sucks, it's
misogyny,
bad, I hate you,
if you
you know.
will. That women are supposed to be subservient. They're supposed to serve their man. They're supposed to be their helpmate. Nah, homie. I'm supposed to roll beside you, and we gonna get this together. I
Christianity
ain't about
lost
to.
her at the submit to your man. She did. She was like, look, she was reading the Bible and she said, "Thou woman musteth submit to thine man," and she was like, "Yeah." she, she threw that mug across the room. She was like, "I'm done. I hate this book." Like, she kept
And
reading
then
it, but she was just like, "Nah, you're not gonna win me over. I'll finish it. I'll finish it out of spite. I hate the author." Like, she was done.
no, Daquan, literally, when I went to college and I started doing studies on different religions, like and over in China, and you know what I mean, and just all of these different beautiful spiritual religions of peace and kindness and relaxation and just zen and it's just like what why couldn't I go to that classroom? You know what I mean? Like
I
I
think I
want
get I
that
get
teacher.
I get where you're coming from, Ma, because but that was the point that I was making is that a lot of your feelings towards Christianity on the negative side that you feel are based on your upbringing and what you've experienced from Christians, and same with me as well. Like when I had that Christian group that I this Christian group I met at Bowling Green was so cool. If I
Oh
had
my God,
met
I
them in my
love
earlier
Christian groups. I
years,
feel like church.
well, no, my thing was like I didn't even like going to church. I was uncomfortable at church. But this Christian group that I met at Bowling Green in the college was made up of people my age, and I was so cool with them. I was going to church with them. I was going to church retreats, and I went to a flag football thing they had at their church over the weekend. Like, because the community was not what I had experienced. I was like, y'all are not the Christians that I grew up encountering. I didn't meet y'all at all.
They listen to you and they
They
allow for
not
you to
only did
have a
they
voice.
listen to me, but they were like, "Oh, I understand." And had I felt the way you feel, I probably wouldn't be a Christian either. But and not they respected my point of view so much that I was like, wow, like, this is. I was like, are y'all even Christians? You know what I mean? Because my idea of Christians had been so just toxified from the people who I had met, who
The
interpreted
people,
Christianity in such a way to where they would put me down for simply having a questions or having a feeling, or maybe not going to church or whatever. It was so much of that. So it's like I do get what you're saying, because what a lot of your negative feelings, are that you're like, why didn't I get to go to this class? Why didn't I get to learn about these things? And it's like
I
you
was
feel
stripped
this
of my
negativity
choice.
because you were stripped of your freedom to learn about other things that might have led to you learning more and growing more and being a better person and just evolving, because that's the things that you value. But
Mm,
instead, that choice was stripped from you and taken from you. So now it's like going to lead to some animosity for sure. To where, 'cause even me, like, it's like, dang, like I spent so many years being told this when I could have been learning about this and
Yeah.
learned even more about this, and not even
yep.
like not belong to Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, any of those, but just learning about them and experiencing that, talking to
And
people.
being okay. I'm
The
not
Yeah.
going to go to hell for
possibility of doing
learning about it.
something different
Yes.
is was
Yes.
taken
And
from you. Yeah.
that was part of what my point was, where I was talking about the freedom, and it goes right along with mom's point about like that freedom of choice. I feel like even though it may not necessarily be valuable for everybody else, but having that choice means that you get to now appeal to the people who want to be Christians and the people who may not want to be Christians. You're welcoming, as you say you are in your own text. You're supposed to be welcoming of all. You're supposed to be feeding the hungry, and this is supposed to be what you are as a Christian, is welcoming of people so they can learn from you and grow from you. But you take it and you strip people's ability to learn from others. Why would you do that? And
And
that's
grow.
that's
And
that's what
grow.
it takes from
And
us.
grow.
I think there's a couple different things. So there's religion, which we'll put aside for a second,
Mhm.
but then
Mhm.
there's Christianity, and then there's the Bible. And I
Right.
know it's like one and the same, but when
I
it
see where
comes
you're going with
to
it though. Yeah.
so yeah, okay, we
Mhm.
know like
Mhm.
it's not always one and the same. And
Right.
so when I hear you talking, Tasha, and then with what you just said, Daquan, like yes, it's the freedom of choice.
Mhm.
And Christianity is very exclusive.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ is the way
He's the
and the only
way.
way.
This is the
Okay.
way.
The only way. And so, but outside of that, which is like the crux of the religion,
I'm going to be
but like
listening and
everything
working
that
home,
you
so I got
say
to
you
work.
want to
Wanted to
do,
hear what's up, so I'm
you
working it.
can
Oh, okay, no
do
worries,
like as a
TT. Thank you for
Christian.
joining.
And not saying
No.
I'm not saying that
Yep, I have
you
never been judged
can
harder than by
like
the
you
Nothing.
should
church,
be a
but my best
Christian or whatever the
friend
case may
is
be.
Christian.
But what I'm saying
That's
is
amazing though.
differentiate
Like
a
I met some of the
Christian
coolest Christian people,
from following the
but I've also
Bible.
met some of the most toxic
Like
Christian people.
if you differentiate that,
We respect
because
each other's
even
views
like
though.
just what you
But
said,
church is
Daquan,
church.
like it says in the Bible we are supposed to love each other.
Mhm.
But then it also says that if a woman cross dresses, she is an abomination. You know what I'm saying? It also
Yes.
says
So
other
many
things.
contradictions, right?
So at the same time, it's like, okay, at some point in whatever your personal journey is, you have to make a
Don't have to
choice
get on that when
Yes.
you're talking
in
about
how you want
religion.
to interpret and perceive this information. And
Mhm.
I'm saying, okay, if we can separate those for a minute,
Yes.
Tasha, like you are
Yeah.
able to be this nice person and be one with nature and love the earth and all of that stuff. Um, because ultimately, like back to the original purpose, it is supposed to provide purpose
Yeah.
and love. And so I guess I'm like, there's the Christian, because I don't follow everything, but I believe in God,
Mhm.
and I like, I pray and stuff, and I we have a
Yeah.
relationship.
Mhm.
And so like when you the way it's
Hey.
framed,
Hello.
what up?
Hey.
What up?
There's Dalen. He's right there.
Um the way it's framed, it makes it seem like you can't be the person that you are if you follow the Bible, which I completely understand.
Mhm.
Are you saying like you can't be the person that you are, because back to like freedom of choice, if you are a Christian, you have limited freedom of choice?
I won't attach myself to any religious following whatsoever.
No, I'm not
Again,
I'm not
religion.
saying you have
No, no,
to.
I'm just saying, me personally, I won't follow any religious thing that was written by man.
Got it. Okay.
Anything,
Okay.
anything that was created by man, because man doesn't have the answers
I I
for
I,
me.
I
You know what I
see
mean?
what you're
Like
saying. Yeah.
other writings, like Native Americans and what other people
Native
have done.
Americans, first of all, Native Americans are the ones who originated "Be Still and Listen." They're the ones who originated that, and then Christianity
But they're a
put it in
man.
the Bible. Huh?
But they're a man.
They're humans who were in touch with Earth.
Yeah.
They
I
they
see what
they
you're
were
saying.
they were.
So okay, so it's not like I don't like it's not like you're creating anything we create is based off of somebody else. So
Hmm.
I guess
Hmm.
that's what I'm trying to get at. Like there are certain practices that you do like, but nothing in Christianity like
Oh no,
you
I don't rock with anything within Christianity.
got it.
There's some amazing. I still love gospel music. Like I love it. I will listen to it like
And
Jesse Adams, break every chain. You know what I mean? Because to me, it's more of the motivational aspect of it, of being a
yeah,
decent human being. You know what I mean? Break every chain. Like I cry, I bawl when I hear that song, especially the way she sang it. Like
yeah,
amazing. So there is some gospel music that I listen to that still touches me, but gospel originates from our original roots. You know what I mean? So to me, like you said, our original roots did come from man. That is a very valid point. It did. Our original roots came from African tribes. It came from somewhere. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I can't say that I don't listen to man, but because our
right,
roots came from man.
Hmm.
But
right. Just not.
I would say that that was a very good point, and that's one of the things that I like about these discussions when people are coming to me and they're saying the
Hey,
things
Jesus.
like, well, you got it. They're
If churches
still
are
coming
tax
to me
exempt and
like, no,
things
you got
like
to believe
that,
this. You got to
then
believe
should they
this.
be legally
Just
forced to
respect the
take
fact that
anyone
I
in during a
don't.
storm or
You
event?
know what
Yeah.
I
That sounds
mean?
crazy.
And
Then
know
how
that
can
I'm
abortion
still
be
a
banned
kind
based on religion?
person, and know
Josh,
that
you're
I'm
making
still
too
not
many
going to
logical
treat anybody
points.
in an unkind
They're
manner,
gonna
and
come
I'm going
get
to
you.
go out of
FBI,
my
open
way to
up,
be a
because
good
that is
human
a
being because
absolutely
I feel like
stunning
it's the
point.
right thing to do. I don't have to
If they
follow your
and
religion
if
nor
you're
your
going to be
God
tax
to
exempt,
do
and
that. So
your
stop
doctrine would
pushing
say
that
that you're
on
supposed to
me.
be a
Do you know what
haven
I
for
mean?
people who need a
So,
home
and the
and
more that it
are
gets pushed
struggling
on
or are
me,
in
the more
danger.
angry
If
I
nature
become. I
strikes and
do
there's a
become
hurricane and your
angry
church is
at
the
it
only thing
because
that
it's
isn't
just like,
hit, why would you lock your
leave
doors?
me
You
alone.
gotta
It's
welcome
not what I
people,
believe. It
which
doesn't make any
sometimes
sense. A
there are a
lot of
That's
it
lot
is
of
what I
flawed.
asked
churches
earlier.
that
Like if
do,
you were
you know.
surprised
But
because
it's a
you're,
fantastic
it's not saying that it's justified, but I
but it's a
mean,
wonderful point.
I'm not saying that people have the right to question you on your parenting. I would still be upset about that.
Hey,
But I'm saying like we live in like a Christian
nothing much.
society,
I'm doing a
so
live right
for
now, a
somebody
live
to
podcast
encounter, especially if
discussion.
they're Christian, for somebody to encounter
But
that,
I ain't getting
like
into too much crazy.
especially when you
Oh,
think about as like the
but
Christian.
Candace, you are a Christian and you have
Oh,
not
I don't
one
have
issue
Auntay's number,
whatsoever.
Unc.
You're my
Yes, but I'm
best
just
friend,
me.
sister, cousin, exactly.
I think yeah, I think Dad has it.
But you are
Okay,
a
okay, Unc.
Christian. Your mother is a
Yes, sir.
diehard Christian. Good for goodness sake.
Yeah,
But
and
both
she's
of you,
different.
It's a lot
she
going on.
now she a go hard Christian, right? But she still
Yeah,
accepts
I
who I
agree
am
that
and knows who
one,
I
I don't
am
think churches
and
should be
still
tax exempt.
knows
But
the
if churches
beauty
are going to
that's
be tax
within
exempt,
me. And
every
to
Yeah.
mosque
me,
should
that
be tax
doesn't
exempt.
need to be
Every atheist
attributed to
temple should be tax
anything
exempt.
except for I just
A-
want to be a
Any
good
any
human being. And
religious
where I go when I leave here, I
iconic
don't know.
building
You
where
know what I
people
Mhm.
mean?
go to
If it's
worship and
heaven,
pray needs to
great.
be
But if I
tax
didn't
exempt.
make it to
And
heaven
if they're
because
going to
I
be
didn't
tax
believe in
exempt, there
Jesus
should be
Christ in
special
your Bible,
purposes that those
that's
places
fine.
serve
But
during
to me,
crises.
again, that would I
You
would
know,
roll into Christians and
and
say,
if that's
but a
also the
rapist
case,
does.
if they're going to be
That
tax
is
exempt
what I
because the
would
church
still
is separated
hold
from the
to.
state,
Like if
then
I
you
can't get
cannot
to
ban
heaven because
abortion based on
I
religion.
just don't believe in this way, but a rapist and a child molester and a serial killer and slave owners can, perhaps that's not where I want to go. No way.
But
You
if
know
you
what I
don't
mean? So
believe in it, then you don't believe in heaven. Then
I don't know what's after.
Yeah, we
I have no
don't
idea. And
necessarily believe in heaven.
nobody
right?
does.
Okay,
If
yeah.
I want to make a
So
point,
it
I
does
do
matter.
agree with both of you. I do agree with both of you. I think that you made a very good point, Candace, about the whole thing about the roots coming from mankind, because that
Hmm.
is very true. That's very accurate. I think that the difference, though, between our belief system that we have, um, th- I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it like that. The difference is that um, so what we believe in, the practices that we follow and the things that we follow are based in how we feel personally and the things we believe personally, um, rather than stifling ourselves or limiting ourselves. The practices that we follow are about opening ourselves up to the universe and to our world and to our surroundings, and being one with not just our universe but with one another. So it is the reason we believe in those, and the reason we practice them is because they feel like they are part of us. It is what we feel. So we take the practices from different places and different time periods that we feel embody who we want
Mm-hmm.
to be. And the
Yep.
reason why that goes back to the freedom thing is because we gave ourselves that opportunity. We gave ourselves the opportunity to explore
Mm-hmm.
different religions and take the things that we like and the things that feel right to us, and feel in nature that every religion has positives and every religion has good prayer, meditation, things like that. We can
Mm-hmm.
take those things and apply them to our life to become one with what we feel is our universe, our world,
It
and
brings you
connect us
peace.
with one another. It brings us
Mhm.
our peace. And
Yep.
so I think that even though we can accept that everything in our history is man-made, man-brought, man-written, but we don't try to
That's a great
pretend
point.
like our practices are not man-made or man-written
Mm-hmm.
or man-given.
Mm-hmm.
We don't pretend like meditation is a thing that the universe cast down into my brain
It's
and I
like
was the
you
first
don't
dude
need
to
to
ever
be
do it.
natural. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's we not trying to put off that idea. There's nothing about our belief system that we try to feel is claimed of straight divine nature, and doesn't have anything to do with traditional practices that date back to our roots and our history and our people, because at the end of the day we are humanists by nature, and our connection to the universe is connected through each other. You know what I mean? So we have to be willing to accept the fact that our beliefs are human and man-made. you
Yeah.
know so I
Do you think the
that's why I agree
universe
with
is
both of you.
divine?
Huh?
Do you think the universe is divine?
I don't necessarily think that I would use the word divine,
Mm-hmm.
uh
I'm
because
gonna look up the definition.
because my whole thing is that I feel the universe is chaotic by nature. And I feel like when it comes to divinity, a lot of the times the idea of divinity often comes not just with something being beyond something, but having a purpose, like a higher purpose. Um, and it's always connected to gods, goddesses, and I feel like the universe is beyond that. It is beyond the concept of gods and goddesses. It is chaos incarnate. It is the idea that things come into existence and cease to exist. That is what our universe is. And to be one with it is the gift. It's not
Is
necessarily
the
that you were
gift.
given that gift. It is that
Is
you
the
are a
gift.
part of the universe, not because the universe willed it, but because that is the universe's nature, is to create things, as the same it is to destroy them. So that's why the idea of divinity and religion, when you put purpose behind what I feel is chaos incarnate, that's when we're going to have our disagreement, because it's like, why did the universe create you?
Yep.
Well, I don't feel like there's necessarily a why,
Yeah.
because I feel like, but I do know that I'm here and I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to be the best person
Because
I can be, and make everybody else around me have
Absolutely.
enjoy this gift that we weren't
Absolutely.
necessarily given, but we were allowed to have, because the same way with like the sperm, right? There's trillions of sperm, and you just so happen to be one of them.
Mhm.
That kind of concept, where out of all the trillions and trillions of lives that could have came into existence, I happen to be one of them.
mm-hmm.
I don't want the idea of a religion putting pressure on me to say, well, all them trillions that could have been born, nope, but we picked you. And I'd be like, why? You don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that seems kind of messed up. No, I
Oh,
embrace the idea of a
yeah.
universe saying that this I am will incarnate. I will things into existence as I eliminate them from existence. And there is no malice behind the creation. There's no malice behind the erasure. It just is. And we are a part
It
of that.
just
And that
is.
gives
You know,
that gives you peace
that gives
knowing that
me
it is
peace.
just
Yes.
is, and
It
not
just
that there
is.
is somebody who actually wrote out, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
let me type it
Let me
in.
tell you, yeah. Because at the end of the
He's gonna
day,
go through your
yeah,
spirit.
yeah, and
Right.
at the end of the
Hold
day,
up now.
how awful can that be interpreted when somebody goes through something tragic like the passing of a child? The child dies of cancer. Imagine having to attribute that as your
To
higher
like to,
power, having
yeah.
written that down in his notebook, like, yeah, like you gonna go through this awful, terrible time, but he gonna win the lottery. And
Mm-hmm.
and when you ask me why, my response is gonna be like, you aren't
Just
capable of
because God
fathoming
said so. It was
my
his
plan.
plan.
In
You know,
serious ways.
huh?
But I guess I'm trying to okay, so you're fine with the it is what it is
Yes,
as long as I
I
but
am
okay,
more.
so would you be okay with it is what it is? There's somebody who is controlling it, but you know why.
I
No,
guess
I
if
can't.
you go ahead, ma, go ahead.
To me, I'm just going to be 1,000. Um, I'm not okay with there being a higher power and for people just saying, and I hear this all the time. Well, God said there would be suffering. Then let it be your kid. Then you know what I mean? Like it's
No, but
easy
I'm
to
saying, what
say,
if you
oh,
knew why? Like, I understand you don't like that, but if you knew why, like,
That's
and make
right,
a
right.
difference.
That and I hear what you're saying. I think
so
that
so.
if I knew why, I don't think it would necessarily change the way that I'm feeling because then you start
I
to
would feel
eliminate
shittier. I would feel
you start
shittier.
to eliminate the point of life, right? When you tell someone that this whole thing planned out, the whole thing,
Mhm.
and then once you tell them, you know, why it's planned out, then what's the point? You
Well,
know,
not just
what's the
that,
point?
because
Why are
some
we doing
people,
it to just experience it? You know, which
because
that is fine,
in
but
some
you know,
religions, God knows your path. It's already been, your path is already known. So you knew I was gonna get sexually abused. You know what I mean? So you knew that I was gonna not have no
And
drinking water.
okay, so okay,
You knew that my kid was
somebody,
gonna die of
okay,
cancer. Like that, that's horrible. So
to go along with that point, ma, if this being, right, is all powerful and all knowing, why not give your most precious creations, you know, why not alleviate them
Because Eve
from
ate an
pain?
apple.
If you know that
Because
you're
woman,
a creation, that you're human, which you know, according to these texts and according to these belief systems, you know, humans are supposed to be beloved, they're supposed to be cherished by
because
this higher
Eve
power.
made Adam eat an apple because of us,
It's
because women.
that it will come to me to where I would start to feel bad about the own religion I'm belonging to because I ask too many questions. Because I do lack faith. I recognize
hmm
that about me, that I don't make a good Christian. I lack faith in something that I cannot connect with on that level that I've been able to connect with my surroundings and my mother earth and my universe of what of my interpretation, right? So
hmm
it's
hmm
something to where it's like if this thing is all powerful and all knowing, you know what's gonna happen. You know this. I'm about to get hit by a car, but it was like because I'm a human, right? I only understand what I'm capable of understanding. So from
okay.
down here, it looks like, dang, you just let me get hit by a car. You knew it was coming. You had the power to stop it. You could have blew a little wind like and blew it to
But
the
that's when
side,
they say
you
it
know.
is what it is.
So
It is
it's
what it
that's when
is.
it becomes if I accept that the universe is chaos and that at any moment stuff like that can happen, it's about what I'm going to do after it happens. You
Yeah.
know, when I start to establish myself as like, hey, you know, they hit my car, but you know what? It's cool. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it here. I'm gonna fix it myself. It's my interpretation, my belief system is more about the things that you do to interact. We are reactive in a chaotic universe. The universe is active. You know,
But if you knew that somebody planned to hit your car,
if I knew
Okay,
that the
so let me
person
answer
planned to
that
hit
real
my
quick.
car, we're gonna square
yeah.
up, you know. Like, but if something
So you have a
divine,
different reaction.
yeah, if
Yeah.
something was
You're
divine,
upset
it was meant
because
to hit my car, then
malice.
it would make me feel bad because it's like, you know, I would rather that not
Then what's the
happen, you know.
purpose?
Yeah.
What was
Again,
the
like I
Yeah.
purpose
said,
of
but
it
what's the
Like
happening?
purpose?
what was the reason? Like
Hmm.
if you knew that it was going to happen and you have the power to change it,
Yes.
why would you not let it happen?
Because
And
that's what
so
I
I
would do as a
think
human. If I knew that I was capable of changing a bad thing from happening, I had the power to stop it. I, as
mhm.
a human, would do that, right? And I'm only a human. I'm not divine. I'm not a
Yeah.
god. I'm not omnipotent. I'm not all knowing. But I do know
What if
as
there
a
was a
basic
good
human,
reason?
I won't know. How can I know? Only
But
thing,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so what if the why, right? You don't
right?
know the why, so it's frustrating. What if you knew the why?
If I knew the why and
I
I
don't
knew it was
think that
good reason,
hold on, Daquan, hold on
Hmm.
one
Hmm.
second.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So to me, there is no why for some of the stuff that's going on in the world. There
Now,
is no
this
why.
is completely like theoretical.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
So
I'm just
so
saying.
so if there was a why for some of the bullcrap that I went through, come on, come on now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Some of
Yeah.
that stuff,
okay. Oh, Josh, you
for
about to
real.
leave?
Come on, why that happened?
You
You know
ordering
what I mean?
African
Like there
food?
was no reason for
Hey,
some of the stuff to happen
another 20,
to
30.
me.
Okay,
You
cool.
know.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say,
I
I
respect those
had a
who are.
guy that I
Yeah,
was
they
talking
are
to on
very
social
passionate, by
media,
the way,
and he said
Jisoo.
that
They
he
are.
was very depressed and he wanted to commit
But some of us
suicide.
are believers as
Hmm.
well.
And
Best
he
part is
said,
we
but
can
it was
talk
by the
about it
grace of
and
God
agree to
that
not
saved me.
have to agree or
Then I
disagree.
was just like,
Exactly, Josh.
you
That's the
mean?
that's
And
the
then he was
the
like, he
beauty in it,
saved me, and
right?
I was like,
Is
I've been
that
through
you
some
want to
things
be able
too.
to
You know what I
disagree about
mean?
these things and
And
not
he
hate
was
each
like,
other.
well, he saved me. So why?
Get
And I
is our
asked him
time
this
here that we
very
come and
specific
go. So he's
question:
spot on. Without us
why did
dying,
he
will we
save
believe in
me,
such a
and
God,
why
or
did
will
he
we
save
dream up
you,
one to
but he
curse
didn't
him?
save those
Wow,
kids in Uvalde?
wow,
Because
Josh,
if
god
it was
dang,
up to
you
me,
spitting,
if it's
you
about
spitting,
who
my
gets
guy.
blessings or who gets hooked up or who's what path or whatever,
I guess my
I
way of
would
thinking came about from
gladly
having Christian
give
mother and
my
indigenous father.
blessing
I
so
resonate
those
more with
kids in
indigenous
Uvalde
teachings
would
for
still
sure.
be alive.
The two
So those kids in
ladies are very
Sandy Hook
passionate.
would
Oh yeah,
still be
yes.
alive. So to
I don't feel
me,
there's an upper hand controlling things. If
there
so,
is
why
no
so much
why, because to
unpredictable
me there
chaos? Who would
is no
create the
why
things that
that
happen in
I
today's
get to
world?
wake up
Yeah, my only thing
and
would be like,
chill.
unless a thing
But these but
created
these but these kids
a
in
chaotic
Uvalde is
universe
gunned
for the
down by
sole
a
purpose of it
psychopath.
being
Right?
chaotic.
So
But if
that to
that's the case,
me, there
then
there is no reason. I don't
why
feel like
follow a
I'm more
thing that's
worthy.
saying
I'm
this
not gonna
God
say,
does
won't
control
he do
things
it?
in
You
a
know what I
universe that
mean?
he
When I
created
know that there's an
specifically to
effing
be
kid at St. Jude's
uncontrolled?
who's dying right now. It's hard for me as an empath to align with that.
Two
I
seconds.
can't
Two seconds.
align with something that is all loving to allow for me to walk and chill. You know what I mean? Allow some of these crackheads and child molesters walk around, and these child molesters who are abusing people and you know what I mean, taking people's lives, for me to feel in any way connected to anything that could prevent that, but allows for them to wake up every day because there's a purpose for a child molester to be here. But the kid from Uvalde, they're dead. You know what I mean? Why their parents sat outside and could do absolutely nothing about it. It's so hard for me to align with that. And that's why me and you had talked before about it is what it is. It can't just be it is what it is. Oh, hi, this dumpling face. But then there's this all encompassing God who loves us so much. But he woke up this child
Wait, hi,
molester,
buddy, look.
but the kids from Sandy Hook
This is
don't
Mateo.
exist anymore. So it's really hard for me to kind of
Thank you,
get
bud.
into any type of religion or any type of higher power um, when things like that go on every day. It's just I can't. My mind and my heart won't allow for me to live in that space and in that energy. So
Hmm.
it feels better and more free for me to just say, well, if it is going to be what it is, I'm going to live how I'm going to live, the best that I can, and whatever happens from here, none of us have a clue.
For the
You know what I
people who
mean?
refuse
And
medical
if I
treatment for
make
their
it to
kids,
wherever I'm
it is
supposed to
another
go, I
God.
do.
Oh
And
my
if I
God,
don't,
I forgot about that, Nessa. That's
I
such a good
don't.
point.
You know what I mean? So if it's about knowing the
He said
why,
Yes.
I don't
God's
think
playing
that there could
4D
possibly
game with
be a
3D
why
creatures and it would
when this
seem
world is so
pointless.
full of treachery.
At least for the 3D creatures and the
Yeah.
creatures in the
Okay. So
game.
there's not a why that would make you feel at peace,
No.
right?
I
Right. And
agree.
I'm not
I
saying that
agree.
there should be,
Hmm.
right? I'm
Hmm.
not. I'm just kind of like
No,
curious at
I see what you're going, but I do agree with
your
mom that
thinking.
knowing the why would probably actually make me feel a lot worse because in
Yeah.
my mind, in my puny human 3D mind, um, there wouldn't be a justifiable why. Even if you're like, well, if these kids die, we're gonna have the cure for cancer. And it's like, well, you're all powerful, aren't you? Can't you just give someone the insight to create that, or just kind of drop it down on here or something? Like, so
Hmm.
it's hard for me to conceptualize a justifiable why of a higher power to allow some of the things that happen with humanity, like the hundreds of years of, chattel slavery. Like, what is the justifiable why for all those atrocities? And that's
Hmm.
one of those things that it becomes difficult for us to conceptualize as human beings.
Yeah.
So we latch on to the
It
things
is.
that we can understand.
Yeah.
But uh Vanessa actually did make a very good point. Josh has been making some good points too. God dang, he been dropping some gems. But she brought up the point of those religious people who were religious, they were refusing medical service, and their kids were dying. You know,
Mm,
which this still to this day happens. Me and mom just talked about those kids who died of the flu, because their mom was going to a Facebook for medical advice how to treat the children's flu. So they were like, give them ginger and things like that. But they had a severe flu, and the little brother died, and gave it to the older brother, and the older brother died. You know, and these were little kids, little kids. I think they were 3 and 5. So but it's like if your religion and you're saying God's will protect them, these
mhm,
thoughts and prayers will protect them, and it's like for us, it's like what do you do when thoughts and prayers aren't enough? You know, are you just gonna
mhm.
let that child die? And some people would say, well, if God wills it, but would you do the same for your kid? If it's your kid, would you not abandon all anything like, nah, F that, F the whole God's will. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to keep my kid alive. And I feel like if that person does that, if a person was faced with a task like that, to have to give up their religion or to go against the religion to what they believe is saving their kid, I feel like I would look at that person and be like, good for you. I feel like you did the right choice. I don't know if I'd want to be part of a religion where people would look at that and say you did the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? So like that, I
Mhm.
feel like that point that she's making when those people are doing that, how can we justify that? Not only as humans, but as Christians. If I was a Christian, how would I don't know how I would go about justifying that. You know?
I would I would I would justify it by probably using the story of Abraham and his son. Like
He was about to kill his kid, right?
when it comes to, huh?
He was about to kill his son, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think of, yes, you can have a train of thought in Christianity where God, I'm not talking about train of thought, that's how it is. God is above
If I knew the
everything.
why,
So
I'd probably off
yourself, like you should be
myself
willing to
from
sacrifice
anger.
yourself, your kids,
I
like
wish I had read that earlier, Josh. I'd have said
whatever
that.
it takes. I mean,
I'd
look
rather
at
laugh to see
Job,
what's next.
you know,
Oh, thank you,
That was
Nessa.
an
whatever
effed
it
up
takes
story. That's
to,
effed up.
for him, because ultimately he is the one who can
Exactly. It would
provide
take
it. And
God
like
power to create
Daquan said earlier,
unpredictability,
like
but
take it
creating
away.
that would then
And
take God
But
so
power
what?
away, right? So a paradox.
everything
Absolutely.
you need to have an abundant life.
Absolutely.
But
And
isn't
so,
everything you need is
Yeah, this
isn't
is
everything
Mateo.
that we
This is
need? Because
Mateo.
me and Dalen were having a discussion
This
earlier
is my
that a
friend's
lot of
baby.
us are
She's visiting
connected
on her
to this
birthday.
earth from love,
He is so cute,
right?
isn't
We're
he?
mhm,
connected by the
He was back
love
there
that we
crying, so
have
I was just like,
for,
let me go get
our
him.
loved ones,
Because him
for our
crying
family,
literally
because
like makes
otherwise a
my
lot of us
anxiety
don't
shoot
feel
through the
connected,
roof.
which is what Daquan was saying earlier, where
Coffee doesn't sound
we
bad. Oh
need
shoot.
that, those
mhm,
Oh, okay.
relationships, we
Have fun,
need that
Jisoo.
love, we
Are
need
you in
those
LA yet?
bonds.
yeah,
So if they were going to take
Have fun,
his
man. Be
whole
careful.
family, which it was a bet, which was horrible. But if he's going to take his whole family just to prove a point, that's not cool. You know what I mean? So if he's going to give everything that is needed, if he's going to
mhm,
give everything that is needed, what more do you need than the love of your family? What really on this earth is more valuable than the love of one's family, than the love of a child, than the love of a mother, of a sister, of a cousin? What is more valuable? What can God give him? What is there that he's going to give him that will replace what he took from him? And why wouldn't that be cruel? Why would that, if God is so loving and says I'm so powerful, why would he even want to do that, to want to for what? To prove what point? You know what I mean? Those
Mm-hmm.
are some of the
mhm,
things that are just like, of what point would a all loving God have to make to take something from somebody to prove a point? You don't need to prove a point if you're almighty. You don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You know what I
mhm,
mean? So
yeah.
why would you take this? Why would you take what we're on earth for, which is love?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what attaches us. That's what makes us want to be here.
Yeah.
You mean like for like take
You
love as in take the child, or with Job?
they took all
Both.
his stuff,
Yeah,
his
they
health.
hey, they jacked Job up.
Okay, okay.
Then they
Well,
he
because
was jacked up at the end of
he
that.
replaced them
He
afterwards.
did.
He can't replace a
But
Yeah,
child.
I believe
yeah,
I
he did.
believe the story ends with
Yeah,
him
he
replacing
replaced
it.
them,
You
and it was
can't
like 7 times
replace
more.
a child.
No, I
Oh,
think
oh, I
like
didn't hear what you said.
oh, I
Oh,
so he didn't restore it.
No,
Okay, I interpreted it when
you
they
just
said,
had more. So
okay,
I'm
okay,
sorry, I shouldn't
I
use the same.
misinterpreted that. That was my bad because when I saw the terminology used, like he restored what restored him, I was thinking like, well, because I know that he gave him good health again and things like that, but
Mhm.
his family was still dead and his flock was still dead and his land was still jacked up, and then that,
No, everything was restored.
so he got his family back,
Not like the same family,
so he
but
got a new
Then he
family.
didn't. Then he didn't give it
or
back because
or or I'm trying to understand just from my
I'm
perspective because I don't did it was he like,
so
hey, you
he
can just make new kids and marry again, is that,
yes,
so that's what they
yes,
meant by
he
restore?
had a family.
So that's what they meant
but
by
why?
restore when they said restore, they meant, hey, he just made new babies.
He
But the
didn't raise him from the dead.
but
Oh,
so so
He didn't raise
so
him
so
from the dead.
so so his babies, his kids are still dead.
Yes, they were not resurrected.
Okay, okay, okay.
Hey, now you got
Why
me
wouldn't they?
No,
thinking.
I was
Why
just because
didn't?
I was under
I
the,
know they weren't
listen,
resurrected.
listen,
But I
I
know that
He didn't
the
come
thing
back.
because the
no.
moral of the story is that he looked out for him at the
But
end.
no, because
And
okay, so listen, okay, hold on, Candy, let's back it
I'm
up.
giving you this explanation with no agreement or disagreeing. I'm telling you how it's interpreted.
Yeah,
And
right.
so
So that's why I agree that I had misinterpreted it from my perspective. But so I like, okay, so let me just give you my perspective from when we had recently talked about Job, and I thought it was kind of a little messed up story, and even though I thought the end was still kind of a happy ending because I thought he got his family back. But
yeah.
so it's even more messed up than I thought it was. But the whole thing is right. So just correct me if I'm wrong. Did the story of Job not start with God being approached by the devil, for the devil saying, "Hey, this human or humans would curse your name had you not blessed them the way you did," correct?
They gambled. They had DraftKings on this man's
Hold
life.
on, Mama, I'ma get to it because it is a little like that. Hey man, I got 50 on him
DraftKings.
cursing you. 50. I got 100, double or nothing. He ain't gonna curse me. He love me. That man love me. Like, I'm God, triple OG out here. Like, yeah, man,
They
rep
had
me.
DraftKings
My people
on
gonna rep
Joe.
God till they die. Like,
Um,
that's how I just like to think that that's how God refers to himself. Big God out here, cuz. Like, I'm big God out these streets in the heavenly plains, cuz. Hey, Michael, you hear what they were saying about Jesus?
Double or nothing. Double or
Double
nothing.
nothing, 100 on him. I got 100 on Job. What you mean? That's my people right there. Don't you ever? Hey, always bet on Job. Like,
Hey, give me your Jello.
hey, Josh said Dalen is not amused.
oh my gosh.
He's so
It
stone
always
faced.
looks like this. It always looks like this.
Hey,
Listen,
Dalen. Hey, Dalen. Hey, Dalen. Butt death. Guy. That's how you get him to laugh right there. That's how you get him to laugh.
I think if the people already think that I'm destructive by not teaching my kids um religion and Christianity, wait until you hear his perspective. Why do you think that they created religion?
okay. Religion. Okay, first of all, every religion on this planet, when you look at occults, when you look at any religion, it's a mechanism for people. It's a way to cope, to know that you're going somewhere after death. It's that at the bottom line. If you look at any other religion, at the bottom line, you're going somewhere when you die.
Mm-hmm.
You will go somewhere. You will transfer somewhere when you die.
Right.
So your conscious will still be there,
Baby, sir, no,
and you
too
will
soon.
consciously
This is
be
my
able to
friend's
be
baby.
with
I'm
your
just,
family
I'm
and
just
your
looking
loved
after him.
ones.
Right.
Got my mic.
Okay, but when you really look
I
deep
need my
into
mic,
it,
buddy. The
the
people are
writers
jealous.
of just holy books, they knew exactly what they were doing. Okay, this is
Dalen.
okay. They kind of did it as a
Yes,
contingency,
it was. It was just Dalen's
because
birthday
of
last
the
week.
violence
He is 18,
during those
officially
eras.
18.
Me and you were saying
During the
Candace.
violence during those eras, during just how people were just acting like pirates, and just people being medieval. They wrote these books as a way for people to be good,
Candace Smith
and
said that.
and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I have no problem with religion whatsoever. But you then also have to look at the people that were much smarter than the other people.
You
You
can't
know,
you can't say much
Yeah,
smarter.
but they were.
What I
You
mean,
know,
like
this
That's
is
the
what
like
I was
the
going
like
to
the
say.
Isaac Newtons, and you know what I
I
mean.
was
right.
Like, yeah,
saying
The
like
there's
people that
gifted
wrote these
people.
books, the
conceptually
people that yeah,
on a
right.
global
People
Yeah,
scale.
much smarter.
yeah.
So when they wrote this book, they understood what they were doing. They wrote this book in hopes to control generations of people. You know, this in of
But for
course,
what reason?
for what reason? Power. That's the most power
Hello,
you can
Sonny.
ever get if you can write these
Sonny,
Power,
Sonny,
scriptures.
smile,
control,
Daisy. Hello,
greed.
hello.
Exactly. If you
Oh,
wrote
I
because the
did not see
Bible
your
is
super
the
chat.
most
Thank you,
sold book
Nessa.
by a mile,
Thank you for the
by an
big three
absolute mile.
donation.
You know,
Thank you.
there's no book
Love
that
for the
comes
Q
close
baby
to
Discord
to
said.
the
Thank you, Nessa.
other than the
I
Quran, I believe,
genuinely did not
is
see
the
it.
second most sold
As
book.
soon as your
The
message
Bible
popped
is
up,
the
I
most
seen
sold
it.
book on this earth.
Mm,
You know, so the
YouTube is so
writers of
weird.
it
I'm
knew
and my
exactly
footage.
what
I'm
they were
pretty sure is
doing.
like super
They wanted
behind.
control.
mm.
You know, they
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
control
I'm sorry I missed
generations
it,
of
but thank you
people
so much.
forever, pretty much. You know,
Sunny Smile Daily says
For
God is
what
God.
cause? For what
He
purpose,
has
though?
reason.
They wanted to
why
control
We
these
not?
people.
understand, but he gives us choices
Why
that either
not?
gives us life or
It's
death.
it's
As
it's the same
creations
thing
of
that they
God, we
did
have
to
a choice
black
to believe
people.
in His word or not.
So
Okay,
and
Sunny
it's
Smile
just
Daily.
more
I
power.
do
You know,
respect,
I guarantee
you
you
know,
that's
how you
what it
feel.
was.
I
You know,
do.
because these
You
people
keep my
were
shirt,
very
buddy.
smart that wrote it.
I do
You know, they're
agree that,
incredibly
you know,
So
intelligent
if
people.
you
my
if you
volume is
say they
off.
did it for power, they want
My
these
volume is
people
off
to
in
do
Discord,
what to
not
them?
not
They
in
just
there,
want
right?
to
My volume should be
what?
off
So
here.
They want to
I
be
want to talk to
worshipped
y'all.
because
I
they
don't want
wrote
them
it.
to
They're
hear
going to
me.
be
My
viewed as
volume should be on
divine
here.
for the rest of their life.
Not off,
You
but
know,
very
they're
low.
well
Is
beyond
that better?
kings.
so if you
So
got the people who are
Is that
Christians
better?
or
I
who
had to
are
put my mic
ahead of
closer to my face.
religious
He
groups
kind of
and
tugged on it
cults,
a little bit.
what control do they
Hey,
have
appreciate you for
over
coming through,
humans
Josh.
in
Thanks a
literally,
bunch,
masses?
man.
literally their entire life.
I like
If
your
you look at if
contributions
you
to the
look at the
conversation. You
Jonestown
spitting some
massacre,
facts.
you
It's
know
better.
this
Okay.
guy Jonestown, this man, I
Um.
forget his name,
Yeah.
but
So let's
he
break
was a
that down.
person that they were saying
He
don't
has his
drink the
reasons we
Kool-Aid.
don't
Okay,
understand,
then this
but
is
he
a
gives
guy
us
that made a
choices
cult
that either
with
gives us
people
life or death.
he made an
Okay, so
integrated
that's part of
church.
like my
This is
thing,
during the
right, Sonny?
times
Is that one, you
black
refer to
people
God as a
didn't
he.
really get along with
I,
whites,
I
right?
don't fully
So he made
understand
an
that
integrated
concept. I feel
church,
like if
and
God
it
is
slowly
beyond
became a
us and
cult.
you know
So
is just
he used people
omnipotent
that were
deity, it wouldn't
victims,
be a
pretty
he.
much,
It's not a guy. You
and
know,
he
that's
then
nor would I think it would be a girl. I just
be the
don't. I
most
think it
sold
would
book.
be like
Didn't they tell you something?
beyond the
No,
concept of
no,
gender.
that
No,
Because if we
tell
aren't
them what
capable
he
of
just said.
understanding God, then
so to be
you
the
know,
most sold book,
to
Dennis
simplify God
Conner
and give it
said
a
so. The
gender is kind of
most
weird.
so for it to be the most
But it
sold
gives us
book,
choices that gives us
shouldn't
life or
that tell
death.
you
So,
something is special
but
about it? No, because Moby
how
Dick
messed up
was
is that
highly
you know
sold.
you
You know
give
what
us
I
two
mean? Like, and it
choices
was
and one
fairy
of them leads
tales
to death and one of them
I
leads
mean,
to
are
life,
sold
but we
in
don't know
that
which
just
one
shows
it
you how many
is,
people are
and both of them
vulnerable,
sound cool.
and
It's
that's
like
okay.
one choice leads
There's
to death. That
absolutely
choice
vulnerable
is
and in
a
need
you leave and
of
go to work
something higher.
and
Why
then
did you
go
say they
you
were
know
in need of
visit your
something
friend
higher?
after. That choice
because
leads
it's
to
a
death.
coping mechanism.
But if you
It's a coping
don't
mechanism
leave
for
at all
what?
and you stay home
for the
and
afterlife.
you apply for a
Again,
new
that is
job,
all.
that
The
choice leads to life.
Jonestown, what it
Like,
was
you know, that's the
is
kind of thing to
it
where it's
became a
like,
church system,
what? You
and
know,
the
like
guy, the
that.
leading head,
That's
got
where I
so
start to
power
draw my
hungry. Again, this
questions,
is an
and
integrated
they don't
church,
get good
a church of
responses.
God, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you, Jisoo.
This is an integrated church, and
As a
he
creation of God,
he
we have a
slowly
choice to believe in
transfers
His word
it
or not.
into
Well, you
his
don't
own
though.
religion,
You don't. You really
and
don't
you get
because
power hungry
we
because
do
you
have the
realize
choice.
that
We do
people
have the
will
free will to not
literally
choose, but
manifest
that
their
not
entire
choosing means
life to
that
you.
we go
You
burn
know,
in
and
hell for all
that is a
eternity.
lot of
So
power.
is that
This
even a
guy
choice?
noticed
You know what I mean?
how
Like
much
it would be a
power he was
no-brainer for
getting,
most people. Well, I
and
don't
his
want to go
word,
to the
people would
afterlife
listen to
that's
it.
got whips
So
and
when the
chains
day
and
came,
demons and
when
things
the
that are
day
going to eat
came
my
when
flesh on the
he
daily.
shot
Like what
some
kind
guy at
of
the airport,
thing?
he
What
did some
kind of
terroristic attack,
religion or
and
They
God
then
came to
tells
him to
you,
shut him
hey,
down,
either worship
right.
and he
me
gunned them down.
Right.
or
So and then he
go
was just
live
like,
with
oh, okay,
demons
well, you
in a
guys just
fiery
kill
pit,
yourselves,
you know,
drink
for all
cyanide laced
eternity.
Well,
Kool-Aid.
because he
Not
said they
like
were going
not
to
just
heaven.
for 70 years or
Right.
however
But
long you
one
were
of the
alive
things
in your
that,
corporeal form, but for
and
all the rest of
so
eternity, you're
what do I
going
tell
down there
you
to
all the
get
time?
tortured
Don't I tell
because you
you?
didn't believe believe
And
in me.
I
So
tell
it's like
him, I say
it's not really
sometimes
giving
I
people the
wish
freedom
that
to
I
choose.
raised
You're
him
just
with Christianity
kind of giving them
because
like you're
his
just letting
mind,
them
he
go
when
and just
you're
being like,
open
hey, you
thinker,
better
when you're a
worship
free
me.
thinker,
You know,
sometimes it's burdensome. You know what I mean? Because what did you say? People
hey,
are
do you like the
so
necklace, buddy?
afraid of, the existentialism. There's nothing after this.
Right.
That because you said that once we die, it's what did you say?
It's game over. That's it. It's lights out. And that's it. You go to the nature, but your brain is done. When you look at someone that's brain dead, they're not them. When you look at someone that has dementia, they're not them. So when people start to realize that your brain is what makes you who you are, when you're a baby, you don't know how to walk. You are not you. When people, again, when people do suffer from dementia, and when people do suffer from extreme brain trauma, they're not them anymore, and everybody's aware of that. So when you die, your brain deactivates. Okay, your brain deactivates, and you're not you.
And you
You
said
know,
that's terrifying.
it's horrifying. It's horrifying because the thing is when I pass away, I've come to terms that I'm not going to see you guys anymore, and I'm not going to exist anymore. If I were to
Yeah,
die much earlier
but
than I
that's my
should.
thing that says I
And the
try
thing
to
is
word it
that
in a
is that
way that's
it's a good and
not
bad thing because it
insulting to
actually helps
people
you
who
cherish life more.
do
Because
have a
there's a
genuine
lot of
connection to
people
that religion,
that
because
will
my
become
intent is to
complacent with
not
life because
insult
like,
them and
oh
not
well,
to
I can I
belittle them
can
for
half
believing
enjoy
that.
this,
It's
but I'm
just
really gonna
to
enjoy heaven,
give
right?
them
So
understanding
they're
of
not
why
going to
I
enjoy
don't
life as much as they
follow
would
the thing that
if they
they
realize
believe
that this is
in, and
probably
that's
a
the main thing
one-time
about it.
thing. This is a one-shot
Also,
thing.
also, religion teaches them, oh, you
But you
might
already knew
suffer
that.
on earth, but afterlife, your life is going to be so much better, and people need that because
Right.
if they suffered a lot on earth, they need to believe in something
Yeah,
more.
something that something good is going to happen, but and again, that's what I'm trying to say, that most religions are sadly a coping mechanism for people that are vulnerable.
So why would it be sadly if it's a coping mechanism? Isn't religion a good thing?
Because
If it gives people
it's
hope,
it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. Don't get me wrong at all. It's a wonderful thing. Religion is an incredible thing. But when you start to realize the war crimes that religion has done because of these vulnerable people,
that's what Daquan
you
was
know,
talking about.
and this not just Christianity, but even the Quran and Islam. A lot of war crimes are done. Because of people that are vulnerable, because they genuinely feel like they have divine indignation and divine righteousness to do these type of things. You know, but the thing is that if you're just a normal human being that just believes in religion, I have no qualm with you. There's
Jalen is a
absolutely
younger you
nothing
for
wrong with
sure, as
that.
far
You
as being
live your life,
articulate.
I
He
live
speaks
my
so well
life,
and
so
with
what's the
passion.
problem?
He's
You know what I
definitely a
mean?
mini me.
So there's
Like,
absolutely nothing wrong
me
with
and him have some
religion.
great
It's just
discussions.
when you
We
look at the
we
writers
we'll
of the
disagree a
Bible,
lot, but we
they
we
did
we
that
have
for
great
power.
discussions because he's
Infinite
literally a
power.
younger me.
These people wanted to be well
And
beyond
we do.
kings,
He's
and
actually more
they
articulate
became
than
it.
I am.
These
Like
if I had the
I feel as
knowledge to
though
write a
like he's
book,
more articulate than me.
during that era when there was no, not many religions or religion that I didn't agree with, if I could write a book in my own ideals, in my own views and values and principle, why would you not? Why would you not do that? If you could write a book in your own ideals, views, principles, values, and be remembered forever by generations of people and worshipped forever, why would you not write it? Why would you not?
I think that's a
So
good
these people
point,
are
Dalen. Is that like I think that shows just how vulnerable people are and how we're all
right.
susceptible to interpretations. Because had me and you gotten together and we time traveled back into the 1400s, or the
Right.
1300s, and we was writing our own thing to try to give people some good. We're like, y'all at war, y'all killing each other. Let's write a book and let's put all these things, these fables, and about positivity and loving one another. And then we came back in 800 years and found y'all was still killing each other. But instead of
Right.
doing it in the deity previous, y'all was doing it in our deity's name. Because y'all took what we wrote and y'all interpreted it as, hey, this means I get to kill you because he said so. You know what I mean? Like,
So we're
I
not
think that's
saying that
the
religion
showing the
itself.
vulnerable people that it can
We're
that we're
not saying that
susceptible to.
religion itself is a bad thing. We're saying that the people who the people I don't I it's kind of like so when again I would say control. When you say control, when we say control, most people mean it in
Oh,
a
stop
bad
eating your
way.
finger.
When we say control, what do we mean? What are they getting from
Oh,
us?
Yeah.
this is a very
You
great
want
point
Vicky?
by Dennis, and I actually
You want
have
Vicky
had this argument
instead of finger?
He's gonna.
with a
One
buddy
of
of
my
mine.
viewers has a question for
Very,
Dalen.
very good point. Very, very great thing because a lot of people do ask this. He said, okay, so if I live by the Bible and when I die, find out that it wasn't the true word of God, I'm okay, and haven't lost anything. But if y'all die and don't die about it and find out that it's the true word, go ahead and see more. But I'm assuming that it's gonna go to hell, right?
Of course, because we're gonna go to hell for
Uh,
being good people because we
and
didn't believe the Bible.
here.
Well, wouldn't that just result in, like, why would we not be okay? Because at the end of the day, we stayed true to ourselves, and I feel like, wouldn't God want that? Wouldn't God want you to stay true to yourself and
When
true to
he
your own
wants you to be
beliefs?
a good person because you were a good person and
Listen,
not looking for reciprocation of heaven.
when I
You know
first
what I
walked
mean?
away from
Like,
the church, one thing I had to accept was the idea that if I'm wrong and I end up having to go to whatever y'all place is bad and I gotta go there, I have to accept that. And it turns out that y'all was right about everything. Well, I mean, hey,
So be it.
it's like, okay, I guess I gotta go. Like, if this is where my soul is going. But my whole thing is that my belief system is that y'all say for all eternity. I don't believe that you're gonna always your soul or your essence or your energy is not ever gonna be someplace for all eternity. Your sense of consciousness, your sense of you won't exist after I leave this body. I'm going to evolve. I'm going to be different. My existence will be different. So the idea that you will be you consciously and go to another dimension in another realm and suffer, you know, for the rest of all existence until the end of time, that don't even if that was just a part of my journey, it would be a part of my journey. But I don't think it would just end there. You know what I mean? Like, oh hell, it is. Here we go. I'm here forever. Like, no,
And you
it
will,
still will
because
go
at
against my
that
belief
point,
system.
religion is a Ponzi scheme the rich and powerful came up with to make people with less than police themselves, so you don't have to use entire armies. You could use a building, a man, and a book. That's what Robert Craig
And
said.
that's and he has
Hey,
explained it to the dot. Because the thing is
it's
that
you.
these people, when you look at
Coffee just
Aristotle, when
arrived.
you look at
Nice.
Socrates, you look at these people, philosophers,
That's
they were
others
much more
condemning people to
accelerated and
hell.
much more
God look at
advanced
all sin
than
as
the
one.
average
It's all the
person.
same to him. He's
And
also
these
forgiving.
philosophers, I
But I have to
guarantee it,
say,
these
after a while, the
philosophers
people of the church
just
started making
rather,
their
because
own
again,
sins.
Hebrew
I
books
do agree
were
with that.
around and
I do
stuff
agree
like
that
that.
people did
But
kind of just
they
start
all they
making up their
did
own sins
was just
based
write
off
this
of
book, because the
the
thing is
social
that you
stigma
don't
and
need an
social
army to
doctrine, things that
control
we
how I
felt
view you,
were
or how you
normal.
see
You know what
things,
I
how you
mean?
see the
So it
world.
was like, oh,
I
it's a
get to
sin
write a
to not
book
be normal or socially
and just
acceptable.
throw it out there and
So I
just
do think that
have some
they did
people
kind of
spread
start
my
making their own
word,
sins. But I
and
also think that
you
once
will listen
again,
to
I
everything I
think the
say
idea that
because I have
people
divine
refer to
righteousness.
God as
I
a
don't
he
need
is
men to
always so
conquer me.
interesting to me because it's
I
like,
don't
when
need
you
I
think
don't
of
need to
God,
go to
do
villages
you
and
think
kill
of a
you. I don't
guy? Do you
need
think of just
I
like a
don't
guy in the
I don't need
sky
anything.
or a
I've got
guy in
control of
space?
what
Like,
Right.
goes
I
in
don't
book.
is it
I
a
don't need
guy?
expenses. I
Or
don't
do
need
you use the term
expenses.
he
And if it
as
doesn't work, I
beyond
can just write
gender?
another
Like,
book.
it's a very
I don't
interesting
Well, they
thing
do
to
throughout
me.
history. They just
Like
keep creating new
What are you
that the
talking
deities and
concept
new
that
about?
gods.
we call
Huh?
God he.
Who is the I can just write another book?
It's all the same to
as in the
him. He's
people that
also
created it.
forgiving. But I have to say,
As in
yeah.
the
Like
So
people
that
that
that's the thing.
created
It's
a
created it.
like
religion?
God
Right.
is vengeful, but
As
he's
the
also
people who
forgiving.
created
But
the religion,
according
because
to the
at the end
Bible,
of the day,
he
you know,
killed a
Yeah.
whole
Ooh,
bunch
Robert
of
Craig, good
Egyptian
God.
children,
Well,
because
Robert
of the
Craig
sins
said,
of the
Yep.
Pharaoh. Did he
and
not?
he said,
My
I can
my
just
my
live my
Bible
life as a good
knowledge is
person,
a little rusty
skip the
because it's been a
politics
while
of
since
human
I've dug
religion,
into
and
it.
let God judge
But
me
from what I
on my
remember,
worth
yeah,
and
he
not my
he
tithe.
commenced the plague that
You
killed
know
all
what I
the
mean?
firstborn
So, and
sons
I
or
agree with
firstborn
that.
children.
I'm just going to
Like I
be the
said, it's
best
a little
person that
rusty,
I
but the
could be and
firstborn
not
sons of
attach it
firstborn
to
children
anything
in
except for I
Egypt
want
when
to
the
be a good
Pharaoh
human. So Dennis
angered
Conner
him,
says, and you will,
right?
because at that point you can't change your mind. Dennis Conner, we will what? Go to hell? So we're going to go to hell. Why? Because we didn't believe the way that you believed. And once again, Dennis Conner, let me be very clear. If that is what heaven is, then that's fine. You can have that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go somewhere where I can't go when I was a good human just because I didn't believe in a Bible. I don't want to go there, but your Bible says a rapist. I can't repeat this anymore. This is one of
Oh,
my
that's interesting. Well,
core
the Bible
issues.
always
Well,
refers to him as
two of
he,
my
so I
core
guess we
issues.
just
One
adopted it.
is that humanity
But
wouldn't
it
be this messed up if there
doesn't
was an
that
all
concern you
powerful.
though,
Two
TT?
is that if
Is
a
that the
pedophile and a
Bible,
rapist
which was written
and
by men,
slave
refers
owners
to the
get to go to
almighty,
heaven just for
all-powerful
being
God
sorry
as a
and I
guy. Like
can't,
he's a dude. He
what?
has a gender.
Maybe that's
Does he
hell.
not? Is it not a God? So it's
Maybe
like
that's hell.
when you
Maybe
refer
you're
to
the
God,
one who's
why not
being
refer
fooled.
to God as it, right?
You know what I
If
mean?
you're
Because if
incapable
your
of
heaven is full
understanding
of
it,
child
um,
molesters and
why not
rapists
refer
and
to God
slave
as
owners
it?
who said, I'm
You
sorry,
know,
but meant it from their
or
heart,
that,
they
like,
really meant
but
it. They
they
really
go
were
out of their way
apologetic.
to refer to
And
the
I've
Bible
done
as
nothing
him,
but try
the
to be good and
Father.
kind.
The all
And
like
your
that.
God
That's so
says,
why
hey,
is
yo,
it that
Tasha, you
it's
didn't believe
all
the Bible
gender? It's
specifically
all
the way that I
guy.
told you to believe in it. So you
Whereas
got to
in
go
my from
burn
my
in
understanding, I'd
eternity.
much rather you refer to
What
it
kind
as
of sense
it.
does that really make
You
sense
know,
to you?
it's
Does that
just
really, if you
interesting to
sit
me.
down and you really dissect it, does
That's
that
why
make
nobody
sense
knows
to
who's going
you?
to hell or
Yeah,
not.
it
Exactly.
does.
And it
But the
kind of
thing is
frustrates me when I deal with
not in the
Christians
way that
who
people think it
will
does.
literally just
It
claim,
wrote
like,
it
oh, you're going to hell. I
specifically
know it for
like that
certain.
because
Like,
at the
have
end
you
of the
been
day, if
there?
you're backed up
Have
in
you
a
been to
wall,
heaven? Well,
at the end of the
according to the
day,
Bible, you're going to
you're
hell. So
going
I
to have to
know
go
it.
back
No,
to the
you just
Bible.
think it, man. You
So
just
the
believe it.
writers
Like,
did that
and
on
I'm not saying there's
purpose.
anything
They
wrong with
did that
that.
on
I'm just
Well,
purpose.
saying
it
that
seems
I
to
don't
me
agree.
that is do as thou wilt. You can do whatever you want to and ask for forgiveness at the end of the day. So a lot
Is
of them who
gentleman in
were
yellow, brother.
raping
Yes,
and who
that is
were
my little brother.
pillaging and who
Also,
were
people at the church
murdering.
started picking the
You
Bible
know,
start
you
making up
this
their
is an
own. I'm a
excuse
believer,
where
but
I
best
could
believe
be
I've
whatever
been
I
to
want
some churches
to,
where I was
and
like,
then in
what
my
in the
end
hell
of
is going on
days or
up here?
whenever I'm done
Yeah,
killing as many
when
people
I
or
was
raping as
when I
many
was
women as
going
I
to the
want to,
church
then I get to
and
ask for forgiveness and
people
go
were
to
running around
heaven.
speaking in
You know what I
tongues and
mean? That
passing
to
out and
me is
fainting, I felt
that's
very
just sick.
uncomfortable. I felt
Just sick
very
to me,
uncomfortable because I
and
was
I
like,
don't want to
I
be a part
said,
of it. That's
this
just
looks
horrible. I don't
demonic
want to
to
be somewhere
me.
where there's a whole bunch
This
of
looks
slave
like
owners and
you
rapists.
people
I just don't
are
want to be there.
a
So
according
if
to
I
I
don't,
them
understand a lot of
allowing
like
themselves to be
nuances
possessed by
that
an
go into
unknown
that,
entity that
but I
they
understand
call
where
the
you're
Holy
coming
Spirit,
from. Like,
and it's
I don't think
making
it's as
them
black and
run
white
around the church
as
like
like
they
you
lost their
put it
mind,
as far
making
as
them
like
speak
child
in tongues
molesters can
and they
get into
have no
heaven and
idea
stuff
what they're
like that.
saying, and it sounds like
But
gibberish
I
because
understand like
Latin actually has
where
some
you're coming
enunciations you
from, like
understand
your
it. But when
concept that
somebody's running around
somebody who it has not been
like
following the
you're just
rules can
speaking
just
gibberish.
say 3 words
So
and then
when you
they
have
get
that going on,
everlasting
it'll
life.
make
But
me
me who
uncomfortable because
has
I'm
put
like,
in
you sound
effort to
like
actually
you're
follow the rules,
having
but
a
not all of
mental panic
them,
attack or you're being
I
possessed
don't
by
get
an
to
evil
partake in
entity
any of the
that's
reward.
trying to
Like,
pass
I
itself off as
understand
why
that.
good.
why would that? Why
So
would I want to
it
participate
frightened
in that
me
game?
when I first saw
Like
that, and I was like, I don't want
if
to be
there
a
was a
part of
sport
that.
that I could
I
sign up
think
for,
like
that would be one of them.
But at
we've been
least
talking for like 2 hours, so I want to know when we're going to wrap this up. But I
oh,
also
we're gonna
think
wrap it
that
up. We got 5 minutes.
there's like a lot. I mean, we already know it's a lot, but so
No,
that's why
we
I've just been
said that
kind
we
of
was going to have
listening
to
because
unpack this in
there's
sections.
been so
So
much going on. I don't even know like how to
Yeah, but
we
respond
went
to
because they
it.
said you could be
everywhere.
kicked out
We
of
went
heaven and sent to hell.
everywhere.
So why can't you get
We
back
did.
into
We
heaven?
went everywhere from control.
Oh, that's
So I
interesting. Because
guess
if God is
because I still
forgiving, then you
have
should be able to get back into heaven.
Robert Craig and Dennis
Satan should be
Conner
able to get back
are
up in
very,
there if
very
he's sorry
active
enough.
on here. They're very, interested in this topic. So that's fine.
Doesn't mean
So
for being
Candace,
pregnant, not
we
married, but
can
they literally
definitely
drunk
let
and
you
some
go. I'm
legit
going to
crackhead.
continue
Oh,
to
okay. All right.
yeah,
My bad.
I'm a,
I didn't. Okay, I
no, no,
didn't
no.
like
No, I didn't
interrupt
even know we went
everybody.
that long
Yeah,
at
we were
all.
going. I was actually going to wait for one of y'all to say something because I was like, "Hey, it is what it is. They gonna do what they gonna do."
Well,
But
because Daquan streams for like 4 hours, so he's used to
yeah,
this. You know
four to
what I
eight.
mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So to me, let's do our final
Just
words so
closing thoughts.
Candace
Yeah.
can closing thoughts. I'm probably going to stay on board if Daquan, if you want to stay on board a little bit longer, to kind of, I'm going to go back through some of these messages that
Okay.
Yeah,
that they
we were
wrote.
talking.
Yeah, Candace, I'm going to let you
You know,
do
I
your
feel like
final
because
words
church, I wanted
about,
to subliminally
do you feel like
called
it's
this girl out because she was pregnant, not married.
control,
Yeah.
or do you
Yeah,
feel like
which is
it's
so
to get into
unfortunate that we
heaven?
have that kind of environment for people who it's supposed to be welcoming.
Religion.
But if somebody makes a mistake or anything like that, like
How can it be both?
there's no forgiveness from people at all.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, okay, focusing on Christianity and the
They
Bible,
flat out call me
it
out.
is a
What
tool
makes a
to get
good
into
human?
heaven
But
because
for
they
what
go
makes a
hand
good
in
human?
hand. So, if you
That's a good
there's this
question.
thing you want to
Refer
accomplish, you
to
want to
God as
have,
He refers to
everlasting
Himself.
life.
Where do we get our
The
sense
way
of
to
right and
get there,
wrong?
how to do
We
it.
were
There's this
made
book
in
called the
God's image,
Bible.
meaning
And
man and
so,
woman came from
on
God.
thinking of it
Okay,
that
so that's
way,
a good
yes,
point,
it is a
Sonny.
tool
That's
to
a good
get into
point.
heaven.
If man
And
and
ultimately,
woman
when
were
you
made
when
in
you
God's image,
own, back
then
to what
what does
Dalen
God look
said, the
like? God would
process
look
of
like a
how people
hermaphrodite.
do
He would
things,
probably
you
have
can
male and
use
female
that to
genitalia. He would
control,
probably have male and
the
female
outcomes
features.
of their
Probably look
life.
very
And so,
androgynous.
even now,
If
like we
man
talked
and
about,
woman
there's
came
things
from
in the
God, but
Bible
according to
that
the very same
we
Bible,
wouldn't even bat an
woman
eye.
didn't
Like
come from God.
we it
It
would
was
be a
created
no-brainer
from
for
God,
us
but
to
it
say
came
we're not
from
going to stone
Adam's
people.
rib. Did
Like
she not? Did the first woman not
like
come from
find
Adam's
somebody who
rib?
still wants to stone people. I'm
So,
sure you can,
you
but
know,
like that's like a
according to
no-brainer
the
for
text that I'm
us.
familiar with,
But that's
man
not
was
what the Bible
created in
says. And
God's
so that's
image.
why it gets
You
complicated.
know,
And that's why I
but to
tried to
me
kind
that
of
just
separate it,
justifies the
because it's like
idea that this
every
omnipotent,
Christian does
all-powerful,
not
almighty
follow the
being that is
Bible.
beyond us
Like there's things in
is
the
a
Old
guy.
Testament that you are not doing.
Like
Like
it is
stop
not
playing.
beyond gender. It is not beyond the
And so it
idea
gets
of
really
genders and
complicated. And
sexes.
so
Like to
in
me that
my
doesn't
perspective,
compute.
eventually we all end
What
up
makes a
with
good human? I
a
believe
different
what
kind of
makes a good
religion of
human
our own. And
is
someone
Yes.
said in the comments, like
somebody
religion
who
is
is
just
empathetic to
like
others,
whatever. And
who
I think
takes
it was
accountability
Dennis,
for their
but
own
he
actions and
said
their own shortcomings,
it
but
was
does their best
basically
to
the set he didn't say this, but
do
it's like a set of
right
rules and practices
and
that
do right
that you
for
follow to
themselves and as
Yeah.
whatever
well
it
as
is
others
that you want
around
to
them.
do,
But I
right?
think
Yes,
empathy is a
I
So
agree.
huge part. part. Empathy and
And
understanding are a
so,
huge
with
part
that being
of
the
what
case,
I
like,
believe make us
I
good
think we
humans.
all end up
Empathy and
there
understanding,
because
understanding
Yeah.
I'm
others,
wearing pants
and
and,
trying to be empathetic of
I
their
have long hair
surroundings and
sometimes.
their
And so,
lifestyles and
like,
who they
but that's
are.
not what the Bible
Um,
says. And so, but they can
but
use
being a good
that. It's
human
still
is
used
very broad,
today to
you know,
control
because
us,
some
like you
people could
mentioned
say a good
before about
human is
women.
somebody who
Like, there's
fights
things
for the
that they
Lord and
pick and
kills
choose
all
out of the
sinners,
Bible
you
to
know what I
say,
mean?
no, this still
But from
applies.
my
So
perspective, a
this can
good human is
shape,
somebody
and I
who
get to
does
control
their best
how,
to
Especially through
put
politics.
out positivity in the
yes, and how
world.
you frame
and
yourself
make people
because it's still
smile
within the
and
within the goal of I want
do
to get
right
to
by
heaven. Back to
themselves
what
as well
Dalen
as
said,
others, and be
I want
empathetic and
something.
understanding
I
of
want to
others
know
as well
what's
as
after.
themselves,
Is it, after
and to
I
ask
die,
questions.
is it great? Awesome. I want to get there. And so the process
Where do
is
we get our
used
sense of
can
right
be
and wrong?
used to
I believe
control
that, well,
how
where
you
animals
get
get their
there.
sense
And
of right
because
and
of all the
wrong.
shame,
You know what I
Tasha, that
mean?
you talked about, all the
Animals, we've
shame, all the
seen that
stress, all
animals
the
are capable of
anxiety of
grieving
like,
for
oh
their
my
losses,
gosh, if I
their
don't do
young when they
this,
pass, and
it's going to be
they
like the
fight for
end,
each other.
like the end
When
for
buffalo are
eternity.
cornered,
Like Dennis
they
was saying,
corral
like, that's
themselves
it. I don't
around
get to
and they
change my
block the
mind. And
younglings.
so
Yeah.
that's
So they
stressful
know that that's
to
right. They're
try and
protecting
live
one
a
another.
life where you don't
And
have all the
animals
answers and you
will
have
kill to
questions, but
feed
you're
their
shut
cubs and
down.
their
And
babies
then
and
you
to feed
meet people who
themselves.
aren't open to
So
you to
it's
answer those questions and to just
asking
help
what
you
we get our
understand
sense of right
something that you
from.
don't
Did God
understand.
give animals
Like
their
there's
sense of right and
nobody
wrong?
understands it,
Like
but
we
there's
do
this
have a
expectation
sense
on
of right
you
and
to
wrong.
follow this Bible that
I
was
didn't
written a
need God
thousand
to
years
give me
ago
my sense of
and
right
then
and wrong.
understand it and then actually
My
follow
sense of
it to
right
the
and wrong
letter to
comes
meet the
from
goal.
what
And
I
so that
feel
part is
others,
what is
put out in the
controlling
world. If
and what
somebody is feeling
causes
bad,
like
I want to
the
do what I can
anguish,
to make that stop,
for some of
because
us
I
Christians
feel like
because it's like,
it's only
dang,
right
like
that
can
if
I
we're
do
on this earth,
anything
we
right?
should be as
And
happy as we
so,
can
and
for the
then
time
there's
that
the
we're
shame
here.
and all of that stuff that again is used to control how you behave. And
Yeah.
so, yes, Dalen, to your point, it's both. It's a
The
tool on
pastor
how
now
to
is
get to
observant and he
heaven.
talks about his past
Yes.
Mhm.
mistakes and
And
whatnot.
yes, there are
I don't want to
things
learn from
that
somebody
teach
who's
you
been
how to be a
holier than
better
thou that's
person,
how
how
like,
to
oh,
love,
tell
how to
me
build
about it.
community,
I don't even
how
want a
to do some
professor
great
who's acting
positive
like that.
things, how to help the widows and
God
the
is a
hungry and
spirit.
all of that
Jesus was the
stuff.
word of
But
God
there
made
are
flesh
those
and he
people,
came
whoever
in the
they
body of a
are,
man.
whoever
Right,
decided to take that and
Sonny,
manipulate it and
my
say, well,
question
this
is,
is how we're going to
who
position
told
it
you
and
that?
perceive it,
Mhm.
and have
Did
other
the
people
Bible tell you
perceive
that?
it
And
in
if
order so
so,
we
that
can
is perfectly
control the
fine.
outcome that we
But it
want.
is
Mm.
you as an
Mhm.
individual who
Not
said,
focus
I
on getting to
believe
heaven, but
this.
what do
I
I want
believe
as a
these
man,
words.
a human on this
And
earth? How
like I
do I
said,
want
perfectly
people to
fine. But
Mm.
when I am
and
asking
so
those
that
questions
they
to
can do
say,
what I
okay,
want them to
God is a
do.
spirit,
And
Mhm.
which
so
means
this
if
is
God
the
is a
message
spirit, it
that we're
means he's
going
not a
to
God.
create
It
around
means
it.
God's a it.
Right.
There's no, I've never heard of a
Very
That
well
spirit that's
said.
got a gender, you know.
That was very powerful.
Um,
I
Thank
like
you.
that.
if he was the
If
word
there
of
was
Yeah.
God, that's
anybody who
fine.
can bring me back into Christianity, it would be you.
Oh my God.
Hold on, I gotta get my closing
But
thoughts.
that okay, I'm not trying to because you can do whatever you want.
No, I know, but I'm just
Like
saying.
draw the parallels of like you can still be a good person, and it's not like
Let me get a question.
and we can talk more afterwards, but I don't want you to feel like Christianity stops you from being a good person, even
Oh,
though
it
there's
doesn't. No,
like
no, 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 not at all. I don't feel like it stops me from being a good person. I just feel more liberated without it.
okay.
Right? I just feel more liberated with being who I am because I am who I am, and not that I needed a guide to teach me to how to treat other people, or I needed a guide to fear this place. I'm not living in fear anymore. So
Yeah.
it was just
We
I just
shouldn't.
felt, yeah, I just felt less pressured and less oppressed when I walked away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and it's cool, you know what I mean? It's not, I still, like I said, I still believe that it's a good thing. But like you said, when man takes it and turns it into a bad thing for politics and for power and for greed, um, and to take away people's choices, then that's when it becomes bad. But at the end of the day, I just feel like no one has a clear answer. Some
Mhm.
people, God, Allah, Buddha, you know what I mean? I mean, no one has the answer, so I should not
Yeah,
have to be forced
service.
or even
That's
desire to want to
crazy.
believe in one specific
One
book. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I just want
God
to
said,
be
right?
I just want to be one with
Free
Laws
the
and
to
universe,
yeah,
be
laws
good
free
with
to
it.
believe what you yeah.
time
Yeah,
and harvest
Yeah.
and rising and setting.
yeah, free to
Free
be
to
me.
Right, but
So
yeah. Are
thank
you
you
we
for
could
your
do
final
that,
words.
but
That
we didn't
was amazing.
understand how
There's
the seasons work,
I want to say this, Candace.
and how the sun
I
setting and
applaud
rising
you
didn't work.
for having this discussion
Like
with
now
us
that we have
because I know that
understandings
you
of,
are
of
Christian
how like
and you're
scientific
from a
understandings
very,
how gravity and
very
things like that work,
Christian
it is the
family.
choice of if we're going to
My
follow
same
those things.
family because you're
Oh,
like my little
sorry.
sister because I grew
Thanks
up
for
in the
calling that
same
out,
household.
Nessa.
You know what I mean? With your
But yeah,
mama who
so
was
it's
like,
like
if
you
you ain't
say
going to
God
church, you
sets
ain't
what's right and
staying here. So I
wrong.
would leave Thursday and come
But
back on Monday.
before God, does that mean that there was no right and wrong?
So,
Before the
you
idea of
know,
Christian God in
I
history,
thank
historically,
you
if you go
for
back,
and more
long enough,
Christians need to be like
to the
you
ancient
where
Egyptians,
they're
were they
opening
all
to
just
listening
lawless,
and
godless
understanding
heathens?
instead
No,
of
they had a set of
forcing
gods and deities that they believed
their
set their rights
ideas
and
down
wrongs.
my throat or down
So,
our
what makes
throats.
them
You
any
know what I
different from
mean?
you?
And
Yeah.
when
You
you
know?
have that there can be
So I
this
can't objectively say
happy
God
medium
sets
where
the
we
rights
love and
and
respect
wrongs
each other for
because
just
when
who
I'm
we are
born,
and
there
where
are
we
things
are.
I learn
Do you know
that
what I
are
mean?
Yeah.
wrong. I
I
learned
don't
to
So
speak
I
feel
in
the
ways
appreciate you
to
because
people
a
to
lot
not
of
insult
Christians,
them and be
a lot of
belittling and
Christians
demeaning.
won't do
You know,
that.
I
They will
believe that
do
is
exactly
wrong,
what's
but
been
that's a
done to me
perspective
a lot
thing.
of
I don't
times,
know if God
where
set
it's
that right
just
or
we're going to
wrong,
hell.
you know what I mean? Because I had to learn that. I had to grow into that. I wasn't
So
born
Yeah.
with
thank you
those
so much
understandings,
for
you know.
doing this because it takes a lot to hear our opinions, especially when you were raised a certain way.
Grace
Because
is not
to
having
some
to work
Christians,
for
that's fighting
salvation.
words. Don't talk about my
Jesus came to take
Jesus.
the
You know
burden
what
of
I
the
mean?
imperfect, which we can never
So
be away, and
you
this is
know,
freedom. So what
and you
happened to
handle
the
it
people
with
before Jesus?
you are who you
Were they
are.
not
You know
saved?
how I feel about
And
you.
then the
You're
whole
one of the
idea
most
is,
amazing human
if
beings
Jesus came to
ever on
take the
the
burden of being
planet,
perfect,
and you would be that with or without. Just you're just
then what
an
does that mean for the
amazing,
people after
amazing
that?
person. So
You
thank you so
know,
much
because does
for
that mean that
listening
people
to us.
before him
No,
had
I
to be
just
perfect to get into heaven? That means that
yeah.
heaven was really
It was
an exclusive
enjoyable. Like
club.
I'm
And then
you
after
know, I'm
him, does that
open
mean that
minded,
people
and
who
so like
sin a lot are
and
still
I
going to get
know
into heaven?
that
And if that's the case,
y'all aren't trying
what's
to
if all
convince
sins are
me. You know
equal?
what I'm saying? Like it's
That
not like
means
we're
that
trying to convince
people
each
who
other
commit
like one
adultery and
side is
people who
wrong.
commit murder
We're
and people who
literally just
steal
trying to
lollipops from
learn
stores are
about
all
each
going to
other's
the same hell or
perspectives,
all going
and
to the same
we have
heaven
questions.
if they
And
ask
like I
for
was asking
forgiveness.
y'all, well, like
I
okay, so
need
if you knew the
those
answer,
answers.
then
You
like
know, it
because
sounds
I
like you're
was
preaching
literally
to me,
just
but
curious on
I
how
need
you
you to answer
think.
these questions for
And I
me, you
think,
know,
yeah, like you said, if we had more
to address these
conversations like
things,
that, just
because
out of
and I don't
curiosity
really
and
need
not
you to, but these are
criticism,
just the
like
questions
For
that I
each
have
other.
and I've always
and
had.
then
It's
guess
not to
what?
take away anything
After
from you
you
or to
hear their
attack you, but
answer,
that's just,
you have the
you know,
power
where
to
I'm coming
say,
from.
huh, I don't think that way, but
And
guess
since,
what? Do your
dang, so you
thing.
ain't heard from him since then. That's
And your
pretty,
life
yeah,
goes
he's
on.
pretty low down for that.
And your
So,
life goes on.
yeah.
And if there's a heaven, I'm either see you or I'm
Oh my God.
not. but while
Look
I'm here,
at
I'm gonna love on you.
yeah. All right. I love y'all.
Love you too, Candy.
Love you too, baby. All
Bye.
Bye.
right, bye, Candy. Dalen, Daquan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow for, hey, Shawnee. So gays have to go to hell because they don't love the opposite sex because they don't love the opposite sex. They're good people too. Exactly,
Very good
Shawnee.
point. Very good point.
That is one of our
We didn't even
problems
we
with.
didn't even get to that point either.
No, we didn't. That's a whole nother topic, and we've been on here for like 2 hours because when you start getting into religion, you know what I mean. There's just so many different variables to it. Um,
He
but
preached
me and you
three
have been
days
wanting to do this for a
after
long time,
death
Daquan. But
to
what I'm
those
gonna do is
before him.
I'm
Read
gonna
the
allow for
Gospels.
Dalen
Well,
to come on
Sonny,
here
I'm not really
because
sure.
I think
Well,
what's
I've
important for
read a
Dennis
lot
Conner
of
because he's
the
had
Bible.
so
Like
many
I
questions,
never finished it. I'm
and
not gonna
Robert
pretend like I finished it, but I've read enough of the Bible
Robert
to know, like,
Craig.
okay, this
Um,
is what I've
he's had
learned
a
from
lot of
these stories.
comments, and
And
I
we
want
actually, over the
to.
course of this live, we
Hey,
have gone over
Darian,
some of the
baby.
stories of the
Jill
Bible
Washington, she
and what
says,
they
my
meant to us
opinion
and
here,
how we
Tasha,
question them
you
and
and
how
your
they don't make
husband
a lot
gave
of
your
sense to
children the
us.
freedom to
So
choose their
read the Gospels
spirituality.
doesn't work
You
for me,
didn't
Sonny.
ram it down their
Like,
throats. They are
when you
now
say
adults,
things
so it
like
is
that,
up to
it's
them
like
as to
read the
what spiritual
Bible or
path they
read the
choose to
Gospels.
follow.
Like,
Thank you,
no,
Jill. You know what I mean?
no. Like, I
And
need you
anybody who
as a
sees my kids
Christian
see that,
to
if they go
hear
to
me
hell, then there
when I
must be
have
some
these
pretty
concerns and these
decent
questions, and
people in
instead of
hell.
preaching
Because,
at me,
hey,
preach to
Netta,
me.
um,
Hear
Trisha
me.
says, I wonder why
Hear
the
me.
fear of going to hell doesn't
Listen to my
deter these
concerns and my
pastors,
questions,
priests, and
but
clergy
don't
from
talk
touching and
at
molesting
me
kids in the
with your
church.
religion. When you talk the way that you do, it does
That
not make
point
me
right there.
feel like I should
Um,
be welcomed into your
Tony,
religion. It
hi.
feels
I
like
know a
you're
lot of
taking
you.
my
Hi, Aunt
words
Pam.
as
Hey, Trent.
insulting to your
Hey,
religion
Ron.
because I'm questioning
So,
them or criticizing
hey,
them, which
Brand. I
that is
know a
not
lot
my
of you
intent.
guys
I
have
made that clear.
already
But
tuned off, and
I
that's
don't want that to
fine
come
because
off,
this
and I
was a
don't
very
want the
long
same
show, and
energy
I
to
couldn't
be
sit and
from
watch the whole
you to
thing
where you're
either.
seeing
But
what
if you
I'm
want to come
saying
back and
and
watch
feeling
it,
like
I'm going to have
I'm going to
Dalen come
hell
on
and I
now
deserve it
and
because I
answer
have these
some
concerns
of
and
Dennis's
questions.
questions because I feel like you guys
False
know
sins
my
are
point
saying
of
we're
view,
all
and
going to
I'd
hell from
rather
wearing
you
clothes made
hear
of
from
different
my
fabrics
children
anyway.
who
I
I
mean, facts.
allowed. Did I have
And
anything
most
to
of
do with?
us,
Did I
if
tell
not
you to
all of
believe
us,
or
are
not to
going
believe?
to hell for having
Right,
premarital
right.
sex. So,
Like,
just throw that one
like,
out there.
like when
So I'm
you
gonna bring my son on.
when you were a Christian, I was very prone to question it. Um, all right.
Hi,
So
Dylan.
I'm going to have him answer all of the questions, and Daquan, I'm going to have you answer some of the questions for my viewers.
Sure.
If
You're
you
asking them,
teach
or is
them,
Dalen asking them?
Dalen's answering questions. You and him are going to answer their questions.
all right.
Okay.
First question by Dennis Conner. I don't even know if he's still here. If you teach
He's
them
here.
to believe what they feel,
Oh,
Oh, that's an
we've
old
already
comment.
talked
Yeah,
about
you
that
gotta
one.
go to the
Hold
newer
on.
one.
Um, Earth has the ability to take care of you, then it has to be your God. Yeah, it kind of is.
I
It
mean,
kind
if
of
you
is
if
like
you're not
that.
if you're not monotheistic, right, and you believe in deities, multiple deities, which Christianity apparently does, because you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which are all separate entities, right? So those technically, if you want to use that logic, if you wanted to add another, why wouldn't Earth be one of those deities? It literally is the reason why we have life, you know. So
Will said.
but I'm just saying, like, so it's like we breathe oxygen, not because God was like, "Hey, I'm gonna keep pumping your chest," but because we have these things that are on Earth that produce these oxygen atoms that we breathe in, and the Earth is the cause. We eat food of the Earth. Without the Earth, there is no food. We couldn't just live in space. So why
Yes,
not?
so he
Why
was
can't
saying
why can't we
if
be
the earth has
thankful
the
to the Earth?
ability to take care of you, then it should be your God. So why do you have to take care of him? The earth is a her. I am not religious and I'm not being disrespectful. I am not talking about your parenting skills. You're making this personal. That's because that's what I do. Dennis Connor.
She does tend to do that sometimes.
Dennis, listen, I appreciate you so much because you didn't have to stay here for 2 hours. So I really do
And we
appreciate you.
do own up to it. Like I said, we said earlier that, like, mom, she will get defensive. Like, but one of the things you're gonna
That
get
is
from
my
her is that
personality.
she's going to own that. Like, that's what you're gonna get with me. So you have to understand that when she's communicating and she's passionate to the point where it feels like she's angry at me, like, it's not necessarily that it's coming from a place of anger, it's more of a place of passion. But you also, as an individual, have to understand that how you're communicating your points can be very condescending and very rude, with how you're phrasing some of these things, which that's partially our fault because we're reading them, so it's hard to interpret something through text. So sometimes we can read it in a way that sounds condescending, but that's something that we all need to work on when we're trying to get a message across, is to try not to put it off in a negative way.
So Dennis says, Tasha, tell me, how do things grow? Do they come out of nowhere?
No.
Dalen, go ahead, because I don't think.
Yeah, just Dalen, let's we gonna knock these out. Come on, Dalen. We got this.
Do they grow? What do you
How do
mean? Where
things
do they come
grow,
from?
like as in plants?
Like, I'm trying to. Does he mean like agriculture? Does he?
I think
Because
so.
we
He
had
says,
we
how do
had
things
ag we
grow?
had ag in high school. You had ag in high school, didn't you, Dalen? We know that you plant the seed and it grows from that. I'm not a botanist, but
Sun and water.
If we don't have a sun god,
yeah,
then
like the
we don't
the
grow
things
anything.
that plant need, the three things that plant need are the sun, water, and soil. So that's where the
That
plant comes from. So there you go. We answered it.
There we go. All right,
Yeah.
next question.
not.
Don't, Dalen, try not to get too confused. Sometimes we'll get a question. Don't. I see you're kind of stun locked. Don't get too stun locked. Let's just. Sometimes you gotta.
I see what he's saying, because like how would anything grow in the first place? But the thing is that we already have theories about evolution. How did things even begin to grow?
No,
How did
Dalen, you're doing that thing again I told you about, where you're giving way too much credit to the question than it needed.
I don't know. Maybe that's what he's saying.
But
No,
I guarantee you, it's probably not.
that's going back to what people are saying. Where did we come from? I think that when he says, "How do things happen?" How do
Dalen
things
has a
just
tendency to where he'll analyze the question from as if he asked it. And I'd be like, no, sometimes people might have just asked it and be like, well, where do you think plants come from? And we'd be like, well, these are where I think plants come from. He could genuinely just mean it as
Until he
simple as
asked
that.
it, then I guess that's fair.
Yeah, because you do that. You do it all the time. Be like, well, if I was asking this
Definitely do
question,
that.
theoretically, I'd have to go back to the theory of evolution, because Darwin stated that, you're like, nah, you ain't got to do all that. I mean, just relax. We good.
Religion is believing what you believe, which is believing.
read it out loud so he can hear you.
Religion is believing what you believe, which is believing that you don't need redemption as much as the murder and all the other people you named. In the book of Genesis, the God gave control over the whole earth and everything in it. The Bible doesn't control you, it sets you free from the control of men. This is where you are confused.
I'm not confused. I don't need the Bible. I don't need the Bible to
So
explain
the
anything to
Bible
me.
frees you from the control of man, but the Bible was written by man and is distributed by man, and you only come into contact with the Bible if you come into contact with another man. So
Correct.
It just seems odd to
It's
me.
literally controlled by man.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, I
controlled by man. Like the actual Bible, the distribution and the showing of the Bible is through
was
man. That's how the
yeah,
information was distributed. So even with that being
And
said, it's
man is the one who wrote the words that in Genesis,
right.
because
So man created the Bible. Unless, well, okay, that's also not fair because unless they genuinely believe that the Bible in and of itself, like those leather Bibles you get at the hotel that's always in those drawers, like God put that there, like a dude didn't
he
make it in the
did.
factory, but God put that there, then
mhm.
okay, like then maybe I really can't say much. But if you know,
The
if you
Bible doesn't set me
that's what I'm
free.
saying. If you have to accept the fact that God, you know, that the Bible is made by man, right? I think that that's a big part of it. You have to accept that.
Okay, so
Mm.
this one.
Young man, it is your right to study and learn about any religion you want,
Yep.
because you feel you are a woman in a man's body. Your your feelings don't make you right when your DNA say man. A, if you believe Tasha, then you all have contradicted everything you have said today. C,
Believe me.
C, that is why y'all are so confused. God has nothing to do with death of your child. You have been taught wrong. Just like we are in control of making sure that the earth is clean, which we have not been doing that.
We haven't.
Like if you literally swim in the waters of India, that is like a guaranteed death warrant. I think people are like completely.
No, he was asking earlier, why didn't Earth take care of itself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just talk about like Christianity. You know, like there's literally water on in America that if you swim in, you will die.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
will
It's
come out
very, very
like
polluted, very toxic.
yeah, you'll come out and probably die. Like not probably, like it's guaranteed. Like you're gonna come out with like something,
Yeah, you'll
and
you'll
you're
get
gonna
very, very sick, and you'll be lucky if you. There's some water that's that polluted, that toxic, but that's just going to show. But it's so weird because it's like if according to them, God gave us dominion over the trees and the water and everything like that. This is what we chose to do with it, and we're supposed to be okay with that. Like even if we had dominion over it, like we still shouldn't be okay with what we're choosing to do with our resources.
also make we oh so he's saying that it's a responsibility. I don't think that we are also responsible for making sure we don't kill, rape, rob, or mistreat anyone.
That's not
Not
very
God.
difficult. I've
What do
never
you
woke
mean
up.
it's not
I've
God?
never struggled
Who
against the
is
idea of
not
going to rape a
God
person.
telling you to do that?
You know what I
Then
mean?
what is
Like that's never been a struggle for me.
Well, his duty is to send you to heaven or hell. If it was up to God, any of this stuff wouldn't happen, but it's not. It's up to us. He gave the earth to us, so stop blaming him. Okay.
We aren't blaming God. At what point did we say that was God's fault? Never said it. We've literally the whole show we've been talking about how humans are pretty awful. So it's weird.
Right.
Like you heard us say humans are pretty bad at what we've done with the good concept of religion, and you heard us say God is the bad guy. No, we were literally saying that humans took the good potential of religion and religious guidance, and we made it awful, and we used it to kill each other. So like you completely misunderstood what we were talking about, even though we tried to be as very clear about what we were saying.
Why? It's because of the conversation they were having. Because people are doing evil, we are responsible for everything that's happening in the earth. Bottom line, he already
Talking from
said
experience, I kept
that.
having this dream about my sister
God
on and
didn't
off for about a
take
years, and I
Job's
kept wondering how
families.
I was
Job's
going to be
family.
careful and tell
Job's
her.
Job's
And
Oh,
family?
Job's
my
family.
mom
Sorry.
had the same dream my
Job's
sister
on
was,
words did that. Job
and did things she
3:25,
wasn't supposed to be
said the
doing.
thing
Oh,
I feared most has come upon me, and that which I greatly
I understand
fear
everything you're saying, and
has
even
come
has some
unto
of
me.
the
The
same
Bible
questions. But I
say,
realized the only way you will get the answers is
I
to read the
did do
Bible.
it. They
Right,
did.
but
He
I've
did. Yes,
been
he
I've
did.
read
life
a
and
lot of the
death
Bible,
is
and
of the tongue,
I actually got more
and if you
questions than
don't
I had
have the
answers.
knowledge or wisdom to educate
Like
them, that is no
from
knock
every
on
story
you.
I've read
When
of
you
the
are
Bible,
doing too much
I got more
compromising,
questions than I
I
got
love you,
answers.
my sister, but you will be held
So
accountable.
so
Just
it's
they
not
will
like
for
reading the
not
Bible didn't give me
what?
closure. It didn't
Wait,
give
I'm going to
me
be held
answers.
accountable. Y'all get to go to heaven, but I'm going to hell
wait.
It
because
didn't give
I'm going to
me,
be held accountable for
anything I was
not teaching
looking for.
y'all
And I
to
didn't
believe in
go
the
into it.
Bible.
I
Oh,
didn't go
Basically,
into
is
the
what
Bible
he's
looking
saying.
for like answers and guidance. I
so
went
so
into
to
the
be
Bible
able.
looking for
Oh, okay. So
information.
we're down here.
I went
Give us
into it
a
looking
sounds
like, okay,
abusive.
what does the Bible say?
It sounds
Let me
abusive.
Oh,
really like take a read
oh,
because
that is
this
yeah,
is the
it's quite
basis of
abusive.
these people's religions.
No,
But
it's not his
part
time.
of reading the Bible is understanding that most
So,
Christians haven't read the Bible.
so to mention about so the
Really was supposed to try to sneak
The
back
last comment
home
you had, not
in
the
time to
last
get hit
comment
by
you
the
had, but
car.
one of your comments
Dang, that's crazy.
said this. I'll just
Part of
reread
not
it
being where she was
just
supposed
in
to be,
case.
huh? Or at least not
Remember
being
this.
in an area
Uh,
that
I didn't take
was
Job's
safer.
family. Job's on words did that. Job 3:25. He said, "The things he feared the most has come upon me, and that which I greatly feared has come unto me." The Bible say, "The power of life and death is in the tongue." Candy,
Yeah, she was
you don't
tore up.
have the knowledge or wisdom
We were
to
made from
educate
the
them.
earth.
That
Check
is
out our
no
body
knock on you,
composition. I mean,
but
I
you are
agree.
doing too much compromising.
I said that earlier
I
in
love you, my
our
sister, but you
show
will be
today, is
held
that I do
accountable.
believe we are made
Unless
of
they
the
will
universe,
for not accepting
which
Jesus.
is the earth, but
So
just more.
what is
I don't believe we're
being
just made
held
of earth. I
accountable?
believe we're made of
That is
molecules and atoms and things that
that
comprise
is
our
my
entire
question.
universe, our
Because
entire
how
existence,
how can
But that
Candace
kind
out of all
of
people,
goes more to my belief system
sure, I
that
understand.
we are made of
Sure,
our earth.
let's say
Therefore,
me,
why should we
them,
not
mom, Daquan.
provide and take care
How
more of
can
it
it?
and
You
feel more
you
connected to
can't
our
put
own earth? And if anything, I
this
would
on
understand
the
more
same level
people
as mass
worshiping
shooters,
earth
man. No,
than,
and that's
you know,
why I
God
don't
or the Christian
understand the
God.
Bible.
Because
Because
at least that
again,
would make
it's
some sort of tangible
tyranny.
sense. Like, oh,
It's
well, we
tyranny.
do come
You're
from
not
soil, we
going
get
to
buried in
understand it
soil, the
because, well,
soil
you're
takes
not
us
really
in, and
supposed
we
to.
can literally put
You live
a
your
body
life
here of a
this
lost
way,
loved
and
one, and
there's
they will
nothing
turn
wrong with
into
that. There's nothing
plants,
wrong
and
with that. There's
their
no
their
right or
bodies will
wrong
go
answer.
to
There's no right or
feed
wrong answer.
the
You're living your life.
life
You're not
that will
harming
live
anyone.
on
But
in
at
this
the end of the
area
day,
for years to
you think you're
come.
right, you're
You
wrong.
know,
At the end of the day, that's just kind of it.
and that's what I do. Yeah, yep. So my
Look
mom
at it
owns
this
it,
way.
man.
This is
I
how I've
can't
seen
see
life.
someone I don't know being mad
when
at me.
when you
Be
study
like,
it.
dang, they feeling
You
this.
know,
Yeah, that's how my mom
we are
is. Mine is,
sentient beings.
God said, "Let there be
But
light."
look at all the other
Sure,
animals.
I
You
guess.
see a dog, right?
I
Or
also said, "Let there be
gazelle,
light" when I
or
flicked
an
the light switch
alligator.
on.
They have
Like,
eyes, they have legs, they have ears,
Sonny,
they
you have
have
to understand
brains,
that you saying
they have
that.
all the functioning
What is
organs
that
that we
supposed to mean
have.
to me? Like,
Thing is that we can
if
just use
you
our
really
hands as
genuinely,
tools. We
Sonny,
can
if you
speak,
really genuinely want to
we
make
can
a
talk.
case for Christianity
Where
to
do they
me
go when they
and present it
pass?
in this way, saying
What
God
makes
said, "Let there be
us
light."
these
That,
divine
from my
beings and
perspective,
them not when
do
they're the
you
same
feel as though
same
I'm
as
going to
we?
read that and be like, "Oh,
They are
word,"
the
like
same as we.
but
But do they
you
not go to
gotta
heaven
let
when
me
they're
in on
when they're pretty
what
much
is
just
it
like
when you're
us?
saying
We can
that.
just talk.
What do you
We're more
feel like
intelligent.
I'm going to say when you say
So
that?
where do they go, Dennis?
You almost broke your brother's brain.
They
He
have no
was
book to
stunned.
follow.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you,
but they're
TT.
still
Thank you,
living
TT.
beings.
We're trying.
They're still creatures
I know it's
that were
him.
made
It's
by
definitely
God. So where
him.
do they go?
Actually, the whole earth speaks of God's
Ask
creation.
him
Even you guys
if
are
people
testimonies of His
who
creative
don't use
genius.
the Bible, so
But
Buddhists,
that's
ask
not
them,
fully
do
true
the
because
monks go to
our
hell?
entire
And that's
existence is
also a good
chaotic.
question.
The universe is
Because
chaotic.
you were
Our whole our
people that were
planet is
born
chaotic.
in
You know what I
Asia,
mean? Like
Middle Eastern Asia and stuff
the
like that.
idea of
They were raised
the God's
into
creation
believing
thing.
other religions that are also
It
seen
shows that there is no
as
creative process to it. It is
divine
a chaotic
righteousness.
creative process.
No,
Even
this is
our
correct.
conception
This is what it is.
was not necessarily
So
like you
where do
can
the
argue
followers
that
of the
it was
Quran go?
destined, but
Where do
there's
Hebrews
also
go? Where do they
trillions
go?
of other potential
They're
destined
also
lives that
following
could exist.
religion.
Your mom
What
is
makes
angry,
Christians
and God
have
sees
the
her
right
and
answer?
loves her and knows the hurt
And you
and
could say
for her.
that,
She opens her
so
heart.
many people
Don't judge
follow
him
it. There's
because of
more
the hurt,
people
harsh judgment
following
people
it.
inflict on her. That's not true at all.
Quran,
Like, my mom is not
the
angry.
people of Islam,
My mom is
they're catching
passionate,
up to
but she's not
Christianity.
angry.
What about the monks? Do they go to hell?
And I appreciate
These
you saying that he
peaceful
loves her,
people.
but
Yes,
she
so.
doesn't need to be healed.
Ask him.
And
He's,
you forget, son. Well, you
not
don't forget,
commenting
son.
yet.
You weren't here.
I
My
think he
mom
might be
is an
gone.
ex-Christian,
Might be.
as same as
So,
me. We are
you
both
know,
Christians. I was baptized the same way that she
I
was.
just
We
wanted
walked
you to
away
come
from the
here
church
I've
because it
been
did not
kind
feel
of,
right in our hearts.
a lot of
We
a lot
didn't
of the
feel
times I
comfortable
told people
in the
I
church. We didn't
gave you
feel like
guys the
this
freedom of
represented
choice
our
to
belief
believe
systems.
in
We
what it
had
is that
questions
you
that
wanted
weren't
to
getting
believe
answered.
in.
We didn't feel accepted,
And
so we walked away from the church. So
I
saying
wanted them
open
to
her
see
heart,
your
we
intellect
tried
and
that.
to
It
say
didn't work.
why
It wasn't.
you chose.
We don't feel
why
like it was meant for
up
us.
to you yourself.
We aren't
to
judging
not
God. We
follow
aren't doing that.
Christianity.
There's no judgment
Because,
going on here.
again,
Like
you
I
have
said,
to
our
logically
questions
look
and
at it,
concerns,
right?
or even criticisms, are not
I started
judgments
to
of other Christians
started to just go
or
into
God
it.
in and of
I
itself.
started
That's not what. And
to
it's
believe
unfortunate
this.
that a lot
And
of Christians
there's a
take
theory
things
that I
that way,
go
but that's
by.
not our goal. Our goal is
And
not
the
to
theory
be judgmental
is
of Christians or
I never
hurtful at
said
Christians or
Candy was
even
going
angry
to
at Christians.
hell,
I'm not
nor did
angry
I
at Christians.
say
We're simply giving our
sometime that any of you
perspectives
are
on
going to
our
hell.
experiences, and
He said
we're
we're going to be
saying
held
that based
accountable. That's
on
kind of what
this,
Y'all are
Christians
you know,
saying
say.
that the only time I said
ask
hell
your
was
mom
when you
about the
said it
hurt
was
that you
God's
don't
duty
know
to give
about.
it
I do know about my
to an
mom's
animal
hurt.
as an insult. How is it?
I don't need to ask her.
how is
She's told
comparing
me
us to
about
an
her.
animal an
She's told
insult?
me about her sexual
How is
abuse
it
in
an
her
insult?
past. I know my mom, Sonny.
A
I know her
creation by
very well.
God being compared to a
I don't
creation by
need to
God is
ask her about
insulting.
the hurt
I
that
don't mean
I
to
don't know about.
gaslight you, but I'm
I
genuinely
know a lot
confused.
of it. I know all of it for real, for
Can
real.
a sane being
You know what I mean? Like,
that does the same thing as
and
us
we talked about it.
practically?
We're not
You know,
angry at
of
God
course we're
about
not
that.
animals.
But we do
The thing
understand
is
people
that we
who
were
are
at one
angry
point
about
in
God for
time.
going through things that she went through.
Were. You know,
But
and
she
history
feels
shows that we
happy
were medieval
with her spiritual
animals.
belief system.
You know, and these are still creations.
And that's
These are
exactly it,
still
TT, is
things
that
that
we
evolved
don't fully
from us and
understand
from other things.
Christianity
They still
like
have
in that
lungs, they have a
same
heart,
way.
they have a
And even when
brain,
we
they have
explore
everything that
Christianity,
we
it
have.
just doesn't
You know,
make
they have
sense
rib cages.
to
They
us. It
some
does
animals
not
have the same
fulfill
anatomy
us.
as us.
So therefore, we
No,
won't follow that
but
path
what makes us
because
so
we don't
different? What
feel
gives us
like
divinity
we don't feel
and
it.
them
We don't
not?
feel it in our
That
hearts
is
and our
what I'm
souls
trying to
that
ask.
it's where we want to be in
But
life.
he says we will be held accountable.
And also, what are you implying with us being held accountable if it's
So
not
we're going to
hell?
hell.
Exactly. So what are you implying? You never once said it, but you can't just imply it and then be upset that we're biting the bait. You can't be upset that we're assuming this is what you're saying, because you're literally not implying it any other way. And you're assuming that we know what you're trying to say when every other Christian
What did he
that we've
actually
ever
say,
talked
buddy?
to.
What did he say?
Oh,
I
he
was
said,
replying to chat, so I was reading their
he
questions
said,
as
I
well.
never said Candace was going to hell, nor did I say one time that any of you are going to hell, which
We
he
never
said
said
that
he said that.
before. We kind of did.
No,
Yeah,
we
because he
were
said
saying. I don't remember saying that, but I was saying that Christians
Right.
will
He said
say
we were
that.
going to be held accountable, which whenever you
Oh,
hear any other Christian say that,
does that not is that not what that means? Like when they say like you're going to have to meet your maker, does that not mean that like when I go and meet your creator or whatever, like he's going to punish me, right? Is that not what they mean when they say that? What I see where you're coming from. Yeah, no, I get it.
so it's just the implication that you're assuming that like every other Christian that says that, that's
Trust
what
what
they
I'm
mean.
saying. He's saying
No,
open your heart
or
again and
something
you'll
like
see
that,
and
because
understand
again
all you need to know. No.
they have
Sonny,
righteous divinity.
so
How would they
first,
not say
Sonny,
it?
I have
If they
absolutely
feel
nothing
as
against you.
they're
You're probably a
righteously
great
correct.
person.
If they feel that they're righteously
But
correct.
you're another human being just like me. So I have no reason to trust what you're saying over what I currently
Nothing wrong with
feel
that.
and
Again, there's
believe.
absolutely nothing
But
wrong
then
with
you're
that.
religious.
And
you know what I mean?
once again, it's like, why would I open my
heart?
heart again to
You know,
something that does not make
again, I have no
sense to me?
qualm for anyone that
No, we said that
I
earlier,
try
that we don't
when I'm
care
exploring the
people
Bible and
religion,
exploring the Christian religion.
religious.
That is
We
me
were
opening
just
my heart. I'm
saying
opening my
that
mind.
we're not in
You know,
why, and whether
I'm
religion
opening my mind
was
to
a
understanding
thing to
Christianity and
either
understanding its inner
control
workings
people
and
or
what it
was it a
means to
way
be a
to get to
Christian.
heaven?
I've
That's what
talked
the
to Christians.
topic
I
was,
went
and
to
it ended
churches.
up going
I've
3
tried
hours.
to
Which religion
understand
always is going to be
Christianity.
that.
I cannot
But
open my heart
is
to something
religion a
without
thing to get to
understanding it.
heaven,
That's not
or
how
is
I operate. I don't do
religion
that.
a thing of
So
control?
I have to
And you
understand something. I
answered,
have
you
to
said, why
open.
can't it be
I
both?
have to open my mind to it first and
So,
understand it in order. If
I
I
don't know if Dennis is
understand
still
it, I
here,
can believe in it. But
he
I
said
do
to
not
compare us
understand it, no matter how I try to open my
is
mind
an
and I
insult.
ask questions.
How
And
is
just
it?
like I'm doing now.
You know, they
Mind and
give
heart are
birth.
different. Absolutely.
They have ovaries.
But for me,
they
they're directly connected.
do the same thing as
If you
us,
got my
man.
mind, you got my
They're
heart.
doing the same thing as us.
And if you got my
They
heart,
have-
that means
they
you
have
already have
all the
my
same
mind.
organs
You
practically.
can't have my heart and
So
not have
why
my
did
mind.
what made you?
You can't
walk a
do it.
different
That's not
journey?
how I
What
operate
made
as a
you-
person.
Because it doesn't make sense. It
I'm a
literally doesn't
believer,
make
and even
sense.
I
What
have
doesn't
questions
make
still
sense?
wonder some
Tell
things.
me
Yeah,
what
see,
animal
TT,
could
like
do what we do.
I couldn't,
Walk,
deal
eat,
with those
pee,
questions. But not
poop.
only couldn't I not deal with those
Again,
questions,
they do
I couldn't
everything
deal with
that we do.
the non-answers I was
Birds
getting to
build
my
nests. They
questions.
communicate.
And Sonny, like
know,
you're kind of
they
you're kind of going with along with my point is that
No, they're
these
not.
concerns that we've expressed
If
throughout
they
this
were,
live,
they'd have laser guns
I'm
by
still
now.
getting just scripture
They would
from you.
utilize their
And
tools. Dolphins
so
are incredibly
when you're
intelligent.
saying trust
they're
what
not
you're
more
saying,
intelligent than Homo sapiens.
when that's the
which
thing,
is
it's
I'm
like
just saying, what
for
happens to
me,
these
it's not
living
just
beings?
faith, right?
Right.
Why is it-
What happens to
why
these
is-
other
hey,
living animals
have
and living
faith.
beings? Because they're
I
literally
can't do that.
living.
I don't
They're
operate
also
that way,
living sentient creatures.
So
You
it's
have to
just
keep
one
that
of
in
those
mind,
differences
that
that I
these are-
have
these
with the
are
people
sentient
around me.
animals.
I
They
don't
are alive.
desire
Their brain
that.
functions.
I don't desire to be a
for
part
example,
of that.
ravens. They have
I don't desire that.
extremely,
I
extremely,
am
extremely,
happy
extremely
with my
intelligent brain
spiritual
functions.
belonging
You know,
currently.
Elephants mourn their children.
Because my
monkeys
current
mourn their
spiritual
children.
belief
You know,
gives me
dolphins
the
are
freedom to
incredibly
grow
smart.
and
Orcas
evolve
are
and learn
insanely
more
smart.
about my spirituality.
Yeah, monkeys
and
do.
about
You cannot believe
universe.
the things that monkeys can do.
And I
Monkeys
feel
do some
that
stuff.
the
It's
restrictions
actually
of
incredible.
Christianity won't
You know,
allow
They
me to do
sign.
that.
New sign language.
There are different gods, just like there are different religions and people. Right.
Okay, yeah.
But
That's kind of what we're
100%.
saying.
you know, and
That's what
that's
we're
the thing.
saying.
That's the thing. that's what makes it even more illogical, because there have been religious wars for a very long time. Look at Muslims versus the Hebrews, they've been fighting wars for so long. Like I could even date back, because
Is
the
it
thing is
5,000
that,
years?
good lord, I couldn't even tell
I
you.
think it's 55. I think it's 5,500 years or something. It's something crazy.
Yeah,
They've
they've
had
been
they've
fighting
had
the
they
wars
got the
for a
longest
very
running
long
beef,
time.
I think, in human history.
Right.
Over religion.
Over religion. Over the fact that
Over a God.
they're trying to see which is the right one.
I
No,
feel your
and that
heart.
just doesn't make sense. How does anyone figure that out? How does anyone figure that out? You can
Please tell Dalen we
believe
say
someone,
yes.
sure.
I will.
Fine.
Not yes.
But how does anyone particularly figure out that this religion
Hold
is
on.
the right
I
religion?
feel like there was a mistake there. Maybe I was thinking of something else.
And come back and say,
I feel
"This
your
the
heart.
right
I
one,
know
yo."
searching.
And
You will
here,
make things
there's
plain
another
for you.
there's
Just
another
ask, do
thing.
you want to understand?
There's a lot of people that have died.
That's not.
And
That's not
there's
it.
something called a
Like,
near-death experience.
That's not it for me.
Where people
My
when they
understanding of
die, they'll end
spirituality
up
is that
floating
I
or see
can't
the
just
light
go
and
and
stuff
sit
like
down
that.
and put my hands together
I'll
and
explain it
ask,
to you. Okay,
please
I'll
give
explain
me
it to you.
understanding. It doesn't
So
work that way,
when you sleep,
you know.
okay,
And I'm not searching in that
there's
in
a
that
thing.
in that regard.
There's a drug
I'm
that
very much at
that
peace
registers in your
with my
brain.
spirituality.
Okay, it is called
You know.
dimethyltryptamine.
So
Okay,
I
or
appreciate you feeling my
DMT.
heart, but I'm not searching in
Dimethyltryptamine
that
is what
regard.
gives you dreams.
I don't
Okay,
and matter of
it is
fact, I really
it
don't
is
want
the
things to be
literal
made
thing
plain
that
to
gives you
me.
dreams.
You know,
Okay,
things have
and
to be
when
done
you die,
for me.
you have
know,
been
I need to
living
find my
by
journey.
a
I need to
principle
find
for
my
so
purpose, my
long
place.
that when you
It's up to
die,
me to find that.
you are certain to believe
You
that you
know.
will see a light. That
He's so
is
smart and
one
speaks
thing
well.
that you
Yeah,
were taught
he's
for your entire life.
yeah. I'm listening to you,
But
brother.
when
He's
you
some kind of
die,
man-child genius,
is
huh?
a thing that is triggered by placebo.
He's
So,
yeah.
for example,
He's a gifted kid.
when you dream, when you
Like
often have something worrying you,
Are you
dream
afraid of
about
God?
that.
Absolutely not.
You will
Well,
have
I mean, I'm
nightmares
kind of afraid
about
of your
things that are
God.
worrying you. Which that is a placebo effect.
I'm kind of your
The
God is
things that you're
he
worried
kind of a
about. So when you're
cold-blooded,
dying, and
cold-blooded
you have
guy,
been
I
raised
guess.
to believe forever
But
that you're
no,
going
I'm
to
not.
see a
I'm not
light.
afraid of
You
God,
die,
depending on how you're asking. But yeah,
when
it's
you were dying and you get
yeah, he's a scary
dimethyltryptamine,
dude.
it
For
will
real,
be
for
a
real.
placebo effect, and it's been proven.
We were saying the
It
same
is
thing. So
literally been
yeah,
proven by science.
yeah, he's 18 now, so he's an
and
intelligent
sure,
man
a
now.
lot of Christian people don't believe in science because it completely goes against their ideals.
I
which
made that point
get
earlier,
that.
Dalen. Yeah, that absolutely.
That's totally okay.
If
Okay,
science
there's
and my
nothing
religion can't mix, then that doesn't
right.
bode well for the religion I'm belonging to. You know,
Right.
doesn't that in and of itself mean that I cannot evolve with my times and learn more? Like I'm destined, I have to accept that I don't understand gravity. Like, and I'm not allowed
Right.
to understand gravity
Oh, yeah,
because
because if you try to understand it, you'll die.
yeah, that's
and that's
I'm not allowed. I wasn't meant to understand that. That knowledge wasn't for me. And then it's like,
Right.
why not? I live here.
Right.
I have to. Shouldn't I be able to learn about the forces that impact me every single day? You know,
Exactly,
So
and that's
a very good point.
That's what I was trying to say about these people making power, controlling. When you look at it, okay,
You said man child.
you
Yeah.
can write a book during these eras.
My chat's
way
rocking
back.
with you, by the way, Dylan. They think you're very very nice, very young, very intelligent. So they asked me to let you know that. Yeah. So yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I thought it was necessary for them to see. I thought it was very necessary for people to see my children, to see the young men that I've raised. These are two of my children. To see that I didn't raise heathens, or
Science
that I
and
didn't
God go
raise
hand in hand.
some
Do they, Sonny?
old,
Do they?
bad.
Do they? Because I need you to
raise
elaborate on that. Because
sociopaths.
from my
because I
experience and my
because I
understanding
gave
of
them, I
science,
gave them choice.
they do not go hand in
religious
hand.
beliefs.
A lot of the things that science tries to explain.
So when you look at it,
specifically
when
Christianity,
you write a book,
tries to write
in
that off
this,
as,
in,
oh, that's
you
just
know,
God.
in these much
You know.
later eras.
Now, I
medieval
have met
eras,
Christians who do
when
embrace
you
science,
write a
and I
book,
very
you
much
write
appreciate that.
scriptures,
But
you
they
write these
also have to
rules
accept the fact that,
that
this
are
isn't
in my
necessarily
viewpoint.
God.
So
This
say
is
say
this.
I got a
This
pencil
is
and I
gravity.
got a pen and paper,
Oh,
right?
this is how this chemical
just a pencil,
reaction
and
works
I
out.
wrote something
When I
down
put this inside of
on a
this, it
scripture,
creates this.
okay?
God
And
didn't
I'm
do
just
that.
like,
I put
I
this chemical
want
inside of this, and it
every
created
human
that. So
create
from my understanding and
curiosity.
my history and my life
I'll read that in just a
perspective,
second. So
science and
if
religion,
I
not
got
just science
a
and God, but
pencil
science and
paper
religion
and I
don't
was
tend to
able
mix well.
to sit
Now
down
that's any religion,
and
not
write
just Christianity.
every
Any
single
religion.
viewpoint I wanted to, and every single ideal that I
Said man
wanted to,
child, I know.
and
Baby
write
loving
it
that
on a
necklace.
pen
He
and
is
paper,
snacking on this
and
necklace. My
And
whole
people will
shirt,
believe it,
my collar
and
stretched
not
out.
just believe it, but
live
worship
by
it.
it.
They will worship
Dance
it.
it, buddy.
They will fanaticize
Dance
it,
it.
and that's
You you like the
the thing.
posters.
Why
That's
would I not
right.
do that? Why would I not do
He likes the
that?
posters.
Would be the reason not to.
Right.
If I
Yeah,
could write,
smile.
and then on
Yeah,
top of
smile
that,
right there.
you don't need men, you don't
Yeah,
need
smile on that
armies, you don't
boy.
need weaponry,
You
you
doing,
don't need to.
Theo?
The only
Huh?
thing you need to do
You
is
see,
scare
look, you're up
people.
there.
You need to scare people with
Right there, right there.
righteousness, divine righteousness.
Scare tactic.
Exactly. So if I can just write down, okay, well, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. Look at the
Oh,
Quran.
yeah, all right. Come here.
You know, a lot of the Quran is very sexist.
Okay.
So what is saying that just a sexist man didn't just write it? You know, it's by their viewpoints.
That's why I have a lot of problem with a lot of religions, because it always seems to be very sexist.
Right.
You know what I mean? And very misogynist. You know, and to me, it's very disturbing. I just can't rock with it.
Right.
You know
Well,
what
there
I
was
mean?
a point that I was making earlier that I was having with somebody in the chat, um, uh, which I had a couple people who I have Christians in my chat right now. We're having discussions, but one of the things that they kept referring to God as a he, and that right then, like before I even got into the question, I'm like, why do you refer to God as a he? I need to understand this. And one person said that, you know, we refer to God as he refers to himself. And I'm like, okay, so
True.
God's a dude, right? Like, just so he's just a dude. To me, and my argument was, wouldn't an all-powerful, omnipotent God go beyond gender,
Our
sex?
anatomy.
You know what I mean? And then if according to them, man and woman were created in God's image, wouldn't that make God some sort of hermaphrodite or chimera
Intersex
or something?
creature.
You know, like why wouldn't it be that? Why is God just a guy? He's just a he. And so that was like my first question was, you know, trying to understand the wording. And a person said that, you know, that was the phrasing and how they just adopted it. You know, that's how it was referred to in the Bible, and they just kind of
Exactly. Just like they
that's just kind
adopted
of how they took it and they were like, well, that's how we're going to go with it, and because that's how it's said. But my whole thing was like, it all comes back to, well, why not just ask that question? What is God? God's a guy. And so if you have that question where, and somebody in chat said God's a spirit, and I was like, okay, that means that God's not a guy. So why are we calling it a he instead of just calling it a it? You know, like I would understand, and I'm like, I don't want to have a semantics discussion, but I said I think that that's very important with how that kind of religion spreads, because why is it that people feel the need to say he, him, like, you know, father, like you give this all powerful being a gender. It's a dude. You tell like it just
And women are the creators of life. So
right.
why would
So
God be
it
a
just
guy?
didn't that right there, just right then, kind of showed me a little bit of the aspect of that, how this can be used as control for patriarchal societies, you know,
Right.
and
It was
patriarchy
used.
yeah, and it was used toward that, because if in this text it is woman shall submit to her man, her husband, he has
Right.
the rule, he has the say, you know,
And
fathers obey your daughters, and
More people
you
in the
know,
place.
then you have to obey the ultimate father, the all father, the heavenly father. Like it's God, he, him, like
Right.
Jesus was a dude, you know.
What if
So it's just interesting that this, just that in and of itself, goes and shows how elaborate that this can be used, and doesn't fully make sense to me. You know, it just doesn't fully make sense to me. If this thing is supposed to be this just massive cosmic being that is
Not what it
capable
is
of
at all.
so many
And
things,
they say God made
it
us in
just
his
doesn't make sense that it would just be a guy. He's just a
Right.
guy, right? Like, it doesn't make full sense to me.
Well, I guess my whole thing would still boil down to, said who?
Whose baby? This is my friend's baby. This is Mateo.
No, I'm saying, who wrote the Bible? Who told y'all that God said all of this? Who told y'all that? But man,
You eating on
who
that, buddy?
told you that?
So, you know, I also want to look at the perspective. What if God was a woman? What if they wrote the scriptures?
That's that's gonna be.
No, I'm not saying if I'm saying if they wrote the Christian Bible,
Mhm.
everything was the same, but they made God a woman. It was mother instead of father.
Right. What do you think?
understand
What
how
do you
much of a-
think
how much of
would
a
happen?
difference- Yeah, a matriarchal society would happen.
Do you
Mid-
think a
mid-
matriarchal
mid-
society would happen, or do you think they would have rejected that religion?
They would reject
Men were
it off.
jumped
There
off
you go.
bridges.
What?
There you go. Because I'm like,
And
Christianity
then-
would
and
not
then-
Christianity
and then
would
when
not
Christ
have
says-
been the dominant religion that it is on earth if they referred to God as a she. I 100%
Absolutely.
that if they
Absolutely.
referred to God as a she, that it wouldn't. I know, he's fine. He ain't got no teeth. He ain't doing nothing. He just slobbering. But yeah, if they referred to God as a she, I think that there would have been probably more wars. You know what I mean? But I agree 100%.
So Dennis Connor, I want. Go ahead and do
Okay,
that.
the animals did not
Hi,
create.
Shiny.
Animals did not create this chaos in the earth.
Exactly, men did.
Adam did.
Well, Earth
so
was
why would
chaotic
God
before
call
we
it?
existed, so
Exactly.
there were
with the dinosaurs.
asteroids and everything like that. So you know, the
Exactly.
universe is chaos
Okay.
incarnate.
What they didn't do. I know lots of people that have died and came back. Well, then who gave you the ability to have dreams? Can you look at the uniqueness of your body and see
I
that
think
someone had to
that
design
Dennis,
it?
let me say this. I think that when you're asking these questions, I think that that is
babies, I
one of
just
the
don't want
reasons
any.
religion was created, right? Because we don't have the answers, and when we don't have the answers, we won't just take science as its word,
Right,
as for
believe
what
that.
it is.
I don't
So
either.
I think a lot of
I
times
don't know
we
how
will
to tell the
say
kids that I
God.
have
For
though.
anything we don't
Oh, man.
understand, we just attribute it to God
Yeah, y'all
because
know
we don't
me.
want to
I
think
love me a couple babies.
because it's easier to just say God than
Look,
to
there's you
try to
right there.
make sense.
Who's that?
Because our heads
Who's
would
that?
explode if we try to make sense of everything.
Right.
So since we can't
Yeah,
fathom
big boy.
the universe and we can't fathom everything that the universe is and solar systems are and black holes are, we just say God
And
because that's easier. It's
And
easier.
the thing is that we can fathom it now, but that the reason being is because we're in 2023.
We've
You
evolved.
know, what did you think? What did you think that they did 2,000 years ago? They didn't know that.
Hey,
you know-
Daquan, hold on, Dalen. Kwani.
Yes.
Dennis just asked,
Your family, you are your husband.
telling that.
Who, Tasha? Who is the head of your family? You or your husband? I think that's.
You know that is a trigger question
That's
for
a
me.
very triggering question, but there really is no head of the household. They are a unit. They work together as one. That's actually giving me the blueprint of how I want my relationship to work, is seeing my parents not necessarily go over and just be like, oh, my father has the ultimate say. Neither one of them really has the ultimate say. They come together and cooperate to make effective decisions. So there is no head of the house. They are the head of the household. You know, it's them united. They can't be beat. It is not my father and he just doesn't know. When it comes to their business, my dad, he might sell the car, my mom might do the paperwork. You can't have one without the other. You know what I mean? So it's them cooperating as a unit. There is no head of the household. The head of the household is outdated. You know what I mean? That's outdated and it's obsolete to me. You know, you want to work better, work together.
I see a question here. He
Mm-hmm.
said he made male and female because that is the only way we can reproduce.
False.
Tell me what two men or women you know today that has produced a child. But science has come so
I was
far.
gonna say, like,
that,
science has definitely
like-
come far, and naturally there are hermaphroditic things that switch their genders. You know what I mean? In the animal kingdom, seahorses are males that give birth to their babies. So don't.
Like there's literally there's proven intersex. Like you can.
Yeah,
literally
there's
born
proven asexual things that reproduce asexually. They don't need sex. So when we try to argue nature, we don't want to go there because biologically, we got receipts. You know what I mean about how nature is
Dennis,
like that.
Dennis, did you know that women have we have penises? Our clitoris is small penises. It's like literally.
Yeah, it's actually
the clitoris is like a baby penis.
And our nipples come from women. So
you ever seen a dude lactate?
Right,
Because they
wait,
can.
Dennis,
Because they can.
Science only validates the Bible. We are not talking about animals. The science does not validate
It does
the Bible
not.
in any way, shape, or form.
I actually want to hear what he wants to say.
I would like to know. I would like to know, just like Dalen, I'm sure you're right there with me. I would like to know how the science validates the Bible. I would like to know that. Absolutely. I'm completely open to that. That sounds interesting. And if he can put out something credible and, you know, as a logical person, who does follow science, and I feel like there's good credible, but I also think that there's some science that's like questionable, which is why it's called theories, you know. But I feel like, you know, if he offers something credible and understandable, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll give you that. But I'm very curious to hear him elaborate on that thought, because from my perspective, that's not true. If
So I think
anything,
that
people who were scientific were persecuted by Christians all throughout history. One of my
and
favorite
murdered.
people I told you about, Ma, was the dude who was a Christian, but he was a Christian scientist, and he was still burnt at the stake. And his last words were, "Your God is too small." Because he was having dreams of him astral projection into space, and they felt insulted when he started preaching to them, saying, God is so much bigger than you guys think. I have a telescope. I can see into space. Look at all the stars. These things are stars. The earth isn't the center of the universe. God is so much bigger. They didn't like that, and they burnt him alive. So historically, science has never really gotten along with religion.
yeah, I think that in first of all, and thank you, Dennis, for saying that I raised two, good young men.
Appreciate that,
Um,
Dennis.
yeah.
Understand that our disagreements do not breed hate or distaste. We're
No, not
simply
at
two
all. Not
people
at all.
who
And I apologize for my
have
frustration
disagreements.
because, like my son said, I get very passionate
She
about these
does.
topics. But you have to understand, Dennis, I grew up very Christian. Like, I
I'm
took
the
my
aunt that
kids to
says
see
yes to
The
everything
Passion
if
of the
nobody's
Christ
getting hurt and it's
like a
appropriate.
couple
Go ahead.
times.
Yeah, my cousin is
And
like that.
this was something that I believed in because I was afraid not to.
That's cool. Yeah.
And so one of the reasons that I have these discussions
Are you
is
having some
because
No,
I
you're
want
just a
for other
slobbery
people who
boy.
might have had the same fear as I did
Every baby
to
starts
not
off
be
female,
afraid
technically.
to
I've heard that before. I'd like to
evolve.
know more about it.
I think it's
He gives
evolving.
us a
It's an
gender. If you really
evolution of
want
the
to know, you
mind
have to do
when
an
you
in-depth
don't
study
need
of the
this book
Bible and
anymore.
all
When
God,
you say,
all of
I'm
God's
good, I
names.
don't
There's so
need
much
this
you
book
don't know.
anymore,
Keep
I
gravy.
want to
Thank you,
go
Sonny. I appreciate that.
further. I
And
want
I'm
to
sure there's
further
so much
see
that I
what
don't
else
know.
is out there.
But
I want to
my
see
spiritual
what
belief system
else
gives me the
I can
freedom
belong
to
to.
learn more
Oh, the Native
about not
Americans
just
believe this.
Christianity, but
Oh,
every religion that I'm fascinated
the
by. All
Aztecs
the gods
believe
of
this.
old, Horus,
Oh, they
Ra,
believe
Zeus,
this
and
over
Ares, all of them.
with
I get to
Hinduism. They
explore this
believe
and
this
learn
over
about
in
every god of
you know
every
what I mean?
different
Like there's
religion
so many
and
other
not
things
feel
out there that
like,
I
you
wanted
know,
my mind to be able
I'm
to
being
eat
blasphemous.
more. I didn't want to
And if I
just
feel a
be
connection to other
stifled by this
religions
one
or
thing.
spiritual,
So to
you
me,
know,
it was
practices,
me
I don't want to feel
evolving
like
as a
I am going
human
to hell for
to
that.
say,
I don't want to
done
feel
with
like I'm going to
this.
hell for practicing
Now I need to
meditation
go see
because
what
of
else
my
is
native
out there for
heritage.
my energy
You
space.
know?
Right.
And I just want other people who, I don't want people to walk away from religion. Listen, Dennis, I don't want for you to walk away from religion. If that's what you
But my
believe in and
argument,
that's
Sonny,
where you
wasn't
want
that
to
he gives
stay,
us a gender. I
that's
recognize that
fine.
we have
But
sex.
I
We
want
have
for
a
other, my
sex.
main
We don't
goal is
necessarily
for
have
other
gender.
people
Gender is a
to
social
not be
construct, but
afraid
sex is more of a biological
to
thing.
feel like they're going to go to hell if they want more, if they want to research
Our DNA
more, if they
determines our
want to
gender, not
look
God.
into
That's
something
actually a
that we
fair
were
point
not
too.
allowed to look into as a Western
But if you want to
culture.
attribute
You know what I mean?
God to
Why are all of our
the
why are
connections in our
most of the
DNA,
men in the
that's
Bible
hopefully
white
true.
when
Do
they're
you want
really
to know the
not
truth?
supposed to be white?
The truth
You
about
know what
what,
I mean?
Sonny?
Like what? Where is people of color anywhere
Because
in
that
any
honestly,
Western
Sonny, I'm gonna tell
or
you what you sound like
Greek
right now. You sound like one of them
mythology?
billboards up
Where
the
is
street.
all the
Because
people
I
of
live in
color
Ohio,
at?
so we got
And
them
why are we
billboards that's like
aligning
hell is
ourselves
real.
with
To know the truth, call
religions and
866
walks of life that don't
5127. You know
include
what I mean?
us?
Like that's what that
They
just
don't
sounded like when
include
you
us.
asked
They
me
don't
that.
even have people of
And our pants just started walking
melanin.
weird away from my dad.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
listen,
I
Jisoo,
just
I
wanted
totally
to. To
understand
me, it's an
that
evolution
it's
of
people's
self.
culture.
When you can
Just
go on a
truth.
different journey and say I'm
I,
going on a
I,
because at the end of the
sure, I
day,
guess.
doesn't
I
the
don't
Bible
know. Like
say
I feel like,
my walk
you
with God
know,
is my
to
own?
say I just want
Then
to
I
know
don't
the
need the
truth.
Bible to
What
have
is
a
the
walk
truth?
with
The truth
God.
about what?
You know what I mean?
Just
Nobody
truth in
really
general.
does if
Like
it's your personal journey.
I'm not
You know what
fully
I mean?
sure
You don't.
I'm
What do you need a book for if it's your own personal
understanding
journey?
what
So
you mean.
you
Yeah, I
know
got jokes.
that's where I'm coming from. And
I got a
don't
few,
want
Sonny.
other
I got a
people to
few.
feel afraid
I got a couple
that they're
jokes
going
over
to
this
burn
way.
in hell forever and ever because they're trying to find a better self.
I don't want to see a man
that's not
lactate. Hey,
attached
listen,
to
I seen
Western
it. I don't
religion.
want to see it again either.
That's all.
That was some crazy stuff. But yeah, I gotta get ready to go to the store. It's getting dark out, and
Yep,
I'm
and
gonna
thank
wipe
you
his
guys
little
for
boogies
joining
off.
us. Dennis, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Shawnee, for sticking in there. And James, the relationship that people claim they have with God looks and feels like the domestic violence to me.
Didn't I say it was like an abusive relationship? Like anything bad that happens, you like it wasn't him. No, anything good that happens, that was him right there. That was him. He did that for me. Like it reads a little like Stockholm syndrome, you know.
It says, I gotta go eat dinner, but religion has its positive. Janice Niece, oh hey, says it has positives like keeping people of good moral. I just don't need religion to be a good person.
Right.
We're
Absolutely. We're right
absolutely.
there. We matter of fact that agrees with the whole thing that we've been saying. We think
That's it.
religion
That's
has
not
its
what Dennis said. That's
positives.
what Janice said. Janice said that, and I
Yeah.
agree a
Yeah.
thousand with
We've
her.
talked
Like,
about that, how religion has its positives and that we think that is good for a lot of people, but that, we don't necessarily need that to guide our moral compass.
yes, and it's so hard to walk away from it when you were raised with it and tortured with this idea that you were going to burn and your skin, be eaten off and just, it's very very frightening to walk away from it. But it was such a freedom and evolution for me.
We would need to do this outside of texting because y'all have the upper hand. Because okay, I understand that
That's
because
fair.
I can see y'all expressions, but
Yeah.
y'all can't see mine.
Yeah.
So it's y'all all taking me hostile, which I'm not. I think people that put tone in texting are stupid. The whole Bible
I,
talk about
I, I
us.
think that I agree. We were
He said
actually
that
doing that
earlier.
though. We were
Daquan
we
said
were
that earlier.
we I said, and I said it's unfair because I'm like, we're taking the tone, and sometimes you instinctively apply tones in text. So somebody
So
says something,
what we
they're just
might
being
try to do
direct.
is
It
we
could
might
it could
try to
come off as
create
rude.
we might try to create like a Zoom and allow people to come on
You
so they
got
can
seven
actually
kids. You
be
want to hear
heard.
something funny?
That seems like that would be
and it
something interesting to
and
do.
it said the whole Bible talk about
And of
us.
course,
And it said
all
Jesus'
of them
feet was like bronze
was in
and hair
there.
like
There
wool.
was
Yeah,
a
we
That is
lot
we
not a
of he was
description of
just
a white
staring
yeah
at
man.
his.
we
Yeah,
know
I don't know.
that.
I can't. I
We
don't think
we
I'm gonna
know
do
that,
seven
Dennis. We
kids.
know that it's
You know, I'm gonna text
we
you
know
later.
that.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
But Western culture
But the
doesn't teach
Dale
us
says
like that.
bye.
Um, uh,
We're
yes,
gonna
he
run to the
did
store. We're
say
gonna get him
that.
some
Yeah,
diapers.
I haven't thought anything that you've said has been rude whatsoever. Because the thing is that you this and even if you were rude,
Oh, he's talking about that Quan said that he was
you,
rude
I said
even
no.
earlier.
I
even
said that
He
his
said that
text
he
can
said
come
that
off
he
as
mis
rude or
it come
insulting
off as
because of the way that people can interpret them. And I told him, I said it's
right,
up to us to
right,
work on how we're
and
conveying our messages to where he might be like just straight innocent, like, oh no, this is this and this is that. Where it's like to us, we might read it as this is this and this is that. Like,
yeah,
that will
facts.
happen a
Yeah,
lot.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
I put some blame on us too. I was like, so I'm like, sometimes you see that passion or that direct reaction because you initially hear it and you're like, wait, that was rude for him to say that. But it's like for him, he's like, oh, I didn't mean it to be rude. I was just speaking
until
my
I
truth.
read something like literally rude,
Well,
then I'm not gonna really take it
But
as
you grew
rude.
up in
well,
a
I think
different rude kind of
I
text
think
space
with
though,
Dennis, I
Dale.
think with Dennis, the fact that he stood with us for 3 hours
Yeah,
speaks volumes.
yeah,
Right.
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So I applaud him for doing that because most people don't have the
I'm
mental
about to get off my
span to even have a dialogue with us for that long. So I applaud him for that, and he's actually intrigued, and I think that's I applaud you for that.
But the other part, what's the other part?
No, I did
Yeah.
say no. I
Love this
did
chat. I'll
say
be
he
praying for you
said I
guys.
was
Remember,
rude,
seek a
but the
place
other
out of
part.
What's the other
Hey,
part?
I
I'm not
appreciate
sure
you
what
for
the other
sticking
part
around,
is,
Sonny. I
Dennis.
really do. And I
I'm
thank
not quite
you
sure what
for
that was,
being,
but I think at
cool
the end of the
and
day,
understanding
Dennis,
that,
I think
I'm
that
not trying to
it
attack
would
you
be that
with my beliefs or anything like that. I don't want to make you feel
kind of
insulted
just
or
come to
belittled or
a
anything like
happy
that.
conclusion that we had this
We
dialogue with one
are
another,
able
and
to feel the way we
that
feel
it would
and love the
still
way we
be that
love.
nothing that you can
Um,
say would
Without judgment of
make
one
us
another. And
take on
I just wanted to make sure
um,
that I didn't feel
religion
like,
again, and nothing
you
we can
felt like
say
you
will
were under
pull you
personal
from
attack or
religion,
anything
which is
like that.
not
Because
what we
you
ever
stood
said
in
that we
here
wanted to
and you
do.
had a back and forth with me, and I
We
respect
don't
that.
want to take you from
I want
religion,
General
but
Coverage
yet
on
and
it.
still we don't want
I want the live to
dogma
just be
to
like
tell
us.
us that we are going to
Vanessa
be held
literally does say
accountable
that
because
all the time.
we don't
She's like, I
believe
like
the
the
way
community
that
we
you
have
do.
here, and I want him
That's
to
kind
like
of the
go
whole
get
point of
bigger,
this.
but
And
I
that
don't want him
goes
to get
into
too big to
control.
where
Like
I won't be able to see you
if
guys the way that I want to.
if
And
you
I
can't
can feel that
control
to a
my
certain
mind
extent.
and
I'd
make
hate
me
to
think
have
the
a
way
thousand
that you
people in the
want me
chat
to
and
think,
not be
then
able to
I'm going
pick
to be
out
held
your guys'
accountable,
comments
which
because
means
chat's
I'm going
moving
to go
so
to
fast.
hell.
That
You
scares
know what I
me.
mean? And that's that
But I
thing
do
of
want for
control,
success, so it's kind
right?
of the
So
double-edged sword. But
I
hey,
meant
thank you,
I
Sonny,
didn't
so much
say.
for sticking around. I hope you
Oh,
have a great
okay,
evening.
we get it. But I really appreciate you staying here and talking to us for this long. And maybe I can bring you on sometime so we can have this discussion. But it's going to be the same way with Candace. Like, and that's my baby. But
Yeah,
like I
Candace
said,
is
I
our
grew
third
up.
on this show, so we there's nothing but love. That's family. That's yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
you're
that's
right.
my baby.
Yeah.
I, like I said, I grew up
Okay.
very
I
religious,
need that mouse,
and
buddy.
when I let religion go,
Need that.
I felt so much more free and so much more alive and so much more love, and I actually felt alive, alive. I felt like, because remember when you said earlier that people who have religion feel like, well, it might have been hard now, but in the afterlife, and
Right.
to me, if there is no afterlife, you better live the hell out of life that you got now. It makes you push
And
harder to live harder
I
now.
I want to say a few things
Yeah,
about Dennis, because
yeah.
Dennis does he had a very good argument, which was, even if I do believe in the Bible, what does it hurt if it doesn't really hurt anything?
It
You
doesn't.
know,
It
and
doesn't.
Right. I don't think we've
the
ever
fact
made that
is,
point. I hope we haven't come off as if the Bible's hurting people.
no,
I
and
actually said it's good.
he was talking about, the risk factor.
Yeah, okay, I
So
remember that,
so
Dylan.
which was, if I believe in the Bible, I get to go to heaven. And if it's not real,
Then oh
And nothing
well.
so
changes.
be
Yeah,
it.
it is what it is.
Nothing literally changes. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
if it is real,
I win.
Yeah, you
it's,
guys,
it's, it's
took, yeah, y'all took the L train.
it feels bad, dude.
Yeah,
So I totally hear what he's saying, which I have this argument with a few of my Christian buddies, uh, a few of them, which there's really nothing else to say there,
No, but then you're actually saying I believe because I'm scared not to because I'm gambling.
well,
I'm
I think
gambling.
I don't think he's
You
saying
won't
that,
even a
Ma.
true believer.
I think he's just saying. I think his argument is almost like a why not. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
yeah,
Why not?
like not
And,
a I'm scared. Like, no, he's just like why not?
and that's cool. No, that's cool. The why not of it is cool. But again, I would continue to stand by my position of what is y'all's heaven because the show looks like hell to me, and that's just literally how I feel because
Yeah,
they say that the
we're
devil is a
going
trick,
to
right? That there's
wrap
trickery
this
with
up.
the
I'm gonna
devil,
let
right?
like my little brother give
So
off his
why
closing
can't
statements.
this all
I'll
be
give mine.
some
I
trick?
pretty much said everything
Because
I could have
if it's
possibly
saying
wanted to say.
do as
This
thou
is three and a
will,
half hours. It was
you
only
have
supposed to
free
be an hour and
will,
a half,
but
but
you get to
we
still
knew
come to
when we
heaven if
signed
you
up to
ask for
do religion
forgiveness.
as a topic that it was going to go
That
this
just
long. So
it sounds
this
weird
isn't
to
going to be
me.
one of them
It just
ones
sounds
like I
weird.
think
You
that
know
I'll
what I mean?
post
It
these
just
into
don't
like
sound. It don't
individual
sound
hour
right with me.
videos,
It
but
sounds
I don't expect
weird.
anybody to watch them because this is
And
very
again,
long
I will
and it's a
still
lot that
say,
was said.
if there's a whole bunch of slave
But
owners,
if anybody
child
is interested on
molesters,
the
and
concept or the
rapists
conversation
who
of
are in
religion that we've
heaven,
been
and
having,
people like me
or
and
if
my
anybody just wants to
children
be
are
angry at
going to
me
be in
for
hell because
anything,
we didn't believe
I'll give you
specifically
the
in this
videos to
Bible,
have,
then I would
But
rather be
yeah,
down
I have
in
a couple videos I want to post. Are you
whatever
getting tired already?
hell that you guys have created, which probably is just a different portal or a different part of the universe. I'd rather be there than to be around a whole bunch of ugly people who ask for forgiveness. I don't want to be around them people. I don't want to be around the slave owners who beat us for hundreds of years because they asked for forgiveness. That's what's in heaven. That's what's in heaven. But I can't go. Again, I say, oh well. I mean, and please don't feel pity for my soul. You know what I mean? Because maybe I get to go be with the Uvalde kids. And on that note, thank you for joining us for 4 hours.
3.5.
Oh, Dennis Connor, thank y'all so much. Tasha, you know I have been following you a long time, and I got nothing but love for you. Mwah. And I'm so proud of you and your family and all that y'all do. Dennis, listen, when I tell you I'm going to send you a gift card, you're going to
Yeah.
inbox me your address because you have been an amazing viewer. Like, you are the viewer of the day. Because who the heck stays on a stream for 3 hours, all in love. So
I can
please
name a few.
inbox me your address and you a gift card
That was a
from
shout
the
out to y'all,
Nail
chat.
Show, just to thank you for staying with us for so long and participating in our discussion.
Absolutely.
And we hope to see you next week with another topic. If you guys have topics that you want to discuss, we sit around and we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. And I think that these are human topics that we really need to unpack and discuss and live within our human in the best human that we can. Thank you, Dennis. Thank
Yep.
you, Shawnee. And oh my God,
Thank
everybody
you,
else.
everybody. Appreciate you. Love all of
Love
y'all.
so much.
And remember, these conversations are never meant to hurt anyone. We're never out here to attack anyone. We just want to bring back the idea of civil discourse between people who don't necessarily agree on everything. That is the goal
Absolutely.
here. Bring different perspectives, bring different, points of view, and say your piece, speak yourself, and appreciate what we've learned from one another today.
Shawnee asked a question really quick. Shawnee, do you mean do we believe in God, or are you asking Dennis if he believes in God? Are you
I'm
asking?
sure he does.
Dennis believes in God.
Yeah.
I believe in the universe.
We
I
believe
just
in
believe.
a sort of God, but not the God of the
Well,
Judeo-Christian religion or any other monotheistic or establishment religion. So that's probably the best way that we can answer is that our God isn't necessarily the same as your God, and we wouldn't even refer to our God as God. We refer to it as a higher power.
I, I honestly don't make it that complicated. You die and you're gone. That's it. Everything dies,
Well, you're
and you just
morbid.
yeah, I guess so. But life has always been morbid, right? You know,
For
that's
sure.
that's it. You know,
Dalen calls
Yeah.
himself a nihilist, but I don't call him a nihilist because nihilists are kind of like really gloomy and don't believe anything has any purpose. That's not what he
He
is.
really
I think
isn't.
he's more like an existentialist humanist. You know what I mean? Like because he still believes in being a good person. A nihilist is just like F it.
Yeah.
Like
Like
life is what it
everything
is.
sucks.
Yeah, I would say that he's more atheist than anything. You know what I mean? He just
You
doesn't.
better
He
send him an
does
empty
not
card.
believe.
no,
No.
you guys would be atheists. That's the thing. You guys would technically be
Yeah, I mean,
atheists.
cause we
I
we
don't
always
believe in a higher power at all. You
So
know,
Shawnee says, "How do we explain souls?" So we don't.
souls are comprised
And
of energy, and energy goes back into the universe. That's that's
did
that's
you
how
hear
I
that,
that's
Shawnee?
how I explain souls. Souls are energy. Energy never dies. It can't be created nor destroyed. Therefore, it is eternal. And it's everlasting. So the same thing, the same concept as a soul in religion. That is what it is to me. It is the universe. It is comprised of the atoms that comprise of the universe. Same things you'll find in a star. What is it? Carbon, nitrogen. You know, the same atoms that go into the creation of a core of a star are right in here. You know, that's what we're made of. You know, as
Well,
my idol Neil
when
deGrasse
you
Tyson
like,
says, where stardust come to life. So
yes, we are.
that
We're
is
in
our souls, our energy goes back into when we bury us, the
the
earth
universe.
consumes us, and we become what we once were before we existed. You know,
Exactly,
so
which is
we
part of the
we're our
universe.
yeah. So that's how I personally would define a soul.
And
But
that's and I would agree with Daquan. So I think that when we think about because when we go back to the earth, when we go back to the universe, we are still one with the universe. We're still here. Our energy presence
yeah,
still exists. It doesn't go anywhere. So I and which is a beautiful thing to me. That's so beautiful. You know, so there's a lot of things, Shawnee, that I think that we can't explain because I believe in ghosts. There are
I'm finna
ghosts,
keep
there are
going. I know,
spirits,
I
there
know.
are energies. You know what I mean? There are things that we can't explain. But since we can't explain it, I'm not going to just say, oh, can't explain it. God. You know what I mean? Like we have a tendency of things that we can't explain. We don't want to try to critically think about them. So we just attribute it to you know what I mean? Instead of saying, let's critically think about this. And that's what I started doing. I started being afraid to critically think and evolve into a different human. And I just feel more free and okay with there maybe not being a heaven and the possibility of, you
You're
know,
a bit morbid too, huh?
of just not knowing.
I
You
used to
have
be
to
that
be
way.
okay with not knowing. And some people aren't. Um,
Ma,
the
we
Bible.
can't do any more comments. We gotta go. We've
Okay,
been here
all
way
right.
too long.
So
All right.
we gotta
We
go.
had 3.5 hours. I don't
Okay,
want
we
to cut
gotta
it
go.
off, but
We
if we
love you
don't stop
guys.
reading comments, we never gonna leave. So thank y'all. Love
Okay,
you, Ma. Love you, Dalen.
love
I will
you.
see y'all, everybody. Peace out,
Hey,
everybody.
bring me that baby.
I'm gonna bring. He's knocked out right now. I'm about to put him down.
Bring me that baby.
I'm gonna bring you this baby.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I know. I had to shut it down because and I knew as soon as I seen her look back over at the comments, she was gonna ask another question, and it was gonna keep going. That's actually what the last hour of this was asking questions, and I'm like, so we were supposed to have been done after we got our discussion and asked a few questions, but it's fine. I don't mind doing these because the stream went longer than I intended, but it's totally fine. You know, he passed out, so I got to put him to bed, so totally fine. Um, but yeah, there was much longer discussion than intended. I don't know if I'm gonna even try to edit this and put it up as individual videos. I don't expect anybody to sit through a 3.5 hour discussion on religion if they aren't here for the live discussion and I can't address their comments. So I don't know if I will. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this stream up. I will be back on Tuesday after school. Um, I believe I should be home right around that time. So I'll let you guys know how, any updates or anything that's going on at that time. But yeah, Tuesday afternoon, around 5:30, we'll be back here, regular scheduled program, and we're gonna be on it. But I appreciate all you guys. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you, TT. Thank you, Nessa. Um, thank you, Jisoo. Thank you to everybody who stopped by and hung out with me for all of this time. It was a long discussion, but it was a good one. It was fun. Hell, it's not. Oh, listen. Well, cause I heard him getting a little fussy. Sometimes he gets a little fussy. Um, so you just go get him, just go get him. Give him a good pat. He's all good. He literally just like, did y'all see his head fall over? Like his head just fell. Cause I was sitting here thinking he was just playing, and then his head just went bloop, and he was gone. Like he was not. Yeah, he got the. He is knocked out. But yeah, thank y'all for hanging out with me and being here. I really appreciate it. Love y'all to death. Like I said, I will see you guys Tuesday. I don't know what the plan is, so I'll keep you guys updated on that, or you'll just know when you guys come here. I had a lot of fun doing the just chatting, so we'll figure it out when the game plan gets around that day, and I might make a post letting y'all know what we're doing the day before, or even take a poll. So guys, just be on the lookout because I am gonna start doing polls. So if you wanna, yeah, he's knocked out. He's out. Oh shoot, you guys can just hear me, huh? So y'all can't see me. But yeah, so I know you guys can just hear me, but yeah, you can't see me right now. But yeah, so just I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna get out of here, and I gotta run to the store, get some food, get cook dinner, and put this guy to bed. So thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Y'all take care of yourselves. Drink some water. Enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Get some rest. Peace out, everybody.